Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to yet another episode of Wick TV. It's early, gang. Yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern. Happy Monday. Hope everyone's weekend was glorious. I was sick over the weekend. It was sad. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a lot done. I got some housekeeping stuff to do. And what I mean by that is like I gotta some behind the scenes stuff, I think is a better way to put it. That I'm busy working on and working out. And I was like, okay, I don't have any shows for a couple days. I can get through it and I can push it out, finish up my booking, finalize my stuff that I need to do, and then I could work on this. Then I got sick and I couldn't do any of that. And it's very sad. I am feeling better, but yeah. Oy vey, ladies and gentlemen, oy vey. Lonerbox should be here shortly, and today we're going to be doing a Lonerbox versus the world thing. So if you, dear viewers, want to challenge Lonerbox on something, today's the day. Let me get the link in chat. And then I will pin it. There we go. We'll see how it goes, huh? We got some challengers already. Let me DM Lonerbox to see where he's at. Then we'll get in the thing. Give me a second, gang. YouTube. Blah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're live, by the way. Let me get Lonerbox. I'm going to DM him, see where he's at, and have him jump in.
Just give me like 2 minutes and I'll have my camera on and shit. I just
no
literally
worries.
finished the meeting. I'm not on the mission.
You'll get the first crack at it.
Oh.
Okay. DM'd. Sent. But in the meantime, if you, dear viewer, have an issue with a take that Lonerbox has made, if you are like, that Lonerbox, he's wrong on this one, and you'd like to confront him about it, today's the day to do that. And how do you do that? Well, it's very simple. You click that Discord link that I got pinned. Once you're in the server, you accept the rules by going to the rules page and clicking on my little face emoji. I'll be right there. That way you'll accept the rules. You'll be able to see all the channels. And once you see all the channels, you jump backstage, which is the top of the server, okay? And the little voice backstage. And we'll pull you on when we're ready for you. And we'll talk to you. And you'll be able to talk to Lonerbox about whatever you like. That is what we have going on today. Hello, user EI6VZ. When does the stream start? It starts now. Coffee Margin. Glad you're feeling better. I'm glad I'm feeling better too. AKA Batozai. Ahoy, ahoy. Yar, mateys. We are on an adventure. Okay, we got our ringers here. Stream Rift and Admiral Gibbs. Okay. What's up, Stream Rift? Can you hear us?
Hello. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. We are waiting on Lonerbox. I DM'd him. He's live. He's got it in his little title.
He is live. I saw you. I was like, oh. Yeah, I'll have to dip off in about an hour for a call. But yeah, I've been doing some research. Lonerbox has some hate for the red pill. That's a fun one. He doesn't like shoe on head at some level. I'm excited.
Let's bring him on. Let's introduce him and let's get this show on the road, okay?
Hell yeah.
Hello, you are live. Welcome to the show, sir.
How's it going?
So far so good, but there's still plenty of time for things to go horribly wrong. So we'll see how that goes. Welcome to the show. It is today For those of you who don't know, if you're on Lonerbox side with other things, it's Lonerbox versus the world. We already got some people who are raring to talk to you. So once you get your cam up, once you get set up, we'll just get into it.
What, are these the guys? I don't know either of these two. Stream Rift, Admiral Gibbs, hello. How's it going?
Oh, well, they're
Hello,
two of the
Lonerbox.
guys. There's
How
going to
are
be
you?
more as they come, right? So just to be clear, this is kind of a semi-open call-in show as well. So if you're in the audience and you're like, Lonerbox, your hair looks like a hat. That's something I heard earlier, okay? That your hair looks like a hat. And you want to talk to Lonerbox about it and confront him, you can just jump onto the server, jump backstage, and we'll get to you. But, yeah, see how it goes. Lonerbox, why don't you start by introducing yourself, tell people who you are, what you do, maybe some of your more hotter takes, and then we can just begin. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lonerbox. I make YouTube videos, I debate online, and I live stream. And all my takes are pretty fucking evidence-based, middle of the road, no big deal, uncontroversial. So can't imagine why anyone would have an issue.
I guess we'll find out. Speaking of issues, we have a couple people here that do have some issues. Admiral Gibbs and Streamrift. Admiral Gibbs, what issues do you got with Lonerbox here?
Looking snazzy
you know-
today, by the way.
Thank you, appreciate it. I've
Looking-
been trying to run around like a chicken with my head cut off all day. It's been crazy, but yeah, we got a lot of issues. We can't let these British socialists win. We got to stop this bullshit now. All right, that's it. All right, that's good. We'll get into the rest later. And my camera probably won't cooperate. It cooperated once. That's all I can ask for.
Okay. British Socialist Communist. Okay. We'll see how that goes. And then Streamrift, what is your major problem with the Lonerbox?
Well, so Lonerbox, this is a very recent issue that you've been talking about. I say sarcastically. You appear to have hate for the red pill, which I think is unfounded, especially if you believe in evidence-based, middle-of-the-road, uncontroversial issues. So that's what I came today, partially ready to have that chat about.
Okay, why don't we
Shit.
start there? Hash it out. What do you mean?
All right. So, I hate to misquote anybody. My understanding, Lonerbox, is that your general take, and please, by all means, never let me put words in your mouth that you don't say or believe, but that you view the red pill as sort of a moral gripe fest, and less about looking at things as they are, and more about being some vehicle to capture hate and hostility or something like that. So I think you understand sort of the thrust of where I'm going at. You want to help me understand why I'm wrong, or elaborate more on sort of your hostility or criticisms of the red pill?
I mean, the two biggest purveyors I ever saw of red pill was of Andrew Tate, and maybe more specific, more directly using it was Fresh and Fit. And yes, they did just kind of hate women and Jews. For some reason, those two go hand in hand. I mean, you can be more specific if you're talking about red pill, because red pillars, from my experience, will go from saying men and women are different, which is obviously your Mott and Bailey, but then obviously underlying that, it's like, 2 minutes later, I hear Myron Gaines talking about how women are dependent on men because otherwise, who's going to go and hunt lions and tigers and kill them for their meat for the women?
Well, I mean, in
Right, that's
modern
not really how it
economy,
works.
women are heavily dependent on men. If all of the men quit their work for today, society would collapse in, I'm going to generously say, 10 days. If all of the women quit their jobs today, society would not collapse.
Quick fact check: you don't want to eat predator meat. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's on Myron, by the way.
I mean, another thing is,
Yeah.
sure, if like 50% of everyone in society just
Hold
did
on.
a general strike, yeah, society
Perry,
would
hold
fall
on.
apart.
Periwinkle, Perry Welk. This isn't Defend Lonerbox Day. This is
True.
Lonerbox versus the World Day. So let Lonerbox defend his position, and we'll get into
Okay.
it.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
part of your position, it sounds like, is baked into is you're defining red pill as what Myron and Andrew Tate say. Is that your
Well, they
framing
are,
of it,
like,
or
I see them as they are the biggest purveyors of red pill or self-proclaimed red pillars online, are they not?
Do you think more so
I mean,
than Andrew Wilson? I think Andrew Wilson's probably the leader now.
I have no idea how big Andrew Wilson is at the moment.
I mean, sure,
saw
just
him on
but-
Twitter.
because they have the-
like, that's
Because
cool.
they have like, I mean, I guess the only reason I'm asking is just for your clarification purposes. Because I think Myron and like them have one version, and Wilson's got a very different version, and they're almost incompatible. So, like,
Okay,
which do
well
you
let's
think
just
is more?
let's just go for one position at a time because I don't listen to
Sure,
Andrew
sure,
Wilson that
that's
often.
fine.
But if you go for the first one, like women are like half of the workforce and or more than half
Who
of
the
the
hell
workforce in a
cares?
lot
That
of
wasn't the
these
claim.
Western societies. So if half of the workforce
Society
goes
will
on
collapse
strike, you're going to
if
have
women-
problems. What are you talking about?
No. If, for example, infrastructure, we're talking about power, we're talking about sewage treatment, we're talking about the roads, we're talking about electricity, all of that. These heavily male-dominated fields, women don't even have the strength to do. Even if they had the equipment and even if they had the strength, they still don't have the training. So it's not half the workforce. It's half the workforce that's doing jobs that for example, again, you take all of the men out of the workforce, women couldn't do the jobs. Flip it the other way around, men could. And that's a refusal to acknowledge.
You know that the Western world is like dominated by services, right? Like we are service economies in the West, and women.
So what
do
does that have to do
service
with
jobs as well as that,
infrastructure?
so-
That is a
If we don't have
problem,
roads,
but
if we
that's
don't
a
have
whole different debate.
electricity, if we don't have basic water and sewage, what the hell does it matter if we have a service economy?
What do you mean about water and sewage? So wait, do you think that what do you think would happen in society if women stopped working then? If all the whatever midwives
within about
and
3
care
months, everything would be
workers
fine.
and nurses and mental health people or people who teach in schools, like what do you think would happen in society if all these people stopped working?
I think within about 3 months, I think the first 3 months might be rough. I think within 3 years, everything would be better.
And which
Like markedly
society that
better.
doesn't employ women does well?
It's not the argument. You're the one
No, yes,
saying
it
that
is.
if
What-
half
tell me-
of them left the
can you just-
workforce,
Hold on,
Yeah,
let
if you can name one
Lonerbox go.
country-
Lonerbox go. Loner,
You
please.
can name one country where women are excluded from the workforce and society does pretty well, or is enviable as an American.
The Emirates.
Yeah, you
mean, they
envy the
exclude them to
you
some
envy the Emirates as an American.
I mean,
you want to live in the
Dubai?
Emirates.
I don't, but
Right.
some people do.
okay, so yeah, Dubai is clearly struggling.
By what metric?
It's also a
That was
Civil
sarcastic.
liberties.
That's
I
sarcasm.
mean, what a society that's built on like exploited to fuck immigrant labor. What? Like, yeah, a
think that was
majority of the
sarcasm on his
population
part.
that is basically exploited to the hilt to uphold their economy. It's probably not the best example.
Well, I mean, so
Would you
So
rather live in
you're-
the Emirates or America? Or
well,
wherever
so
you're from?
let's shade in Red Pill a little
Well,
bit.
that
more here,
depends
'cause
if you're, an oil prince or if I'm, Papa Gibbs the rancher. If I'm the oil prince, I'd probably rather be that guy. But like, if I'm just, average immigrant that's over there and the Emirates, well, I don't. Really, it's all a matter of perspective. But you asked
the
what
average
society's-
person generally, right?
Well,
the average
sure,
person
but
in the Emirates is
you
a
asked
lot,
which ones are successful. I think by any metric, we could argue the Emirates or Dubai are successful, and they do exclude women. I mean, Saudis, they're another one. They have women in the workforce somewhat now, but even until recently, I mean, I guess it was during the Second Gulf War, they finally were allowed to drive, right? Like, I just, it's like you can't say that society isn't able to function without women when we have numerous examples of arguably successful or highly successful societies that exclude women to some extent, like these countries. Now, whether or not that's morally right is a whole different debate. But
You also understand.
that's just it.
Again, you're
Hold
kind
on,
of
let
giving
Loner
yourself
finish.
away right here when you say that they exclude women from the workforce, because the women who are excluded from the workforce in these countries are locals. Locals are the minority in the Emirates. Emirati women don't work as much. Even then, they still do. Like I've lived in the Emirates. I've known Emirati women who worked in offices and universities, so they do work. But obviously, immigrant women
Sure,
they
but
work.
they're
They work plenty.
excluded to
They
a
do
pretty good
plenty of
extent.
work. So. But you're missing the fact that most women who live in the Emirates are not Emirati, right? They're immigrants and they work.
well, whether your claim was that without women, society would essentially struggle. My claim is literally the foundation of the infrastructure that allows us to have clean water, food, all of these other things. Women couldn't do it. I'm not saying they shouldn't be in the workforce. I'm just observing the facts. And so the red pill would acknowledge this fact. The other thing is I'm going to pick on Gibbs just a little bit. Andrew gets misconstrued as being red pill. He denies that he's red pill. He says he's a Christian ethicist. But I would say that I think if we're looking for a better example of red pill, like red pill's descriptive. It's just, this is the way that things are as they sit now. Now, Myron and Andrew Tate, you bring up as examples. I think it's fair to say they say at a minimum some fairly misogynistic things. And I'm a huge fan of women. I think they should be treated equally under the law. That doesn't mean I think that we have to ignore the fact that society has largely become Western society in particular has largely become heavily gynocentric, and the red pill is largely the movement that's acknowledging this.
But just before you
How is
respond,
Western
just real quick,
society
you agree they're
gynocentric?
adjacent, right? You agree he's at least adjacent,
Okay,
right? To red
Yeah,
pill.
I
I
think
don't
he has
care
an
about
internal
I don't
identity
care about
issue.
the Wilson thing, but go ahead,
Yeah.
Loner, respond. And
Well-
then I want to get a couple other people in here too. I know Red's been waiting, and Captain may have some things, so go ahead. Loner,
Oh, I was
respond.
just asking what you mean by gynocentric. Like, why is the West
Like-
gynocentric?
Like the West is designed around infantilizing and making life easier for women, giving them things like preferential treatment, education for more than 4 decades, preferential treatment in hiring, preferential treatment in the law. We look at sentences, the amount of guys that actually face things like homelessness, that face things like mental health care, lots of different issues. Western society treats men as disposable and adores women. And I'm not saying we shouldn't love women. I'm saying we shouldn't shit on men. And the
I
red
would
pill
say that-
critics are generally gynocentric.
I would say that what's probably more infantilizing are the countries you cited earlier that tell women that they're too incompetent to drive cars. That's
Agreed.
probably the more
Agreed.
infantilizing version. Yeah, okay, so
Agreed. Not the point, though.
okay, so what are we talking about infantilizing? What compared to what countries that are unsuccessful? They exclude
I'm
women.
not
Guess
even
most of
doing a
them.
comparison. I'm just saying, on its face, when we have a society that gives legal preference, gives educational preference, gives all sorts of preferences towards one gender, that's a preference. It's the centrism. I think it's a pretty easy argument to follow. Men are
I
9
don't
times more
know
likely
why
to take their life after a divorce. Do you think that that's neutral?
Depending on why they do it, men were more likely to take their lives after a
Depending on why they
divorce.
do it. So after
Yes,
a
it
divorce,
matters why they do it because how do you link it to gynocentrism? Why is that the reason?
if it
that
was
men kill
inverted,
themselves more
if
often?
after a divorce, women were 9 times more likely to take their lives, there'd be riots in the streets about it. But since it's men, you don't even want to acknowledge it's a problem.
I can
That's
acknowledge
the
it's a
problem I have with
plenty.
folks that are critical of red pill. They're
I acknowledge
gynocentric.
problems. I acknowledge problems with men all the time. The problem is that I tend to hear from people who call themselves red pillars. Actually, is when they talk about men, I can see why men want to kill themselves because all the solutions that they offer are dog shit. Grind out, get fucking totally fucking.
What
jacked.
about losing
The way
your-
that they talk about women
hold on.
as like fucking objects to be hunted down and like treated like some kind of like input and output machine to be won over? Yeah, no wonder some of these men are miserable and they
Well,
got nothing
hold
to look
on,
forward
just-
to. What?
Listen, I'm not. I have my own issues with the red pill. I agree. I think men are the cause of most men's problems. Severe cases of pussitis and bitch assness going around America and all around. I agree. I think that's a problem. However, some of the prescriptions that these red pillars do have, I think, are beneficial. You just mentioned getting jacked, right? Like, I gotta be honest. I was last January, I was like 380. I'm now 300, right? Like, good for me, yay! But like, just from doing that, I feel better. I just go out, and I know Andrew Tate famously, too many goddamn Andrews, said famously, he goes, "Hey, you're gonna kill yourself. Okay, well, kill yourself after you get a 6-pack." And the guy messaged him back later, goes, "Oh, I didn't do that. Suddenly women were interested in me. All these other things." And like, I think there is something to be said for the pull yourself up from the bootstraps mentality, and that's why I advocate for that a lot. Like, okay, you know how to be a bitch? Don't be a bitch. Go to the gym. Go work out. Maybe go to invest in some businesses. Get 2 jobs. Have money, and then once you have money, then you can see all the benefits. Now, you don't like that, I guess, because you want everything handed to you. But I think that there's some validity to that.
So, well, first of all, there's a difference between going to the gym and being healthy and feeling good about yourself versus just getting jacked. Like, even every bodybuilder on earth will tell you, if they're
Sure.
honest, that get jacked is not like a healthy thing, right? And as far as women, yeah, it might make more women swipe on you on a dating app, but in terms of actually what I think men really want, which is forming emotional connections and actually like growing to love someone and build something with them.
Have you ever been sad after you get laid?
Let Loner finish, please.
Well, yeah, Loder, have you ever been like after you literally right after you climaxed? Have you ever been like immediately sad? Just like, oh no, I hate my life. Like, no, right? Because why? Getting laid,
What the
nice.
fuck are you talking about?
Well, I'm about
Sometimes
to explain. I'm like, right. So generally, unless you're having some emotional, I'm breaking up with you and like breakup sex, if you're getting laid semi-regularly, you're going to be happier as a person. So if you're getting jacked at swipes on the dating apps, yeah, that directly correlates to happiness. Do you disagree?
not to happiness, no, to pleasure. Yes, not happiness. Those are not the same thing.
Okay, I want to
hand in
before we go too far down this road,
Wait,
I want to give a chance.
sorry, just, the more intelligent guy in the room, so fucking Stream Riff. Do you think that pleasure and happiness are the same thing?
I didn't say they were the same thing.
I
was just
Admiral
getting
Gibbs
you
that
to
they're
back me up.
different.
I know, like they're
Yeah,
obviously
no,
not.
look,
You
the
can have all
least
the
I can
pleasure in
do
the
is
world and be a totally miserable fuck, right?
Well, there's happiness, there's contentment, there's pleasure. These are different definable things. Yes, absolutely. I'll give you that
Okay,
for
thank
free.
you.
Okay, I do want to.
Alright.
I do want to make sure that Red Jacket gets in here a little. Red Jacket, you had some issues. Go ahead.
Oh, are we moving away from the red pill?
It's up to you. What do you want to do?
I'm not interested in continuing to pursue this because as like a woman, I can't really agree with any of this stuff. It's kind of generally disgusting.
Yeah, you're not very agreeable.
Yeah, what?
Whoa.
Oh, you said you're a woman.
What?
You're not agreeing. You're
No,
not being very agreeable. Go
I
ahead.
can't personally find myself agreeing with any of the stuff that says that I'm like disgusting and stuff like that. Like, I would have to agree with Lonerbox there. Generally on like all of that, I would if I had to say whether I was like considered as a citizen of a Western country, whether I am considered like in my family the focus or like as like a single daughter, I don't think that I would be like I'm not the object of everyone's attention, and no one's breaking their backs to try to satisfy me. I don't think it's really I don't think it's good to just say like women get everything and men get nothing. I think it's kind of like weird. I'm gonna have to not agree with any
Sure.
of that.
Do you have anything though? That's fair. But do you have anything that you do disagree with Lonerbox, like an issue that
Yeah,
you wanted to talk to him about? Go ahead.
So my understanding is that generally Lonerbox is kind of like a socialist and also a leftist, but he called himself in his introduction that he called himself middle of the road and evidence based, when those positions and
And
general
uncontroversial.
leftism they aren't like they're highly subjective, aren't they?
Well, can I
And
ask just before
You're
you go on? Can I just ask
absolutely correct,
Lonerbox, are you
Well,
socialist?
First of all, I haven't called myself a socialist for a good while now. I'd be more of a social democrat. So
Okay.
Yeah.
just
Well, I
wanted
mean,
to-
we all lie
So
sometimes,
socialist.
I guess. It's okay.
no, a
yeah,
social democrat's not a socialist. I know Americans
left
struggle
of
with
center
this.
is
How would you?
I
how
know,
would you
like
draw
that
the
because like when the
distinction? How would
first
you
time I
draw
ever
the distinction?
visited, how do you draw that distinction? Because one of them is compatible with free markets and capitalism, and the other one's not. You can have private property in one of them, and you can't have it in the other.
So where does the social part come in it?
Wait, do you disagree? Do you
This is-
disagree with that? Do you disagree with the fact that you
This is-
can't
hold on,
have
this is
private
not- this
property
is
in a
how
communist society, but you
Oh,
can have it actually
hold on a second.
flourishing
Let me just get
in
on the
a
right
social
page a minute.
democrat society?
So what I'm saying
Sure,
is
go
I
ahead.
don't know your words. So when you're saying socialist and then you say Democrat social or social democrat, to me there's a distinction that doesn't make a huge difference. So I'd
Right.
like your understanding of it instead of me
Do you
putting
think
one
there's
on you.
Oh, okay. So
I agree there's a difference. I want to know it. That's why I
okay,
asked.
so yeah, about 100 years ago, you had like the communist revolutionaries, the socialists and the Marxists who believed that they wanted to overthrow capitalism. They thought that society was workers and bosses, and we need to get rid of the bosses and give the means of production to and the wealth to the people, brackets, the government, right? Social democrats were people who spun off of that movement, and they decided that actually destroying capitalism, Soviet Union, etc., was not a good idea, that we can be compatible with capitalism, but we also realize that in capitalist society, it produces some ills. And I think in Britain, one of the very popular documents for this was called the Beveridge Report, where they identified like the sicknesses of society, like idleness and ignorance and squalor and like disease and stuff like that. So, and capitalism didn't really have the best answer to these questions. So they believed that there should be some parts of society that we agree are supported by taxpayers and by the state. So in the UK, that became like the healthcare system. In pretty much every capitalist society, we do this with, to a degree, with infrastructure, military, police. A social democrat is basically just the argument that there are parts of social welfare that should be supported by, that are better served by the taxpayer than by private markets. That's it.
So not meant as a dunk, but do you think in shorthand it would be fair to say that's like socialism light, LITE?
No.
Okay, so
You
it's
can-
socialized
you can say
healthcare.
it's- It
It is
derives
actually
some
socialism
from
light.
like socialist principles, maybe. But then even the problem with that is that is like a state military socialist light rather than a private military.
No, that's
That's
bad
ridiculous.
faith.
Wait,
Listen,
why
maybe
not?
maybe
Why?
do a limit.
No, wait.
I'll
Why?
tell you
Why?
what.
Why?
Hold on. Because one, that's the libertarian argument, and we all know libertarians are full of bullshit. And two, like, listen, just because a government exists doesn't make it inherently socialist. And they're saying any government ever, which is the libertarian argument, is socialist by nature, right? Like, the problem I'm having is you can be like, say, let's take the Nazis, for example. A lot of people don't want to call them actual socialists, right? Because the party owned all these businesses and not the government itself. That's also
That's not
socialism
true.
light, I guess. Well, it is
Private
true.
enterprise is
It's-
also the private
yeah.
enterprise.
Okay,
is still
and
own
whenever you're
businesses as
100%
well.
owned by everybody in the party being in the Nazi party, it's the same
No,
thing. We're not
that's
going to go
how
down
the-
this path.
that's not-
I
that's
know
not how
Vic
the
doesn't
Nazi
want to
party
argue about
worked.
the
What are you
Nazis
talking about?
work.
Okay.
The Nazi
It is
party-
absolutely
Okay, one at a
how it
time, one at a
worked.
time, one at a time, one at a time.
It is absolutely how it worked. You just don't know history, and that's fine. But what we're going to sit here and talk about today, right here, is you're absolutely advocating for socialism. And like, yeah,
Okay.
you can laugh.
Okay,
but,
let
like, that's what you're
Loner
advocating.
respond. Let Loner
And
respond.
Red
You made an
Jacket did it. Well, I
accusation.
didn't even finish my point. But
Okay,
well,
finish
yeah, hold on.
your point,
Yeah,
and then let him
thank you.
respond.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
We're not-
Red Jacket hit the nail on the head. You came in and you acted like you're middle of the road, and you're going, "Oh, I'm going to be here in the social dim or something along the lines." Where, like Streamer said, it's the distinction without a real difference, right? You're going to come in and advocate for all these policies that are going to push for these things that are going to lead into greater socialism. You know, it's just one step on the path, and you're just going to deny that, but it's really the truth.
Okay, so the most redistributive social democrat prime minister that this country ever had was also the closest we ever had to McCarthyism. Communists hated Clement Attlee for the guy who built the NHS, the guy who introduced like the state pension fund. Communists despised this man because he basically rescued capitalism in their eyes. Like, you don't understand the difference. I know that America's never really had to deal with this problem, God bless you, but
No, we're dealing with it
there's
now.
no, you're not.
Now.
There's obviously a distinction. When it comes to the other question about the Nazis, please just like do some Googling or just look around. No, the Nazi state did not.
Yeah, I
own
mean,
all the
I've
means of
only wrote
production.
like 4 or 5
There were
papers in
private.
political theory. Got certificates from
I
presidential
don't care how
libraries
many
on it. So
papers
yeah, you're right.
I don't care
Yeah.
how many papers you've written. Was Hugo Boss owned by the state or was it private?
Okay, and was Hugo Boss a member of the Nazi Party, or was he a member of a different party? Which party?
so
Because
because
if you're
there's-
all owned by the same, so this is what I'm saying. If you're a part of
weren't
the party,
owned, though,
and
by the
everybody's
state.
owned by everybody's in the party. I know, I understand that, and I mentioned this if you had been listening, but I know you weren't. I said, hey, it's just one level difference. Instead of the state directly owning it, they just said you can't be a business owner unless you're a member of the party, and the party directly owns it. So it's one step removed. That's what I said, which is accurate historically, and that's why you're sitting here going, it was Hugo Boss, or whatever or whatever. Exactly, it's my point proven. You just weren't listening, but that's okay. Good job, Jack. Good try though.
So you acknowledge that there was private industry in Nazi Germany, right?
Do you understand what
That's
I'm saying?
all I
Are you
wanted.
really this confused?
Just say yes,
It's
Gibbs.
not-
Give him for free. Then he has to be
it's-
less of a dick.
It's not private. It's not private. I mean, I guess it's quasi-private. It's like
Yeah,
if
say
the
that.
Communist Party owns every business, is it really free? Is it really private enterprise? I guess. No. Like,
Well, no, it's actually directed by the state. Is the difference? It's like as in their economies and their activity was planned.
so if the
by
Nazi
state.
Party owns the
Okay.
thing, and then they make a directive
Okay.
to Nazi Party members saying
Okay,
you can't do
Gibbs,
XYZ.
Gibbs. Take a chill pill. Take it down from a 10 to
I mean, we're at like 2, but I mean, I'm just asking you a quick question here. It's simple. If the party owns a business and the business is private, and then the party leadership issues a directive to the party, and does that business now have to follow the rules of the party?
But the party
yeah,
didn't-
so it's de
but the
facto
party
ownership.
Didn't, the party didn't own but party members didn't own all the businesses. There were businesses in Germany that existed for long before the Nazi Party, and they kept their businesses. Some
Well,
of
so
them.
about-
Sure,
What you're trying to
but
say is-
some of them, the majority
the-
of them.
Hold on, don't let him
No,
finish his
what you're
point.
trying to say is that for the war effort, a lot of private businesses were subsumed by the party and given directions by the party, and agreements were made, and people were obviously like threatened, and they basically had to do what they were told. That did happen during the war economy, but that doesn't mean that the Nazis were socialist. The Nazis, who did they kill in the Night of the Long Knives again? Oh, it was the ones who wanted to put the socialism into National Socialism, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just
Well, it
different.
was
Systems. Who were the people? Who were the
international
communists that
socialism.
killed each other during the communists?
Okay,
whenever
I wanna-
Stalin was over? They
yeah,
killed
I
Linus,
wanna-
the white army, the red army.
Hold
You
on.
remember these different groups?
Okay.
Same thing.
I want to give the mic back to Red Jacket just for a minute to finish
I'd
her
like to
point.
go
right?
eventually.
Okay.
Maybe. No, what? Oh,
Well,
okay.
she
I
said one
given the
word.
mic back to her, and she left. Hopefully, she'll be back soon.
I think it probably a disconnect.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, in the meantime, then, I guess let's try Perry Welk. Perry Welk, do you have an issue with Lonerbox today?
I guess issue with more like progressive policy. Not that I have super big issues with it. I'm not a conservative. I'm more of a
Sure.
centrist. But I do have some questions about like general progressivism, social democracy, and the culture war, if it even is called that anymore. So,
All right, what are they?
Lonerbox, do you generally agree with the idea that we should be trying to include as many people you should be trying to include as many people into your movement as possible.
Should I be trying to include as many people into the movement as possible?
Yeah.
Within reason. There are obviously some people who are destructive parts of the movement. Like I don't know what the purpose would be in me including like a Nazi into the movement.
Well, not a Nazi, more like
Yeah.
otherkin. Have you ever heard of like what otherkin is?
Yeah, I know otherkin. Yeah, I'm familiar. I've known
So
one or
would
two
you
in my life.
consider them like to be oppressed, or are they not oppressed?
I don't know if they're necessarily oppressed as otherkin. They're probably oppressed in the sense that they're, depending on where they're from.
I have a question.
Yeah, they're probably
So-
victims of like general queer phobia. Yeah.
Otherkin, just for my audience's edification and mine, just so I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the people who are like, I'm a werewolf and I'm a vampire
and the people
and I'm a
more generally
planet,
like sorry.
right? Like they believe that they're like a werewolf or a vampire or a planet or something.
Yeah, and then there's the Therians who believe that they're actually animals. Although I'm just using otherkin just kind of as a catch-all term for both of those
Okay.
guys.
I'd say they're about as oppressed as furries. Not really. It's not really. I wouldn't call that oppression.
Not
no.
oppressed enough. Okay.
Not oppressed
Not
enough,
oppressed
yeah.
enough. But
'Cause
what's your
I
what's your
always-
question actually? Like, can you get to the actual description?
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Is what I wanted to talk about is I hear this sentiment on the left where it's like, well, we gotta respect people's identities. We gotta affirm whatever they say about themselves. And if you look at the logical conclusion of that, it does ultimately lead to you thinking that you can self-identify as like a dog or a unicorn.
I know I see a lot of this online. In real life, I feel like there is not nearly enough of it for me to consider there to be a big issue going on. As far as transgender identities, obviously people are much more likely to advocate for those because they actually make sense. And there is actually some psychological literature that backs them as a valid identity. That's not just something that you can teach or therapize out of someone or therapy out of someone. When it comes to otherkin and all that, I think this is just an online phenomenon. Most people don't give a fuck. And if it bothers you, honestly, I think an otherkin or a its pronouns or a dear person, if you don't want to call them those pronouns, they probably don't want to be your friends. So just leave them alone and they'll do their thing. But beyond that, yeah, that's not an issue to me.
Okay.
Do you think like trans stuff is generally like a social construct, or do you think it's actually like a biological thing that like the brain scans, if you've ever heard of those studies?
Yeah, so I've read a couple of papers about this. There was one pretty convincing one I heard that like when it comes to trans people, obviously the brain is it's not like cleanly dimorphic at all. There's a massive window for each kind of like variable, whether it's like gray matter or cortical thickness or superior frontal gyrus sizes. Like there's a big range for men and there's a range for women. I think when it comes to trans people, they maybe for trans women, like they might have similar, like parts of their brain will be closer to the range of a woman's than a man's. Other parts will be about the same. I think the most confident thing I could say on that, like from memory, is just like there is a difference. Like they do seem to have their own different like levels of like measurements or whatever the fuck, like hormonal levels and things like that. So that makes sense. It definitely has more backing than any of the other identities, and I don't think there's really been any evidence that you can like teach someone to become trans and then teach them to become untrans. It seems like the conversion therapy or
well, that's something Judith Butler
is not really
might say. Oh, sorry.
Is not really like backed by anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are people who say that, oh, well, gender is a social construct, but I do kind of agree with you on that, where it's like
Okay.
the studies show that the world operates this way, and specifically with people's brains, and yeah, it's not just a social construct. I think you made some good point there.
Great. We solved that issue. Let's cycle out a little bit and let's bring in a couple more people. Streamer, if you had some other issues in the meantime?
Well, I want to go back to this socialism versus democratic socialism. Is that what you're calling it? Because whatever
No,
that
social democrat, democratic socialist.
Social
should-
democrat.
very
Okay,
different
thank
from
you. I
social
like using the right
democrat.
word. So the problem is once you get some socialism involved, that's now manipulating whatever percentage of the economy that is, and necessarily hijacks everything else, or at least impacts it. So whether you have a little bit of socialism or a lot of socialism, you're still seeing government market manipulation. And like that's where the horror is. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
I actually.
I like
I'm sorry.
to.
Hold on. Let him
Sorry,
answer.
alright.
You'll get your turn. I promise.
I just piggyback off that real quick. I think a good example of this is the ag market. And this is actually a criticism I have of Trump's, right? Previously we've had corn subsidies, right? They go into the corn, and it's kind of like ag is an interconnected web, right? Like as all economies are. And so everybody went to corn. They stopped producing a lot of the grain. Grain-fed beef kind of died off, and grass-fed beef is on the rise, right? Well, now he's going to import Argentina beef. Well, we have all the same problems in Argentina that they do in America, and now the whole beef industry worldwide is at risk. If like the bot flies come up into Texas, it'll ruin the American beef industry. If Paraguay or Uruguay has some kind of issue disease-wise, the beef industry will crash. And I think this market manipulation, whenever the government steps in into industries, is very dangerous. And that's exactly the kind of socialism that I think we should be concerned about. And at times seems to be the kind of socialism you're advocating for.
When I look at the Human Development Index and how well people are doing and how people enjoy their welfare states, it seems like some of the top countries are the ones that actually do the most social spending per capita, whether it's like the Scandinavian countries or even the UK or even Germany. I'm sorry, like I've been to
So you're
America, I've
socialist.
spoken to Americans, I've spoken to Americans who have their positions on like or who have had experiences with the healthcare system. I don't know personally. I love my healthcare system. I love my free healthcare. I love my free prescriptions. I love my fucking tap water. It is manna from the heavens. It's all government funded, and it's quite nice actually. I don't want what you guys have. Sorry. And if we do decide that we want what you guys want, we'll vote for it.
But Lonerbox, I've had friends. Modi, for example, if y'all know Modi, he came over here and he was astounded. Something that he would have to go get a prescription for and wait 3 or 4 hours at the y'all's ER or whatever kind of little place y'all got. He was like, oh, I could just go to HEB and buy it over the counter. Like in some ways, this is just way better. And like you're gonna sit here and go, well, it's free. Well, it's free, but then you have to wait 3 hours, and then you can only get this one thing versus I can go buy my fucking NyQuil. Here down at the grocery store. I mean, that might not be the perfect example, but like you understand what I'm saying. But there's a lot of these that y'all have over-regulated that anybody should be able to just go get if they want to go get it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. If I didn't want to wait for my ADHD meds, so I buy them. You can do either. You can choose to go private, or you can choose to use the healthcare system.
Okay, I want to get some.
But I like having the option. The free option is there. Okay, and that's
not
I want to hold on.
I don't need it.
Yeah, I want to give a chance to the other people here. We got Z and 2 owls, 1 coat. Let's start with Z, I suppose, and then we'll go to 2 owls, 1 coat.
Yeah, no, it's very easy to pronounce my name. It's just Ziclifant.
Okay, Ziclifant. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I'm kind of taking a different angle because I'm a leftist, but I personally think that Lonerbox isn't hard enough left. So that's just kind of no. Okay, I know that Gibbs is laughing here, but I also think that he's a dumbass. So I don't really care.
Okay, well,
I think he's
hold on. No. It's not Gibbs versus the world. It's Lonerbox versus the
No,
world.
I'm not passionate.
Give
I'm
us-
just laughing.
give us
Lonerbox.
Hold on.
As a leftist.
Hold on. Yes.
Okay.
Well, how is he not leftist enough? Go ahead.
Okay. So I think that being a social democrat is mid as fuck. And I think that being a liberal is also mid as fuck. But I know that he's not a liberal. I know he's a leftist. But I think that being a social democrat, I don't know, it's just kind of like it's really ungay because it's just like, gang, like you believe in capitalism, but you're trying to like inject little doses of socialism. And it's like, gang, why don't we just go all the way? Okay. And I know that it sounds like, okay. I know that this is what they think that Lonerbox is inside. I know what I'm the manifestation of like why socialism is bad and stuff. But no, I actually believe this. I think that being a social democrat is just kind of like, it's just like, why not go all the way?
Okay,
I was
well,
just
let's
laughing
ask.
because
Hold
it
on,
was
let's ask
unexpected, which, I was
Lonerbox.
saying.
Why not go
I was
full
just laughing 'cause of that.
leftist?
Why actually, why do you believe in capitalism? I think that the workers should own the means of production. And I think that communism is kind of what we should move for. And like straight up, full stop. Also, I'm an anarchist.
Okay.
Oh no, those two things
An
aren't
anarchist-
related at
okay.
all.
I was going to ask which non-capitalist country or even area in the world are we trying to emulate here? Because obviously, when I see
Okay, we're
North
not trying to
Korea and China
emulate
and the
any
Soviet
place in the
Union and
world.
China,
I don't like
or
North
Cuba.
Korea. I don't like fuck. any
Yeah,
of
I
the
know
other
you don't,
ones.
but like that's the problem. You've got the luxury of advocating for a system that doesn't exist, and that's really nice if you want to make everything because everything else looks bad in comparison to utopia. But I mean, I like anarchists. Okay, one of my fucking exes is an anarchist. We got on really well.
Oh.
The thing with
One of
anarchists
my-
is that like whatever they do, like when anarchists do things like mutual aid and they build up parallel structures and they build their own co-ops, I love that. But they seem to do it most successfully within capitalist countries. Like so, what's the breeding
In
ground of
capitalist
like
countries, do you
anarchists?
think
It's
it's
in capitalist states. Yeah,
as a result of that state being capitalist that they're able to
100%. Yeah,
thrive?
the fact
Why
that they
is
have
that?
the fact that they have the freedom to do it.
The freedom to do it. Do you think that the freedom to advocate for certain political things is derived from capitalism?
They have the there's a bit of a Venn diagram. I would say I don't think it's derived from capitalism. They just seem to overlap a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think cause well fuck. I don't think correlation equals causation, because I think that even though okay, here's what I'm looking at, right? So we have the quote unquote communist countries like North Korea and whatever the fuck, who
Mhm.
they're like and fuck, what is it? What's the other one? The Soviet Union. I'm gonna use it as an example. They aren't like really like okay. They don't like have a okay. Fuck. They have oligarchies, but
Focus.
they don't have.
Focus.
Sorry, autism, ka. Okay. Okay. So they don't have.
She's funny. I like her.
capital. They don't have capital, but fuck. What was my point? I forgot. Okay. Fuck. Okay, guys, you can go forward. Lead the
Okay,
attack.
great. We'll talk to you
your
later.
your
Tell
communist
2 Owls. Let's see what.
comrade is gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Okay,
see
it's
what
gonna
2 Owls 1 Coat has to say. 2 Owls 1 Coat. What do you have for Lonerbox here?
Let's say I mostly agree with Lonerbox most of his takes. I think that he is actually very practical and follows evidence and science-based blah 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 shit like that. Very rational. But I guess the only qualms I would have is I think I saw you give your opinion on this, but if you could give it again, please. What is your opinion on guns in the American context, the Second Amendment?
Yeah, I think if people want to own their guns, they can go ahead. Why not? Seems like if they like it, it's fine.
Based.
I'm a bit surprised that so many Second Amendment people recently, after the
don't do that.
Preddy shooting, after the
Yeah.
ICE shootings. No, it is.
That's
No,
dishonest.
sorry, I will do that. It's not dishonest. The NRA put out a statement that made it basically sound like they were.
Fuck the NRA.
But it's not a bit ironic when you got people like fucking Trump, the president, saying, "Oh, I don't like it that he had a gun." I'm sorry. No, if you want the Second Amendment,
I'll give you that one.
That also means you have to acknowledge that Democrats are going to own guns as well. Sorry. And
He was
communists
committing
might
a
own guns.
felony
Also based.
obstructing,
They should have
committing
done.
a felony
shut up.
obstructing law enforcement with a gun. That's the hang up. Not that
He
he had a
wasn't
gun or that he even had a gun at a
obstructing law
protest.
He never used it.
gun.
I can do that.
Well,
I can go ahead.
He
And,
obstructed law enforcement with was his arm, and he went, "Whoa,
Oh, hold on.
whoa, whoa.
You're out of your
You
fucking
okay?
mind,
Yeah,
Lonerbox.
Lonerbox is
Are
actually.
you okay?
Lonerbox is actually.
lady?
Hold on.
Okay.
Lonerbox is actually right here. Like if you own guns and you're like a Texan, right? And you're like, I own guns to fight the government. And I actually okay with Dims doing this to some extent. Like you're going to be like resisting the government, which would be the cops. Yeah, if you have guns like that, like, you can't be a Republican and go, I'm pro 2A, and then be pissed when the Black Panthers are walking around with guns. I'm for one going, hell yeah, brother, have your guns, walk around. If you want to resist, let's see who wins. That's kind of like what you should be doing. Like, it's kind of, I know I'm dog eat dog world kind of guy, but it's based that at least he agrees with that. I don't know. I kind of am breaking with you on that one, Stream Rift.
Here's the issue. Admiral Gibbs assumes that all Republicans are constitutionalists. They're very obviously not.
Not
second
assuming
of
that at
all-
all. Not assuming
Oh,
that.
you said that
No, we
you
agree
should
they're
be
not.
angry at it, but
I was mainly like
No.
lumping them in there for ease of argument.
Yeah,
But
I know.
I mean,
Yeah. But I'd say that answer I actually disagree with Zigapont's earlier assumption. I think Lonerbox is a liberal. I do, from everything I've seen of him, and with that question more thoroughly answered, I do believe he believes in the. I don't want to say classical liberal. Fucking Sargon poisoned that word. Fucking hell. More a liberal, and I don't think his how to put it, his moral compass would point to him being a socialist. So I think some of your criticisms, Gibbs and Rift, are pointedly more poignant when talking to people like Zigofant.
Sycophant, or what are we
yep.
talking about?
Sycophant?
The person that was just
person
here?
that was on talking about
But not
anarchism.
Loner.
I was
but
just
not
laughing
Loner.
because it was
Loner
unexpected for the
seems-
record.
Yeah, I know. I think Loner is very solidly a good, unlike Destiny, a good model for the left.
Okay.
I would
Probably the
trade
best.
Destiny for Lonerbox. 100%.
Okay.
Destiny's not much of a liberal
Just a little
anymore.
bit
He's
of-
kind of gotten the.
Just hold on,
he's
hold
kinda
on.
gotten
This
off
isn't.
deep
This
end.
also isn't. Okay, just a little housekeeping here, gang. I'm looking for people with issues with Lonerbox, right? Not to glaze, right, or anything like that. I'm sure Lonerbox appreciates it. But we're looking for some conflict here. And gang, if you, yes, you want to get in on this, and you have some questions for him, if you have some issues with him, jump backstage. We got the the Discord link. Click in my YouTube. It's pinned. Click the link. Accept the rules by clicking my face emoji and then jumping backstage, and we'll pull you in. With that, is there anything else you had specifically to Owls One Co? Otherwise, we're gonna move to some other people.
It's been a while, but I can't really. Other than maybe the contention of guns, I think me and Lonerbox will not in perfect agreement. Agree on most. It's
Okay.
like the only thing I want to jump in. All right, love you guys. You have a good one. All right, mwah.
Okay. I guess my question for you, while we wait a little bit for a couple other people to get here, Lonerbox, what is your position on Hutch versus Pisco? Are you Team Hutch or are you Team Pisco? Really curious.
Or what was the debate again? I've forgotten.
Okay, Hutch
Can I
thinks
get a
that
rehash?
Sure. Hutch thinks that people like Kyle Kalinske, Hassan, the Vanguard, etc., are not on our team. They are a detriment to the party, to Democrats as a whole, and we should be criticizing them and punching left, so to speak. As I understand it, Pisco thinks that Hutch is spending too much time and that there's some opportunity
Oh yeah,
cost.
I remember.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
Opportunity. So as the opportunity loss argument doesn't very little sense to me. So for one, I do think that these leftists do deserve at least a bit of criticism from Democrats because they are not the same. They don't want the same thing. My bar for Democrats is quite low. Like, just support the party. But these people don't support they don't support the party. They shit on the party. They give their audience like every round of ammunition possible to hate the party. They're not doing it from within, no matter how much they try to pretend that they are. They should form their own party. That's what we do in Europe. Like, that's why in Europe we don't have this problem. We have social democrat parties that are tax and spend, and they're funded by unions, but they also like private businesses, and businesses support them sometimes. That's one side, and then we have the communist parties who no one likes, and fuck them, right? That's why America needs that as well. Start a new party, or just vote green.
Look, just to clarify, what do you see the difference between? Because like I've heard that argument for the Republican side too. They're like, oh, MAGA isn't like the neocons. MAGA is not like the Tea Party. What do you see as the fundamental difference between like Hassan and his like ilk or whatever y'all want to call them, and like say MAGA like taking over from within like the Republican? Like, what do you?
Because
what do you
Trump
see as
and
the
MAGA
difference?
conquered the Republican Party, whereas I'd rather
fair
so
enough.
far communists haven't conquered the Democratic Party. I'd rather they did. I'd rather they
They're
don't.
just not as successful.
It wouldn't be. Yeah, they're not as successful. Yeah,
Okay.
like obviously, it's kind of like seeing like if you saw the Tea Party in 2012 and you told them, oh yeah, you guys are going to get someone who's actually like a lot more of what you'd identify with, maybe a decade or half a decade down the line. I hope that doesn't happen to the Democratic Party. I hope that people still care about the things that actually made America a good country rather than binning it all. And the thing with like the punching left is that people might say it's like reducing numbers or whatever like that, but like the problem is that when I feel like I have to defend leftism or Democrats, and even with this thing going on right now, I feel like I have to answer for a bunch of things that people who are seen as Democrats, but like Hassan and all that, even though I don't identify with it in the slightest. And the problem is that they are much more. All I see is much more destructive behavior towards the Democrats than anything constructive. Like, because all they want is for the Democrats to basically adopt their platform. And if they don't, then they are just going to relentlessly rag on them. And even to the point where you see Democratic candidates saying like a primary, the most vicious and brutal attacks they get are from the leftists. And some of these are some of the same attacks that Trump uses. So it's a problem when you have people who are like, oh yeah, I'm going to be part of the Democratic Party. I'm going to support them and I'm going to support my candidate. But until then, I'm going to call Pete Buttigieg a rat who's selling out his sexuality. I'm going to call Kamala Harris someone who is jailing tens of thousands of people for smoking weed. She didn't do that. I'm going to call Gavin Newsom gruesome Gav, the same insult that Trump uses. but then also afterwards we'll still support the party, kind of like by telling our audience that there's a lesser of two evils. Like, no, that's not meaningful. But I will say, obviously most of the attacks should go on MAGA. Hutch is like one of 4 or 5 people in this space who bash left. So it's not like there could be any less, really. You reduce what? Hutch, Destiny, me. Who else is punching left to any significant degree from the Democrats? There's not that much of it that I see. So it's
Fair
probably
enough.
a reasonable amount.
Well, that means I don't have an issue. I 100% agree with your take, Lonerbox, so I can't get in on this. Let me read a few super chats, and we'll get this new person in. We'll keep it going. $50 from Dirty Deeds for Free. Says, let me at them. As an American, I think I might be able to speak their language. Again, if you want to fight Streamrift and Gibbs, you could do that. But today's the
Another time.
Lonerbox day, okay? Today's the Lonerbox day. $5 from Robert Paulson to say, can you please make the used burger salesman on the top left stop interrupting? Okay, thank you for the $5. $5 from Alishness. What is Lonerbox's position on excluding or ousting people from the party who don't hold his position?
What, any position? Again, I am all for diversity of opinion, and I think Keir Starmer went way too far. For example, he purged the shit out of every like communist or like Corbyn person in his party, and some of it was just for the most trivial reasons. If someone is a democratic socialist and they believe in co-ops and they believe in a Green New Deal and they believe in more aggressive tax and spend and socializing healthcare and all that, that's fine. Just support the party, and support the party in good faith, and don't smear the shit out of half the candidates and spend 364 days saying that fucking Holocaust Harris is going to be the same as Trump when it comes to fucking Gaza, and then on the last day of the year say, oh yeah, you know, there's lesser two evils, I guess. Fuck that.
Okay. $2 from Testicle Johnson. Make America gay again. Well, thank you for the $2. I do appreciate that. Okay, what do you got, new guy?
Let's see where to start. First of all, Lonerbox, if you had to pick, are you voting for Hassan or Trump? And I'll specify because Pisco's question was incredibly idiotic on this the first time. But assuming Hassan had the exact same support level as Trump.
Don't know, dude. Am I voting Trump or Stalin? Tough one. But it's, man, there's so many fucking layers to this question. I'd probably say Hassan, but then that's like with quite a bit of hesitation. Like,
What are you
the problem
hesitating
is that
over?
the fact that Hassan wouldn't do anything with his power. Hassan doesn't scare me really in terms of having power. What does scare me is the people he emboldens. He emboldens people who support Hamas, who support the IRGC, who support the Houthis and Hezbollah and fucking the CCP, and including all of the rough shit that they do as well. I wouldn't want Hassan, like Hassan would come to power, he would do a bunch of fucking press shoots, and probably do a bunch of like, get a whole bunch of cool clothes and fly about in his little fucking plane and shit. He wouldn't fulfill the wishes that would have got him elected. He wouldn't fulfill the things that people in his audience expect of him. And he would get fucking cooed by Zay Squirrel or Bad Empanada or some shit. And then they would just throw him in the fucking gulag right next to me. That's what would happen. And it's not
that
even
cause-
for Ministry of
Is
War.
that because you see like some of like what Hassan would push, like playing out in the UK with some of this like the pro Islamist like slant the UK's kind of got going on right now? Was that because do you see that happening? Like, do you see more of that happening if Hassan got elected?
If you're at a stage where Hassan's getting elected, yeah, there would obviously be more of that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. I guess I'm asking because you live in the UK. I'm assuming based on what I know of it.
Oh, in the UK,
is that informing your decision on this? Like how is that? Is that like because you see in that real time what Hassan's policies are playing out? Like kind of over there what he wants?
No.
Okay.
The people doing those protests don't have political power. I think the Gaza wing, because there was like the independents who who marketed themselves as the Gaza candidates, and I think out of 630 odd seats, they won 5. They don't have power, but they have that presence in the streets. Okay. No, but the problem with Hassan is the stuff that he espouses and the kind of people that he uplifts. Yeah, that's the problem. The ideology that he is behind.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Sorry.
No, I was gonna jump to a different question, but if you want to keep
do
going,
it. Go, Doughboy.
Right.
Go.
Real quick. Are you for or against U.S. strikes in Iran in order to change the regime?
I don't know if it has to be in order to change the regime. I think the moment's maybe past. Okay, so I've got like, if it were any other president, I would just say yes. That's it, because that regime is absolute fucking dog shit, and they have to go. They're like, the protesters deserve all the help that they get. They, even if it's not with like hard means, you can still give them Starlink, and you can do things like by cyber attacking the IRGC to make it harder for them to clamp down on protesters. There's all kinds of measures that can be done to achieve that. At the stage where the crackdown was happening, is like, what's the ethical argument against like bombing a riot police barracks before they go out and fire on protesters? I don't know why people would oppose that. Iran is not going to be like Iraq or Syria or Libya or any of these other countries, that because they don't have the same sectarian divides. Like, there's no, who are the armed militias in Iran who are going to seize the government and rule with an iron fist that's somehow worse than the IRGC? It can't get worse than the IRGC. The IRGC put the Shah's record to shame in like 2 years with the amount of people they killed. So yeah, they have to go. The problem with Trump is that he seems to be making this about a nuclear deal, and the protesters have died down. So I don't know what strikes would even do now. If they're to stop them from rebuilding their nuclear, that's a different story. But
Yeah.
I know
think
that
we have a plan.
just before you reply real quick, I know Streamrift has to go, so thank you for being here, Streamrift. He might be back later. And then also $10 from Jen Wink to say this. I agree with Loner and Hutch. Why should we sit back and let the far left co-opt our party like MAGA did to the Republicans? And why did I get timed out in Lonerbox's chat? I don't know.
Probably for being a jerk.
yeah,
He's a base
That's
centrist,
smart.
apparently.
I have no idea what the person did. So
Fair enough. I have no idea either. But sorry, you don't get an answer to that question because we don't know. Okay.
Quick reply to
Go ahead.
the Iran thing. I agree the time has probably passed because now they're making it about nuclear deals rather than the protests, even though Trump initially said, oh, we're going to support the protests through, like, watch out, Iran. Like, we're going to bomb you or something like that. And I guess the question would be, what did you think about Venezuela? Do you think, like, Trump has the ability constitutionally to take acts of war like this, or were you for or against that?
based on everything I know about Venezuela, that makes so much less sense. I mean, I saw that there was like some random article by making some total conjecture about Chinese missiles being sent there, but even Trump's not making that claim, or at least he's not saying it very often, which probably suggests it's not real. But yeah, Venezuela doesn't make as much sense at all. Like, Iran threatens America. Iran has tried to kidnap people in America. It's tried to murder people in America with their state agents. Like, there was an Iranian American journalist in New York who the Iranian regime tried to kill like 3 times. So obviously it makes much more sense to go for, and obviously nuclear is the highest stakes possible. Venezuela and Maduro were doing nothing compared to that in terms of like invoking the American Constitution. Sending drugs over is not a reason to go in and invade and regime change a country. It doesn't make any sense.
I want to
So
Are you
as a-
high?
just
Why?
finish,
What did I
finish
miss there?
finish your point. Then I want to give it to Zoni here.
Okay. I do have one quick thing to address. I'll skip the Iran question then. Lonerbox, unban me from your Discord.
Oh my
okay.
god!
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just can't believe that
I
last
was
statement. Though, with the
unjustly
Venezuela
banned.
thing. I like, maybe it's because I live like near the border and like I'm seeing stuff, but like for example, I'll give an example. Trinidad, which is backed by the Venezuelan government, right? They literally were taking over apartment complexes here in San Antonio, and I actually got mad during one of the debates. I think it was with Wick. We were on here watching the debate, and he brought up Aurora, and I'm like, I wish he had not brought up Aurora because that was controversial, and he brought up San Antonio because like there's real issues where hundreds of people, like low income people, are getting like their houses taken away because these gangs are coming in and ruining, and it is almost like an invasion, and they all do have a military presence. And so, yeah, I when they're sitting here saying there's no justification constitutionally, I mean, I just think you're wrong. And I think it's mainly because of ignorance. I don't think you're dumb. I just think you just don't know what's happening here on the border with some of these Venezuelan gangs, along with some of these other cartels.
Well, first of all, if there are gang members coming into the country, are they coming like, but the state is sending them there, or they're there as
Both.
people fleeing
Yeah,
the country,
well,
or I would imagine
it's
people in
both.
Venezuela from Venezuela who've come to America are people who are fleeing the regime, right? That's why they're there.
Sure,
Meaning the
but there's
government
both.
was
Like, yeah,
sending.
absolutely.
Wait, is there any evidence that the Venezuelan government was sending gangsters with arms to America to stir up shit?
Oh, well, that would be based if you believe on the evidence that Tren de Agua is directly linked to the government. If
Wait,
you
wait,
do
wait.
believe that,
That's not what I
then yes, you would.
asked. That's not what I asked.
Okay,
I
well,
asked if there's
well,
evidence.
well,
Because
yeah,
why am I
yes.
hearing this from Trump? I'm hearing that they're sending drugs over. That there are drug boats.
Well, they are sending drugs over. Yeah, the cartel of the sun,
Not that
and then
there are
Tren de Agua.
not that the government is sending gangsters with guns, because
Yeah.
that would be like soldiers,
So,
right? That
let
would be
me-
like they're invading the country with soldiers, like military.
Right.
I've
That is
never
the
heard that
problem.
from
So
Trump.
yeah, there are groups of people, the Venezuelans, that have fled Venezuela, because they were persecuted. That is true. But it's also true that the cartel of the sun and Tren de Agua, who has sanctioned members of the government in it, right, has also been operating and sending people here for nefarious reasons, such as drug selling, as property management, as all sorts of different things, but that subvert the American system, which is a government sanctioned thing by the Venezuelan government. Yeah, that is also happening. Both things can be true
isn't even in
simultaneously.
that part though, because obviously for American standards, if we're talking about American law or constitution, you would require an invasion would mean they're sending armed forces over to your country. That's
Well,
all.
yeah,
an invasion is.
and that's why they've
Trump is
reclassified the
why is
cartels as
why is that
terrorist
not in
orgs.
why is that not in Trump in the indictment against Maduro? If he's sending armed forces to the country, they'd be screaming this from the rooftops. I know this isn't true. I'm just trying to
Okay.
see
I mean,
why.
it is
Okay.
true. It is
I
true.
do want to. I do want
I mean,
to. I do
I
want to.
could literally
I do want
arrest
to throw a
somebody
flag
in
because we
the
do.
guy living
We'll
in.
get back to it. I'm sure. We'll get back to it. I'm sure. But I want to thank you, the Doughboy or whoever, for coming in, and maybe you'll get
No problem.
unbanned one day, but we'll see.
Yeah, one day
Bye-bye,
Lonerbox will
buddy.
apply.
Okay. Zoni.
Yeah, I just had a quick question about UK politics.
Mhm.
I guess it might be a disagreement. Do you think people should bash on the Labour Party in the UK, or do you think it's important that you try to help them right now because they're probably going to get fucked in the next election?
I mean, you can. There is bashing that is helpful. It depends on what you're bashing them on. There are issues I've got with Keir Starmer, but it just depends on what the issue is. Do you have any in mind, or is that just a broad?
I mean, I know it's different for you because you live in Scotland, right? So I'm guessing you're not voting for the Labour Party. I don't know how your elections work really. What party do you vote for? The Scottish National Party, right? I'm guessing.
Well, I've moved constituency now, so I think this is a Labour safe seat, which means I would go for them. But yeah, it does depend on whether or not it's an SNP Liberal or Labour seat. Which one has the most chance of winning against Reform? It would probably be Labour where I am, though, so I'd go for them.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to argue about strategies in the UK. I'm kind of in this myself right now in my own country, where I'm trying to figure out how do we actually win the next election, at least form a non-right-wing party, I guess, in the government. But
Wait, what country are you in?
I'm in Denmark.
Denmark, okay. Hasn't the Greenland situation, has that affected the? I heard.
yeah.
I saw one article saying that the left has actually been boosted now because of it.
Yeah, the Social Democrats were getting fucked in the polls. They were they've consistently been the biggest party in Denmark for many years, but they were I don't know, they might have actually fallen to third or something, but now they are again the biggest party.
Well done, Trump. Emboldening socialism. Let's go.
Okay, let's get some of these super chats out of the way. Okay. We have $5 from Loner Unboxed. Question for the panel. What are your thoughts on Black History Month?
Hey, everybody gets a month.
Okay. Nothing wrong with it. Okay. $5 from the Trib 1. Jen Wink got timed out because she was thinking about JQing while in chat. Shame. Okay. $5 from Psychor Games. Now that I know Hutch and Pisco's garbage takes on The Last of Us Part 2, I must know loners. Also, what are some good books on Israel and Palestine? So, what is your take on Last of Us Part 2?
Haven't watched Last of Us. Sorry.
Okay. And
I got
what are
huge
some
blind
good
spots.
books
I
on
only
Israel
watched
and
Game of Thrones
Palestine?
season 8. Sorry. The best season. Books in Israel Palestine. It depends on what period you want to look at. If you want to learn about the entire conflict, I would say Tom Segev's book is quite good for it, and so is Morris's Righteous Victims. You can also read Khalidi's 100 Years War in Palestine if you want to see probably the best broad history from the Palestinian perspective. I don't know. I think learning some of the earlier stuff is quite good because it's a big blind spot for a lot of people. But probably one of the best ones that I read recently was I'm always bad for remembering the names though. It was Neville Mandel's book. I think it was just called like Arabs and Jews in pre-World War I Palestine or something like that. That's a really good book. It really tells you a good understanding of how things started in the region.
Okay. And then $10 from the Trib One to say the insane amount of cry-bullying from the far left is problematic. No, you don't have power, and no, you don't have the victim card. Work on your politics. Hutch is valid. Loner is valid. The Dems are valid. Okay, thank you for the $10. Okay, biracial Kaiba. What do you have for Mr.
Great name, by the
Lonerbox?
way. Great name.
Thank you. I guess I have two questions. First question, I guess, for Lonerbox. I wanted to know, seeing how like the different political figures online, like say like Sneeko, Nick Fuentes, and Andrew Tate, they all seem to like be able to culminate and like get together, despite shit talking each other a great deal about like in terrible ways. Do you think there's any chance that the online left, say like Destiny, Vosh, like Hassan, you can put away like past things. Don't get me wrong, a lot of it is just like rightfully people are like upset about rightful things, but no, I'm not saying go to a club and play like how whatever the equivalent of like the left's thing is. But like any chance you guys can get together to like show a more of a stronger front, or is there a chance of that just for the sake of just like the better good, I guess.
So a couple of things. One, the right wingers in America they're not as united as people think they are, especially the creators. Like Candace Owens is at war with fucking all of them right now, right? And over the Charlie Kirk stuff. But yeah, if you're going to talk about Hassan and Vosh and Destiny and all that, the problem is that like when it comes to Hassan and Vosh, it's like they just want different things. Like they have very, very clear ideological problems with center left liberals that are just irreconcilable. And it's unfortunate because obviously, like when you talk to MAGA, they don't see the difference. But
Can you
it's
give us an
obviously-
example of one of those from, let's say, Vosh? Because we talked about Hassan earlier, I think. Like, what would you say is one of Vosh's irreconcilable differences with Democrats or your position?
So I haven't caught up with Vosh too much lately. I don't know what his position right now is on the party. If what I've heard is true, that's if whatever is true, that he's saying that he couldn't even support Democrats if Gavin Newsom was there, then that's a problem. Like, it's just, I don't know how you could say that, especially when the opposition is as bad as it is. You wouldn't get behind the person who's the alternative to them, even if someone you don't like Gavin. The foreign policy that's happened with the far left over the last 2 years has just been completely insane to me. Like, the kind of positions that these people expect a government to have on Israel is and the Middle East is just like, it's not, it doesn't seem to stop at just stop arming them. Some people say that, but it's like, I really refuse to believe that these people would just completely lose interest in Palestine as long as America stops arming them. For one, there are lots of European countries that do fuck all with Israel. They still had these protests all over the streets, so that doesn't make sense. But when it comes to America, really, do you think these people would give up interest in Palestine just because there's no funding from America going right now? We saw this with one of Hassan's lists, right? When he was saying that, well, if you have to give them the phone call, if the phone call doesn't work, then do the arms embargoes. If that doesn't work, do the sanctions. If that doesn't work, invade Israel. Well, Israel would rather be invaded to then meet the demands that Hassan has for them, because the demands would get them destroyed. It would get them killed. So that is, I think that is irreconcilable. And because it also just necessitates, I've heard Vosh do this, if someone doesn't hold that position that you do on Israel, well, that means you're going to smear half the party as genocide deniers and genocidaires, even, perpetrators. You can't do that. You can't get a party to win while you're calling them like Hitlers and Bosnian genocide or like Rwanda or whatever. Yeah, you can't do that. It doesn't work. You need to inspire people to vote. One of the big problems is turnout, especially with younger voters, is they don't turn out. Even if they're politically active, even if they tweet about politics all day, they don't turn out because they're lazy or they're uninspired or they don't think it'll matter. They need to be pushed to vote, and you're not going to push someone to vote with that language. So yeah, I think it is irreconcilable.
Okay, does that answer your question, biracial Kaiba?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because I always, even if as much as you'd like something like that, I guess there's always a lot of splintering with the left because of purity testing too. And don't get me wrong, there's some of that on the right, but with the left, it'd be just very, when I can tell, very small differences, and it's just oh, well, we can't work together, or talk about certain things. But I guess the other question would be I'm sorry, were you gonna say Admiral Gibbs? You're gonna say something?
No, go ahead. No.
I was gonna actually my second question. But yeah, that answers it pretty much. But Admiral Gibbs, how do you feel about like recently a lot of people just like not really caring about just people's like I guess basic gun rights in America just because of I guess like almost playing like team sports in a way and
I
just
hate
like
it. I hate it. It's awful. It's bullshit. Like, I mean, like, yeah, I Lonerbox addressed this earlier. Like, and I agreed with him. If you are really truly a 2A guy, then you want the Black Panthers to have the guns. You want them to be resisting the blue. These people that put like, oh, back the blue, and then like, listen, I like back the blue. Cool. Like I like cops. I don't have any problems with cops. But like, if you actually believe that you're going to start a revolution, the first people you're going to be fighting are going to be the cops. They're not going to be fighting the military. So like on some level, yeah, I'm glad that these people are starting to arm themselves and go and militarize and go and do stuff because that is like what 2A is for. Whether that's a good or bad thing is a whole different debate. Once again, I think it's a great thing. So I have a problem with people that do this and that play team sports and the gun rights. I think that Lonerbox was kind of based earlier when he said this argument earlier. So, but I know we're not glazing him. But I wanted to say the other thing. Then I lost my thought. But that's my thoughts on that.
Okay. I want to give it
appreciate
to
it.
Yeah, I want to give it to Psychor. Psychor, what do you have?
Honestly, I was just chatting backstage and I wasn't expecting to get pulled. But while I'm here, I might as well ask Lonerbox to repeat himself when he was invoking the name of one of those Israel-Palestine. I'm the $5 super chat. What was it? Tom Segetz, you said? And a righteous victims and a Segev.
Yeah, Segev, yeah.
How's it spelled? Sigegev?
Segev, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of pro Lonerbox. You can kick me soon, but I don't know that much about I want to become increasingly smart about the Israel-Palestine conflict. My opinions on it are still evolving. All my peers hate Israelis and are practically anti-Semitic to some degree, but I want to make a more informed opinion, and I want to read some books on it. And I don't know if there are any truly like non-biased or limited bias books on it, or books that show both sides of the conflict. But I mean, I don't know. I'll let you speak to that.
We're going to
extent.
struggle to find a non-biased one. The Segev one is called One Palestine Complete. That's quite a good one. Is there any particular period or area that you wanted to know about?
No, that's why I'm deferring to you,
area?
because I don't know shit about the conflict other than the things that I glean from Destiny and your community and Hutch and shit.
Okay. Well, yeah,
You
I think
said
those
One
ones are
Palestine,
good
one conflict?
One Palestine Complete, I think is what it's called. Yeah.
Complete. Okay, yeah, okay. Well, thanks for the recommendations. Yeah, what's up?
So, Loner, I remember what I was going to say. Loner, the guy asked just a second ago about the unified front on the left. I think that you're right. The right is not as unified as people think it is. However, I think that I'll give you an example. We brought up Andrew Wilson earlier, right? My version of America is dramatically different than his version of America if we got our way, right? I just want economic freedom, and I don't give a shit what you do socially, right? Whatever. He, has a very avid idea what he wants for structure wise, whatever. However, I think with the right, we're much more able to unite under broad concepts, while the left, y'all seem to purity test. If that's something you inherently see as a detriment, in general, I'm kind of summarizing here to move on faster, but what are your thoughts on was that?
Again, the right does purity test. The problem is that the purity testers won. The purity testers won, and that's why I don't want to see the Democrats become that. What was Trump doing after he lost the 2020 election to all the people? That January 6th committee, so much of that testimony of Trump's behavior before the riots is built up by testimony from other Republicans. He would beef up one Republican one day and give them some support because they wanted to do an audit. But then when the audit didn't find what Trump wanted, and they said, oh, we're not going to do a new slate of electors and push that through the Congress, then Trump turned on them. And then the next couple of days, you see these poor Congress guys who are Trump sycophants. They supported Trump really hard, and they've got Trump supporters outside their house with guns calling them pedophiles, and they have to move because they're fucking 10-year-old daughters having nightmares and shit like that. Yeah, Trump is that's the thing. I don't want the Democrats to become that, because that kind of politics is cancer. And yeah, Trump, that's the problem. The purity testers won, so now people just fall
This
in
is
line.
an aside. Did you see that Will Stancil got punched by Antifa today? Did you see that?
No. I don't know.
No, but I saw that Trump signed a deal with India, 0% tariffs, and they're no longer going to trade oil with Russia.
No, I was just speaking. I was speaking to the idea of you don't want us to be so purity testy that we are going to people's house, right, calling them pedophiles, scaring their kids and things like that. And I do see a lot of the far left act a lot like MAGA, to be clear with you. And Will Stancil, guy, pretty lib-coded, he's been going around in Minnesota following ICE, honking his horn, blowing his little whistle at them and stuff like that, recording things. They are mad at Will Stancil because Will Stancil wants the press along to ride along with him, and he's documenting what he's doing and things like that. They don't like that. And so today he had a little altercation where he was asking people to stop setting things on fire, I guess, that they were doing in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And they punched him. And
Wow.
so we got this kind of like leftist, this far leftist agitators, for lack of a better term, just trying to just push the libs out, and it's pretty bad. Anyway, I
Yeah,
just wanted to
not
know
good.
if you saw
I don't want us to become left MAGA. That
Yeah,
wouldn't be
exactly.
nice. Also, I will just make a comment that is very funny. That 90 deals in 90 days became, we got a deal with India. Like how many?
Oh, here we
much
go.
more
Okay,
than 90
Look
days
at the
later.
bullshit. We have lots of deals.
Yeah,
There's tons of
just
deals.
real quick, let me
Lately,
get
there's
through
so
these,
many deals.
There's not lots of deals.
Yeah, let
Definitely
me get
not
through
90
these
90
super
days
chats, and we'll let the
anyway.
new guy take a shot at this.
Fuck me.
Fell Runner for $5. Do you believe there is a credible threat that Trump will pause elections on the lie that 2020 was illegitimate, or is this an overblown concern?
I'm so sorry. Was that question to me? 'Cause I
Yes,
wasn't
that was a
listening.
question to
Sorry.
you.
Okay. Can I hear it again? I'm so
Sure.
sorry.
Do you believe that there is a credible threat that Trump will pause elections on the lie that 2020 was illegitimate, or is this an overblown concern?
I don't know enough about how the voting system works. It seems like he wants to do it. I don't know why else he's trying to muscle ballot records from, what was it, Minnesota and Georgia. That seems very strange. I wouldn't put it past him, but I have no idea. I don't know like what means he has to actually do it.
Fair enough. Well, I'm concerned that he's going to start putting ICE on ballot places, like ballot locations, and say, well, we're concerned about illegal voters, and they're going to just flood it with like paramilitary to intimidate the citizens. That's my concern.
It'd be terrible if we had, checks against illegals voting. That'd be just awful, wouldn't it?
Just to be clear,
Crazy,
putting
right?
ICE soldiers in voting booths is not going to be.
Nobody's talking about putting ICE soldiers in
it's not
voting
a-
booths. Maybe they're putting them outside and walking around. Going, hey, you got your ID here for the thing? Oh,
Doesn't
okay, cool.
America
You're good.
already
Like,
have measures against illegals
We
voting?
do,
Like,
we
they
have
catch
plenty.
people
I mean,
with
it's
blood
just,
all the time,
isn't
like,
it funny? Isn't it funny that like 20% to 22% of ICE arrests happen in Texas? No riots. 2%, less than 2% are happening in Minnesota. Riots everywhere. Oh, they're gonna take over the voting. It's crazy work. It's clearly that y'all have been using illegals to get fucking people in here for votes, and now we're all
No,
wise.
it's almost as if- that's
and,
first of all, that has
oh,
nothing to do with illegals voting. That also,
and
also
100%
of
has
course-
a lot to do
yeah,
with
of course,
illegals
ICE is
voting.
going to have less friction when they are acting in cooperation with the state government. Whereas
Ah.
when Trump is just sending 2,000 fucking knuckle draggers into Minnesota because he watched a video from a guy who can barely fucking speak, saying that he found loads of fraud because a fucking care center
Yeah,
wouldn't.
but, I
let
mean,
him
there's
come
fol-
in
there's
and
follow-ups,
gape
so there's
his
lots of
fucking
fraud.
cave over the kids and drool into
But
their
there's
fucking ears and make
millions,
sure that
there's
they're
billions
legal
and billions.
citizens.
We already
Okay, let me
confirmed the
finish.
fraud.
Let me
It's just the
finish
amount
these.
of fraud. That's crazy.
Yeah, let me
work,
finish
which is
these
good
super
idea.
chats. We'll get through it. I promise.
Fraud that was prosecuted by under the Biden administration,
Yeah.
by the way.
No, not that fraud. The new fraud. They've token.
what, the
They
new
maybe
fraud
charge.
that,
They
not
maybe
resulted
charge
in
some people, some
prosecution? Okay,
token
yeah, yeah.
people. This is what they do. This is what every person does. They go in there. They charge some
Come on,
token
Gibbs,
people.
let the man make some money.
Sorry. We're gonna finish this real quick, and then we can make some money.
Real
They
quick.
sit here and go. They go, hey, we're gonna charge these little losers that were the small fish, while we are getting in cahoots. We already know. We have tons of evidence of billions and billions of dollars worth of fraud,
No, you
and
don't.
y'all are going, nah.
Okay,
The Biden administration
okay.
investigated.
Throwing a flag on the play. Alishness for $5 says, I claimed you had hat hair. Your face and outfit is very Steve Jobs adjacent, but your hair is nice. It reminds me of a Ushanka, respectfully. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why full head of hair is an insult. God damn it.
Thank
That's all
you
he
for the
went on
fucking
fucking balding people on this platform.
Hey,
Amen.
No
That's
disrespect.
careful, Lonerbox. Careful. Okay, I'm taking some
Yeah, hair
side
superiority.
swipes. Okay,
Oh.
I'm catching some strays. $10 from Bad Company. From San Antonio, just here to say Gibbs is lying. Tren de Agua is not taking over apartment complexes here.
It happened.
It was
I
a
can give you the
raid
article.
at a nightclub. He's mixing
Not
up his
true.
MAGA propaganda with Colorado.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm not. I could actually give you the article. It's an apartment complex. 400 people lost their homes because they destroyed it and they had to condemn the
Send
apartment
me the
complex after
article
they
and
did
I'll
a
look at it
raid,
later.
and 22 people. I'll pull
Yeah,
it. Okay.
$5 from Bearded Pinecone. Have the latest revelations in the Pixie versus Destiny court case moved any of your previous opinions?
I'd rather not go into this.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
if I've ever said anything that was like disinformation, then I'll do that. Like apparently the person, it seems like we know that there wasn't that minor involved. So okay, or at least he wasn't sending stuff to a minor. So I corrected that. But otherwise, no, fuck that.
Fair enough.
Sorry, no, thank you.
No worries. $5 from AKA Batozai. Lonerbox, is it concerning that there have been multiple instances of violence against the public from trans individuals?
What? There's been multiple. This is not a social issue. What the fuck?
Okay.
And I learned that from Silence of the Lambs. Trans
And
people are
Wick, I just sent
generally
Wick the article.
quite
I could send him
happy.
about
Well,
50
just
more.
let me finish these real quick. $5 from Ben Swanson. Just to clarify, Trump came out today and said we should federalize the U.S. elections.
Hmm.
So that is concerning to me. I do want to give a chance for new guy A to have his space. What do you got for Lonerbox, sir? Or
Yeah,
ma'am, I
I
guess.
appreciate being here. Also, fan of your content, Loner. Big history guy myself, so it's cool that we have someone that covers it in the streaming world. I have two questions for you. They're both foreign policy. They're unrelated. The first is, I think one of the things it feels like I've been observing when it comes to some of these organizations like Amnesty and Human Rights Watch is, it seems like they've gotten significantly more homogenous with who's in those organizations, and that drives a lot of how they work in their space. I'm wondering if that's something you feel is an accurate representation of what's going on with those orgs. Do you think that's just natural inertia of people are leading those organizations with a certain political bias, and so they hire the same people, or do you think there's like another driver of that, if you even agree with the original point?
I've never really tried to look into exactly how those organizations got the way that they did when it comes to Israel, because that's, to be honest, that part's just not been as interesting to me. I think you can explain it quite easily. Like, obviously, there's like the conspiratorial argument, which is that these states that oppose Israel can't really win any real wars, so they just invest all their time and effort into the propaganda wars, and they use their UN bloc votes and their connections to and they use the UN a lot more than a country that doesn't really need it as much, like the Western powers. But no, I think I'm much more simple. Like humanitarian organizations, it makes sense for them to have like a bias towards. Like the civilian. Like if you imagine like international law at its most basic level, it's supposed to be one, if a country needs to go to war, then it should defend their right to do that, to deal with threats or whatever else. But it also needs to protect civilians in the process. And obviously a human rights organization is going to lean much further towards the latter. So like they're going to assume someone is civilian unless they are given an ungodly amount of evidence otherwise, which is quite hard to get in the middle of a war. So I understand that, but I think maybe the result of that is that when you start to produce this much like bias in one way, then you become susceptible to biases. And for the life of me, I can't understand why. Maybe because they think that if they get undermined, then humanitarian situations won't get taken seriously. But human rights organizations don't own their mistakes ever. It's really strange. You know that whole like, have you ever heard of? You probably hear this from like very niche far left spheres, but this idea that Western sanctions against Iraq in the 90s killed like 500,000 infants. This is completely bullshit. Like it was fabricated by Saddam's regime. And the initial people who researched it went back and surveyed people and found out that a bunch of like dead babies were being reported on that just didn't exist, or like miscarriages were being overreported as babies killed from malnutrition and stuff like that. Like it was really insane. But if you look at UNICEF's website or the organizations that spoke about it, they have reports on it that you can still access. But now, if you look at like Iraq life expectancy 90 to 2000, now that Saddam's gone and we've actually been able to access their documents, it just shows a normal life expectancy, like no famine in the middle. But they had never gone back and said this report was like nonsense. Sorry, like I don't know why they do that, and it influences the press as well, because even when they stop using false claims or exaggerated claims, the press doesn't. So yeah, it's an issue.
Yeah,
But I
and
don't know
to be
why.
fair, I'm coming from I'm very supportive of like almost all of those organizations. I'm like a contributor to like Doctors Without Borders, but it's just like, it's a concern to me where I feel like if these organizations start to continue to act that in that way, that like it itself undermines like their own mission, because ultimately you like need cooperation both ways for them to be at their most successful. My other question, and this is why it's very unrelated, is there's been a lot of talk of like Israel, Gaza, like Iran, Syria. I'm wondering if like you've done any research or what you think about like Turkey's role in the region, because it seems like they have like a kind of an ambiguous role in the sense that like they're a part of NATO, so you think they're nominally aligned with like the United States and like other Western interests, but it seems like regionally they've been more backing. I think like if we're connecting this to Iran, like they're more backing like the current Iranian regime, and I'm wondering what you think that entails for like Turkey's future posture when it comes to like relations with the West and
Sorry,
the
I had
allies
to
of the
mute the
West,
stream.
and then like what it means or what it means for their relations with like the axis of resistance or whatever's left of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard this theory that, because I always, every now and then I'll see like some article that has like this headline about how Erdogan basically wants to be like the new sultan, and like in terms of influence in the Middle East. Yeah, I don't really know. They just seem like a wild card, and I would have to do a lot more reading to know exactly kind of why they do that. But I guess it's just like because of wherever they have their interests, and obviously that will produce mixed results. But yeah, I can tell you.
Okay.
All right, fair enough. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Sackers, your audio's
Yes.
a little scuffed.
No,
but
I'm sorry. I'm using a laptop. I had to mute the stream a minute ago so it wouldn't echo over. Yeah, I do have a question, and I've been thinking about it lately. Now that the October ceasefire has by and large held and it's fallen out of the news cycle, I've honestly realized how destructive the actual like movement was to domestic politics in the US, because it kind of peaked in 2025, in my opinion, in terms of like rhetoric, to the point where I felt like I was stuck in like a Nuremberg rally on loop. It like the movement, in my opinion, I felt started going after like random ass Jews as opposed to like actual politicians who were like, yeah, these like crimes against humanity, these are actually good. Because there were a lot of people like that in the American government. And like, especially with Trump, because Trump was saying from like day one, his policy was going to be, yeah, I'm going to let Bibi take over the entire strip and we're going to build like the Riviera or whatever. And they ignored that. They went after fucking Harris, and I'm starting to suspect that what they wanted from her is they wanted nothing short of like gassing B'nai B'rach or some shit, to the point where I'm like not really sure what the point of any of that was. And I'm going to say this as someone who's like been in the area before, has lived around here. The reason why Dearborn and Hamtramck went right wing is because of social conservatism.
yeah, what is your question?
My question is why we needed to even facilitate this like activist sect during the elections and even afterwards, when they were like so hell bent on just like uncompromising, just
So why
absurd demands.
why did we need to coddle or to promote these protesters and things like that? Go ahead, Lonerbox.
Okay.
No,
This is supposed to be
Lonerbox.
a
I think
contentious
Lonerbox has got
panel.
enough to
What
answer
the
the question.
fuck? What in the fuck? Yeah, this is supposed to be a contentious panel. What the fuck?
Look,
That was just
I am
a nice
asking
comment and a
if you
question.
have
Just a reasonable
issues with
question.
Lonerbox. Come on in.
Oh, okay. Well, it's okay. I'll answer it. Fucking. It's just, yeah, like, I think maybe America just isn't as used to this problem. I feel like,
Hold on, I'm going to mute you, Saxers, because no one.
That's fine. I'll do it myself.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, obviously in Europe there was people kowtowed to it a lot as well. Like Macron made some stupid decisions in relation to it. No, I think people just need to understand that, like, for a lot, again, some people just they're seeing a lot of fucking blood and death on their fucking social media account, and they wanted to stop, and then they're not going to know the conflict like that well because it's something that's been out of the news for a really long time. Like back when I used to make videos about settlers and apartheid and all that shit, like no one was watching that stuff compared to my other videos. Like no one cared. But so they're coming in with not that much information, so they'll just latch themselves onto whatever is already floating around, like all the slogans and all the statements, and then they feel like that's the way to get around it. So it's a shame that there just wasn't enough alternative voice to besides just like the vicious like right wingers who just hate Muslims and want Israel to do whatever they want and like love Netanyahu and shit. It's a shame that there was nothing in between those that cared enough. But I think people just need to remember that for a lot of people, they're not really doing politics. Like, if you're ever confused about why they didn't seem to want to come up with a policy agenda that was actually realistic, or were not willing to pay attention to what's actually going, like, that's not politics what they're doing. Like someone screaming at you on social media, or like disowning a friend because of because they won't call it genocide, or accusing everyone of like being like Holocaust perpetrators because they support the Democrats, or because they support a particular candidate, or because they actually think there is a huge difference between Biden and Harris, or between Biden, Harris, and Trump. That's not, like, for a lot of people, it's like that was the trending thing, and it made people feel good about themselves, and it was aesthetically quite powerful because you felt like you're on the right side of history. It's against colonialism. It's against like basically like an effigy for all the crimes that our own countries have committed in the past. And it makes people, especially students and younger people who are just learning about all the bad things that Western Europe and America did in the past, and it just makes them feel better about themselves. And also because I guess, like, I don't know, like some people just don't have personalities, so they fill it in with keffiyehs and River to the Sea and all that shit. That's why. But I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. People need to get a lot better at spotting the difference between someone who's into politics and actually wants to debate an issue, or they've got an interest in an area, versus someone who is doing something for other ambiguous, vague, more like narrative reasons or whatever else.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Aggrandizement, yeah.
It does, and I do have because I did I think this question came up with like a previous, I think Soy Pill was doing it, and I think Vadim came in, and that's where I got the idea for that question, because I was listening to this conversation and I was like, I completely disagreed with Vadim, because I thought, like, okay, well, this group seems to be very maximalist and is probably even pro-Trump, considering the way I've heard, like, oh, well, at least Trump wants peace, so it felt very degrading. And now I'm not really sure what the end result is going to be from all of this. Like, I'm a little bit salty because I've been pretty invested with Ukraine for a long time, and it felt especially like they kind of ignored it at just the perfect opportunity. And as Russia was like doing things that even Israel did, but actively saying like, this is good, we are doing this like atrocity and it's like the best thing ever and you can cope and seethe, and like objectively admitting to the fact that they were like evil and being proud of it. It's just like,
okay,
it's hard for me to really rationalize, especially since a lot of those activists were like extremely hostile to East Europeans. Oh, got it. Sorry about that. I'm gonna head out now.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Do appreciate you.
You're welcome.
And also, just so everybody's aware, I want to just clarify that other super chatter Wix, so you give Wick more money if you want to debate. But I posted the link in there and I sent it to Wick, and it said exactly verbatim what I said. So Gibbs was not confused. You were just lying, or you were ignorant. It's okay.
Whoa.
Done. $5 from Trib1. Loner, question for you. Is there a way Trump can legitimately reverse the ill will he secreted when it comes to USA's allies? I say no, but I don't mind hope and cope.
There is rope that will take that much weight. Yeah, of course there are things he can do.
Oh, damn, okay.
He's a fucking knucker. Like, yeah, he won't do it. He'll take it to the grave. No chance.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess on that line, say Democrats do get into power in 2028, right? So 2026 we were in the midterms. 2028, we get whoever our presidential candidate happens to be wins the election. So now we got the House, now we got the Senate, now we got the White House. What foreign policy wise, what does America have to do? Is there anything America can do at that point to rebuild the trust with the global world order, with Europe, with Britain, with etc., right?
I imagine most world leaders would understand that there's a difference, and they would go back to business as usual. I don't know how.
Why? Hold on, I disagree with
like,
this, and this is maybe we can
really?
something find on. I think that Trump has done generational damage to our reputation, not because world leaders wouldn't recognize that a Democratic candidate or a different candidate isn't Trump, isn't going to do those things. But the fact that America in 2032 or in 2036 or even in 2040 could go back to a Trump-like figure who will threaten to invade Greenland.
Oh, you mean in terms of like their long-term policies?
Yes,
will probably
yes.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that's for the better for some countries, I guess, because maybe Europe has been too dependent on America, and we haven't really pulled our own weight when it comes to defense spending and shit like that. Yeah, that's maybe true to a degree. But yeah, as for rebuilding, like, yeah, there obviously has to be some accountability for MAGA because they've broken like every rule that in the book that makes America America. Like I think for a start, I don't even know. I'm still surprised this didn't happen under Biden. I know why, because of fucking Garland and him being just like a very, milk toasty kind of across the aisle guy. But it shouldn't be the case that even if you thought Trump wasn't guilty of some insurrection or something with January 6th, that should have been resolved legally. Like, it shouldn't be a question up in the air if Trump is even fit to run for president because he denied the results of an election that he lost. You're thinking if you're in a democracy, okay, people have rights, free speech and all that. But if you want to become the president, if you want to run for president, I think the bare minimum is that you respect the results of an election, unless you have a good reason not to. Trump did not have a good reason not to. So the fact that there wasn't even some kind of trial or some kind of like expedited process or something to find out that you've got 4 years to see if this guy's even fit to run for office. He clearly isn't or wasn't because of his disdain for the elections that he's willing to run in. So yeah, they should have done. I think maybe after MAGA, if there is a post MAGA, it would have to be starting with that. Like, you can't have election deniers running for elections.
For the world to kind of trust us again, if I'm if I'm understanding what you're saying, we would have to hold MAGA to account in some way, shape, or form legally, for the world to kind of trust.
If they can prove in a court of law that he knowingly was lying about what happened in the election, and we can do that, mens rea, it's not that difficult. And if they could prove that case, then yeah, why the fuck are you allowed to run an election then? What's the point?
Well, hold on. Listen. Do you agree? Let's just say that Trump, in this meantime, because this was a hypothetical y'all proposed, that the Dems take power, right? Do you agree that in the meantime, between now and the next presidential, they find quite a bit of evidence of something was up with the 2020 election? Because I know people are going to say, "Oh, we investigated it before, and it wasn't," but now it seems like it's a new style. They're finding new things. Trump has more people in place to look and clean out the rot, or allegedly, right? So if they find that there was actually tampering with this election, convictable, evidence based, at what level will you do you need for them to go, okay, maybe Trump wasn't lying that something happened in 2020? And I know this is a conspiracy theory at the moment, but it looks like they're trying to see if it's not. But what level of evidence would you need for them to be okay, something sus happened?
Okay, I'm trying to think if I want to actually humor what you just said, or
sure.
Yeah, okay, let's do the humoring one.
Hold on, we're going to be asked this question. It's going to be 2060, and they're still going to be asking, well, what if we find it now? What if we?
I'll accept if we don't find it in the next 4 or 5 years.
you'll accept it. No, it's already been shown. It's already been shown that the evidence he was using was clearly a lie. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you. It's
No,
so
that's
fucking
not true.
stupid.
Zapata just got convicted like 2 days ago for election interference and fraud, and she was the executive director for the deputy director for elections in Wisconsin. Whenever we have like higher ups like this getting convicted of like fraud with elections, that's a problem, and I think we should look into it. Like, if you are saying that there's none, okay, cool. But
no one is saying
you're wrong.
The question is whether it was outcome determinative. No one is saying that
Sure.
every democracy in every country on earth.
So what level of
has
evidence
some
would you have
people
to
committing
have?
fraud? You'd have to have something that shows you that it was outcome determinative, but that doesn't exist.
Okay.
It doesn't exist.
Well,
And they
we don't know that.
keep on
They're just
unearthing this.
investigating now.
Well, what do you mean we don't know? Okay, so I don't actually trust the Bush v. Gore election. We just don't know. We could still investigate.
Sure.
How long?
I'd agree that one could have been sus too. There was
All right, put it this
all the way back.
Put it this way. Put it this way. Let's say I call you a pedophile, right? I'm insisting you're
Sure.
a pedophile. I don't have any evidence
You're
of this.
insisting.
Yeah, I don't have any evidence of this. I'll maybe make up some things or some conjecture. What if 2 years from now, it turns out you actually did, but it's with a bunch of evidence that I never even used in the first place? Does that mean I'm vindicated?
I
Not
would
really.
say
You
maybe.
get lucky. No, you didn't have a good reason.
Maybe
You
your
have to have
gut
a good
was
reason
your
to
gut
say
was
that-
right.
But it's not. It's
something, like
gut.
in that
It's
case.
false. It's bad
To be
evidence.
clear, I'm not a pedophile.
Yeah,
Like,
I know you're not.
I
I'm
like-
sorry to use you
Okay,
as an example.
no
But
one in
the
this
State Farm
call
Arena
is a
video was
pedophile,
a
just
gut
to be
instinct.
clear.
It was-
Okay.
Yeah, just to be clear though, the State Farm Arena video was not a gut instinct. That was fake. It was fabricated evidence. The dead voters was not a gut instinct. It was a piece of fabricated evidence. It was a fabricated evidence. The fact that Trump said, "Oh, the courts only threw it out on standing. They didn't even look at the merits." That was false. They did look at the merits. You can read
some
the
of these
cases.
elections were like 12,000 difference. That's not a very large number to fake, right? Across a state, right? So like when we're sitting here looking,
You're just saying, "Oh, it's not impossible. It's not like humanly impossible." That's not a good reason.
Sure, I'm not saying it's. Hold on.
And to commit crimes.
I'm not an election denier, right? Like I'm just like whatever, he lost. Now, I do think we should investigate based on some of the stuff I've seen. Cool, and we like further investigations. I don't think enough's been done, but like I'm not going to sit here and go, I think it was outcome determined. I agree. I guess I'm just asking if there's ever a level of evidence y'all will accept that if it comes out that they're like, oh, Georgia was determined. Maybe Wisconsin was there something sus that happened. Like maybe if there was like one state where there wasn't a fraud for it to be outcome determined in said state, like is there a level of evidence y'all will accept? And I keep coming back to this thing, and I think the answer is no. I don't think there's any level of evidence y'all will accept, which is kind of scary to me. News not so much because you're British or whatever, but like the witch, I think it's more scary.
No, fuck up. We haven't seen any. Like what I've seen a lot of evidence of is people lying. So even if everything you just said is correct, and actually it was outcome determinative frauds, Trump still lied. He still used examples that were easily debunkable. Were debunked by his own aides, by people like Bill Barr, by people who supported him tooth and nail all the way to the fucking end of the earth, by fucking Raffensperger, by Rusty Bowers. These were Trump's own guys. Who
that's
said,
how investigations happen all the time.
Well, the problem
Trump's
here,
own guys were saying,
but
your
investigations
claims
happen
are
where they
not
like they
standing up
think
to the
it's one
evidence. You are
thing.
lying.
No, but investigations happen. They think it's one thing, and they start investigating. They might not find that actual thing, but then they'll find a litany of other frauds.
Hold the problem. The problem here is that they have done investigations, right? They've done positive investigations to look for illegal voters, right? And they did this in Utah. I think they did this in Arizona. They did this in a few other states just like 2 weeks ago. Okay, we're not talking like a huge state. You know how many? Hold on, just real quick. Do you know how many illegal voters that they found in Utah? From about 1 million voters, right? There's 1 million voters. They found one.
Probably less than 1,000.
They found one. A single one. One, right? And so when you look at these states and you're like, is there fraud? There's like 10 or 14 or 2. Okay?
Like, do you remember Cyber Ninjas, a partisan group, the pro-Trump group, Cyber Ninjas? They did an audit. They thought they'd found something. Then they realized that what they had, their final result was that Biden actually had more votes than the initial count through their audit.
Like I said,
I'm not
an
organization. They've investigated so fucking. There's no more investigation you can do to find out.
See, what you can't do. Hold on, Gibbs. But let me respond to you, right? Like what Trump is trying to do, what MAGA is trying to do, right, is they are going to investigate until they get the outcome they want, and they will fire their investigators who don't give them the outcome they want. And so you see this kind of perverse incentive that is placed on Kristi Noem, that is placed on Tulsi Gabbard, that is placed on all these people, right? By Trump saying, unless you give me something where I can prosecute, we're going to fire your ass or we're going to demote your ass. And so they have them going in to Fulton County, taking these records. And I don't trust anything that like these records that they've taken are no longer secure. If you don't think MAGA would fucking falsify that shit, you are naive. Here's the problem with right-wingers, right? If you want to know what MAGA wants to do or what it's thinking of doing or planning to doing, right? Look at what they're accusing the left of doing. Every single accusation they make towards the left is something they've either done, want to do, or are trying to do right now. One of the three. That's it. That's all it is.
Listen, I'm sympathetic. Like I'm not an election denier. I think there should be more investigations personally, but I'm not going to sit here and think that it was outcome of the threat. I also don't give a shit. It's just like January 6th for me. I wish we'd stop this debate about those two things. However, I do think when you're sitting here going, "Oh, they're going to just make this up," I think there are questions that need to be had.
Hold on. Why? Hold on. They've made up so much to this point,
Yeah,
and I don't look. Hold on, just real quick, so because I feel myself getting distracted. Gang, this is Lonerbox versus the world. So please, if you have an issue with Lonerbox, please call in.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I just when you're saying this thing, and this will be the last thing I say on this. I was told for decades, and you know that we were told this for decades, Wick, that illegals weren't getting Medicaid, right? We weren't told that. We were told that, right? Now it turns out they were, right? Like the whole time they were getting it in droves, right? And then I'm told, oh, this isn't happening, and then it keeps coming out that these things were happening, and so like maybe I'm just suspicious of all the governments now at this point. Like I don't know.
Sorry, wait, just a heads up. I'm not talking to this fucking fat lying slime fuck. Get him out. I'm not talking to History Speaks.
Dev or the other one?
I never lied. I mean,
piece of shit.
Oh.
Okay, so one quick question.
Sorry if we made you eat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. I didn't know you had a block list.
It's quite small.
Okay.
Who was that guy?
History Speaks. I know that guy. I didn't know it was a block list.
know.
That wasn't on purpose. I just didn't know you had a blacklist. So I'm sorry.
I've never even seen
You
it
said
before.
fat, and it was like, damn, there's a couple.
Yeah, I was like, Dev.
I'm
What
me.
did Dev do?
I literally have fat
I'm
in
sorry,
my name.
guys.
Yeah.
No disrespect.
Oh yeah, you
There's
do.
a
That's
fat
right.
people.
That's funny. Well, there's 2 of us, 3 of us now, 4 of us.
Okay, Dev. What do you got for Mr. Lonerbox?
I heard you guys having a J6 debate. I've come to join in.
Wow.
No, they're talking about election fraud specifically. But do you have an issue with Lonerbox specifically?
I kind of do. I'll just say real quick. Oh wait, Gibbs left. I wonder if you can still hear me. Does he have his wireless headphones or something?
I don't know.
I'll talk to him when he gets back. Okay. Oh, there he is. Okay, Gibbs. I'm gonna plug it again. Go watch my 4-hour J6 video. I go over all the evidence you ever want to see. Okay. You're just wrong, buddy. I'm sorry. Okay, Lonerbox. I think politically we align on a lot of things. The only real right-wing opinions that I have are going to be on guns and on immigration. So I want you to blue pill me on the immigration question.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, I'm not in the UK, but I mean, Canada's had its problems trying.
Wait,
to
what's
integrate...
your
sorry?
red pill on the immigration question? It depends on how far on what we're contending with. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, whenever I deal with immigration issues, I kind of frame it from the point of view that I'm bisexual, and there are definitely certain types of people, certain cultures that, if let's say they became the majority in a Western country, I would end up dead, and I don't want that to happen. And so I hear a lot about how the UK has problems with Islamic immigrants, how Europe's having these problems. Canada, not so much. Canada has different problems, different types of immigrants, but not that bad. America, like, I don't understand why the Americans are anti-immigrant, because all of their immigrants are like Mexican Catholics, which integrate quite well into American society. But with Islam, it's a different kind of thing, I think.
One, I'm just going to address something Gibbs said, and then I'll remember what you said.
Sure.
You mentioned Zapata from Milwaukee being convicted of fraud. She was trying to find fraud for in favor of the Republicans. She was trying to help the Republicans with what she did.
Vaughn.
Oh God, I remember that person.
Okay. Yeah, I was misspoke. It was Vogue is her name.
So your misspeak was to showcase a Republican official
I showcased
who
the one
was
because this is
committing
the
fraud for the
Hold on,
Republicans.
to be fair, hold on. To be fair, I pulled a Biden. I had a little dementia moment. The CTE is getting me. I argued this so many times that I said the wrong name instead of the correct one. It's Vogue.
That's,
She was, but to be clear, what this person was doing was she was using.
But I said the right title. I said the right title.
This person was illegally using a fake name to request military ballots, like absentee ballots. So yeah, she's
no. I'm talking about Vogue as the lady's name now.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
wait, hold on, Gibbs, because
we all
you were asking about immigration, but.
Just real quick, because I want to jump onto this, because Gibbs, like, you were on the Enrique Tarrio panel, and I was there too.
Yes, and I was meant to bring this up.
You used this exact example, and we told you then it was wrong for the same reason.
Right. No. I said Vogue. I said the right name on that one, and I actually was I'm glad you're here now, because now I can claim victory, because now that person has been officially convicted of multiple crimes as of like 2 days ago. So yeah, I did say the wrong name now today, but on that panel, I said the name right.
Okay.
Vogue,
Okay, let's get back to the immigration stuff.
Thank you for that queue up, though. Also, send me the J6 thing. I'll watch it.
Sure.
You're asking about immigration.
Yes.
So first of all, I don't know if you're talking about it's like the Muslims that are the problem in the UK specifically with migrants, because that's not really in terms of crime rates. Not really. The crime rates in the UK seem to come from the black population, like Windrush, and they've been here for a long time. They've been here since after the Second World War. It's obviously quite delusional to argue that immigration doesn't bring its own challenges, whether they are social or cultural, or sometimes it can be crime from specific groups and whatever else. But the fact is that I don't know what the alternative is to it. Do we just say we're going to ban Muslim immigration? That seems like it contradicts quite a lot of liberal values, especially because if anything, the majority of Muslims that come to the UK are coming because they obviously inherently want less to do with the countries that they've come from, right? UK is going to be less Islamic of an environment than Saudi or the Emirates or the Middle, or anywhere in the Middle East, really. If we find that the crime rates in the UK from migrants are actually the highest among the black population, are we going to say we're going to ban black immigrants? No. So it just seems like there's something that's kind of inevitable, and we've had challenges with it in the past with other groups. We had challenges with Italians in America and Irish in the UK and America. I think it's just one of those other things, but I'm still yet to see a liberal democracy that says no to immigration that does well.
Well, do you think that maybe the UK or other countries in Europe maybe does a poorer job at integrating their immigrants than America? Because America seems to do it very well by comparison.
Yep, I don't know what America's doing, but they seem to do a good job, at least when it comes to some communities. Yeah, the Muslim community in America seems to be a lot less radical than the ones in Europe, but I don't know why that is. If I could see which policies obviously facilitate integration, because even within Europe, Paris and France does a much worse job of it than the UK does, because the French approach, especially in Paris, was just to kind of push them to the outside and make them someone else's problem, which meant that they were kind of just very neglected, whereas they're a lot more intertwined in places like London. So yeah, if there are policies that facilitate integration, that seems to be what I would support. It doesn't seem to be there's anything in Muslim DNA that makes it difficult for them to integrate. It seems like there are policies that work and policies that don't work, and that's what I lean towards.
So I remember seeing, I can't find it now, but I did see it floating around here and there. There was basically warnings coming out of some Middle Eastern countries. They were saying, hey, don't go to the UK, don't send your kids to the UK, because apparently the Muslims in the UK are more radical than some of the ones in the Middle East. Have you heard about that? Or is that just Twitter nonsense?
I mean, some of the youths are, I have no idea what that means. No. I think the Muslim youth in Europe, it's second and third generation that are more radical than their parents, but I don't know how they're finding out that they're more radical than the average Egyptian citizen, or that just sounds like vibes. There's a second and third generation issue, yeah, but I don't think it's anything to do with, I have no idea how someone would prove that.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you think the best way is to tackle that sort of radicalism without dipping into the reform policy of just deport them all?
I'm not actually sure which policies do a better job and which ones don't. I think one of the things that people don't really want to do, and it should be quite obvious, is that when people talk about people who care about culture, like British culture or Danish culture, they need to have a much more updated and relatable idea of what these things mean. Because when conservatives in the UK talk about we need to encourage Britishness, we have like the citizenship tests and things like that. But it's all about, you have to learn about the Tudors and the Stuarts and about like history that I don't even know or care about, or like pre-Henry VIII, or like the different tribes in like pre-Roman United Kingdom. Like no one gives a fuck about any of this. I think there needs to be an understanding that like we have always been a multicultural nation in one way or the other. If they weren't coming here, we were going over there. And there maybe needs to just be some kind of like, it's the same with the men's issues, to be honest. I feel like there just needs to be like a reinvention of a lot of these nations' identities, because a lot of it is just built on very old, arcane shit. And I think that would make it easier for foreigners to like identify with the country. Like Indians have a good time identifying with the UK somehow, because I guess we just did something better when it came to them and like their relation to the British Empire and whatever else after it ended. But maybe we need to find out what the same thing is with Muslims. But again, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, the way that I view it is like, I'm because I'm bisexual, because I'm an atheist. I look at, let's say the Christian radicalism from 100 years ago, and there's a part of me that keeps saying like, hey, if we start bringing in people from the third world, they're going to be just as radical as the people from 100 years ago, and I don't want to live in that. That's kind of my fear.
Dev, I wanted to say, you mentioned this earlier about the Mexican Catholics. Like I'm Hispanic. My dad's illegal from Mexico. I'm not Catholic though. I am Christian. I will say you're right about that. The thing I think people miss though, and this is important specifically here, at least where I live, is like the cartel factor. If it was like people coming here legally, like I actually think we should make it easier to come here, right? Like I want more immigration. I think Hispanics are maybe like some of the best people to get here because of what you just said. Hispanic Catholics, they're hardworking, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody questions who built the pyramids in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? But like I'm sitting here going, like, hey, when I look at it, the cartel is like deeply involved in the coyote system, right? And they come in here and they fucking get a Consuela here, and she's working for a hotel for 30 years, and they're making her pay a dividend on that, right? They'll make her pay like every year to some like person, so this long-term support for them. Or then they'll be like, hey, well, you don't have to pay us no more, but you're going to open up this hotel room at this day at this time, and that's a problem. And like that's part of the illegal immigration that we need to get rid of. And it's mean and it's hurtful because nobody wants to get rid of like nice like abuelita, right? But like, hey, you're sorry, it's supporting the cartel tangentially. It's a problem, but I do think we should make it easier for more people to come here. Is at the same time, just legally. I think that's kind of where I'm at. I just wanted to clarify I think the difference between a lot of Republicans on this immigration issue with the Hispanics, personally.
Right. I don't know what the stats are on how much illegal immigration is linked to that sort of crime. I don't know where that is.
I don't.
Yeah, people made this claim for the UK, but it seems like every time you look into correlations between illegal immigrants and them committing like crimes, it just seems to be like.
No, I'm not talking about. But hold on, Consuela's not competing crime. Like she's not like the only crime she like. Let me give you an example, right? Like Consuela, I will just use this person as right. If she comes here legally and she's worked the cartel, right? She comes here, she might never commit another U.S. crime, right? Except for giving a portion of whatever she earns to the cartel in perpetuity, or opening up a room one day, 30 years from now, like for them or some shit, right? But like that's still a problem because it's still supporting an organization that got them here illegally and then is getting money and like influence over an area because of that. Like yeah, that's a problem even if she never commits another crime. Like, don't you agree with that?
I'm sorry, I was tuned out for half of that. Like, is there any?
Go
ahead, Dev. Go ahead, Dev. Please, Dev.
So, like, I don't think anybody except maybe the most radical, like, full open borders anarchist lefty would disagree with you that if there's crime in this, it has to be rooted out. Obviously, like. There was a woman who was in here earlier who was like trying to pull you more left, Lonerbox, and I'm just like, please don't, do not. We have too much far right crazies right now. We don't also need far left crazies. Like that's just no.
I mean, I've kind of come from far left. It'd be very strange for me to kind of go in and then go back out again. But yeah,
go back. Well, fuck, dude. When I was 17, I was a tanky. I know how it is.
Wow. We're bonding. Okay.
That's all I got, though. Yeah.
Fair enough. Thanks for coming in, Dev. Really appreciate
thanks for having me on.
Of course.
See ya.
Streamer, if you're back, what do you got?
Well, I think the part of the immigration thing here that gets smuggled in is they say, well, these poor immigrants, they're not committing any crimes. And it's like, that's fine. But like Gibbs was talking about, it's not even just like he's even being too gentle on it. It's not just, there's some cartels. Maybe he was harsher on earlier. But like these are cartels that are committing all of the heinous crimes everybody claims to hate. There's all of the bloodshed, the essay, the everything. And it's industrialized. And so when you're saying I'm
a
okay
problem.
with these illegal immigration, let's give them all a free pass, you're saying this very, very lucrative industry that profiteers off the explicit suffering of humans, we should just turn a blind eye to.
Yeah.
That's the dishonesty.
Well, no
Well,
one's
I was
saying
trying to
turn a
paint even
blind
the
eye
most
to it.
Hold on,
sympathetic.
let
Illegal
Loner
immigration-
respond, please,
sorry,
Loner.
If they're like illegal immigration, if they're migrants, whether they're legal or not, and they commit crimes, deal with it as a criminal issue. I don't know, like
Yeah, you're
when
not-
Italians
that's
came
not
to the
the
United
fucking
States, they
point.
commit a lot of crime, like with the
That's not
mafia,
the
but they were
point.
dealt with.
Not
What's
the
the
point.
what's the point? What's the point?
The point is the mechanism that gets them in the door is an apparatus that has so much money and power behind
Yes.
it that does such terrible things. Even if they come in and they commit no crimes, they have lots of babies, they pay their taxes, they volunteer at church, all of the machinery that makes this happen, you're implicitly condoning.
What is the
Yeah, I
machinery?
mean that.
The cartels, the
Well-
coyotes, all this
No,
shit.
no, the machinery that allows them into what allowing illegals into the country. Because I thought in America most illegals were people who overstayed visas. Is that what you're talking about, or are
That's
you
not
talking
true anymore.
about
No, that's no
the
longer
asylum
true.
process, or are you talking about border
I'm-
crossings and
So
people claiming asylum, or
I guess
what?
I'm confused about why you're even
Or work
asking it this
visas,
way.
or
So do you
Well-
reject the premise that the cartels are profiteering off of human rights violations while they're fucking doing their immigration runs? Do you disagree with that premise?
yeah, I'm sure. No, I don't disagree with that. No.
Okay.
Okay, let me before we go too far, I
That's
do
how you
have
solve
some,
that problem. Yeah, sorry. Go.
Yeah. Do have some super chats. Got a little make a little money. $5 from Lost Coyote of MA. Why does most progressive stack logic sound like a secular version of Catholic guilt? Not sure. Okay, great, wonderful. $10 from the Trib One to say, my bad, Wick. For Gibbs, are Somalians largely illegal immigrants being hidden by Minnesota protesters, or is MAGA just racist and viewed brown people as illegal, so it justifies ICE being there? Pick one.
Yeah, I mean, neither. I guess. I mean, if I had to pick one, it's neither. I mean, I think that there's a whole different issue with what's going on in Minnesota, and I think it's the fraud and the feedback loop, and I think the Somalis were just an easy one to start with because we've been complaining about the asylum system for a while, how it's been misused and all this kind of stuff. So it's not that, it's racist. Like I said, I think there's this broader conversation about the criminality that is going along with the illegal immigration, and I think that's something to be like hand in hand. And I know that sounds harsh, but like it's like this is why I was trying to be gentle on it earlier with the Consuela example, right? Like I've had friends my whole life that have been killed by the cartel, right? Like I've had probably at least 10 now that I can think of off the top of my head that have either been killed because they were just in the wrong place, wrong time. They were a woman and they were attractive. Just like last year, I know one that was essayed and then murdered in front of their daughter by a cartel person, and they caught him and they arrested him, right? And now I think he's got the death penalty coming. Good, we got one. But it's like at the same time, this person would be alive today if that, the cartel didn't have this power and whatever. And like, if you go to, this is gonna sound really terrible. This is part of the reason I don't like strip clubs, even though I'm a party guy, right? Is you go to a strip club here in Texas, then guess what? You're gonna see a ton of Colombians and Cubans. Well, why? Well, it's because the cartel owns them and they have to pay a certain amount, and they got them here, and most of them they got here legally. So they went through the legal process to get these people here, and then they still own them and basically traffic them all over the place. It's really disgusting and horrible when you see this on a regular basis. And when I say this, people are like, oh, you're racist. I'm like, no, y'all are enabling this by not cracking down. That's what's disgusting to me, because it's a real fucking problem, and I'm tired of my friends dying. I'm tired of seeing women get turned into sex slaves. I'm tired of seeing the cartels have this power, and people just go, nah, racism. And I think it's a bad look.
Well, the reason that people might think racism from what you said is that you would probably not be hard pressed to find people who agree that there should be smuggling and those kinds of trafficking crimes should be dealt with. The problem is that you spoke about Somalis and you said people exploiting the asylum process. Somalis who arrived in America came during the Civil War, and they're citizens now. Do you think they exploited the asylum process to live in Minnesota?
I think that some people,
They came during a Civil War.
exploited it. Listen, I'm not saying everything was specifically these groups. I think the Dems and the PAP at the time took advantage and said, "Oh, these people are Civil War. We can make these people a voter base," and they, rigged the system to get them here when they otherwise might not have been here. Yeah, I think that's what has happened.
80,000 voters in Minnesota. That's 80,000 people.
Yeah, bro. I
That's
mean,
a-
you hold
will
on.
count,
This is
can't
how I
be
know
that
you
vote.
don't know about local elections. Local elections are decided by hundreds of votes, sometimes even like smaller numbers at the local level here. And if you get local power, that's almost more important than national power if you're building a base. So, like, you clearly just don't know like anything about local politics in America.
So you're trying to,
and
but
gonna take that
you're trying
take.
to, so you're trying to argue. Okay, but if Somalis are socially conservative generally, if Republicans can win them over, win them over.
Are they
like, win
are
them
they
over, treat them
Muslim?
like-
Are
treat them
they?
like your
Because if they're
citizens,
Muslim
like,
and socially conservative, yeah, but so Muslims,
Yeah.
even if they're socially conservative, vote Democrat because there's an alliance
Oh,
between
hold
the
on. What
socialists and
did?
the
How did
Islams.
Dearborn vote again? I
only-
forget.
Dearborn voted MAGA.
Listen,
by
just
the
because
way,
there's
yeah.
one example of like an
Well, there's
off,
a
like,
lot of
listen,
examples.
You can
sure.
Republicans can win over minorities if
I
they're
mean,
just,
Republicans
if they stop
had 'em
making
until
minorities think
Bush.
that there's fucking racism motivating them. The Somali, and you said the new fraud. What is the new fraud? Where are the new cases? Where?
It's all over the place, bro. They're finding all sorts of
Okay.
Medicare
All over
the
frauds.
place.
They're finding it in Vegas.
I'll
What's
let you
that?
guys
They're
here.
finding
I'll
all
let
sorts
you
of
hold on.
stuff.
This is what we'll do. I'm going to read the rest of my super chats, and you find me the cases that are being brought up that are new by the Trump administration, the Trump DOJ, since the Nick Shirley video. Find me those cases, and we'll be back. $2 from Trib1 to say, how do we know Gibbs isn't a pedo? Prove it, Gibbs. We don't need to
I
do
like
that right
cougars.
now, okay?
I like cougars.
$5 from Alishness.
example.
Smart elections have been pushing to get statistically impossible down ballot votes recounted. They found fraud. They've been stopped by Trump's ilk. Thank you for the $5. $2 from the Trib1. What are some slurs for Scottish people? Asking for research.
There's not much. Like jock is one, but no one really cares about that.
A
About
jock?
Scottish
Oh, he
slurs.
called me a jock, and I was so offended.
Okay.
Yeah, no one gives a fuck, man.
20
The thick-skinned over here.
pounds. 20 pounds from History Speaks. Okay. He's asking, the IDF systematically bombed journalists, perhaps pro-Hamas, but clear civilians, e.g. women, when they were home with their kids. Lonerbox is embarrassed. He whitewashed this kind of thing for 2 years, so he takes it out on me.
Okay. History Speaks is a fat, lying, slimy piece of shit who has literally admitted that his goal is to do reputational damage to me. Probably because I called him out on cast lead because he spent fucking the best part of, it would have been a decade, believing that Israel had massacred a bunch of fucking civilian cops. And then he was literally just fucking chomping at the bit and screaming inside because he couldn't disprove the fact that Hamas owned these deaths as their own soldiers. And he's still not over it. Whatever.
Okay.
Well, he should pay more.
Also, I've
Either way,
never
thanks for the
defended-
20
like,
pounds. I do appreciate that.
I've never put it past Israel to bomb people who don't deserve to be bombed. It's fucking stupid. Whatever.
Based.
Okay. Well, that's the super chats. Did you find a new case of fraud?
I mean,
Yeah,
we can just
any?
go off one off the top of my head. How about Ilyan Omar's husband being investigated and their firm being investigated? That seems like a really easy one. That's not without me even doing a Google search. That's a new one.
Well, they've been doing the autism clinic too. Like in
That's Trump's
Minnesota,
DOJ, right?
Amount of autism.
Was that
centers
based on? Well, hold
and
on.
spending's been
Did
going-
Nick
Yep.
Shirley's video expose
No,
that?
that's not you. No. You said, okay, I don't give a shit about Nick Shirley's video. I don't give a shit who discovers the fraud. If we're finding fucking fraud,
No, wait,
like
so you
that's
think he
what I
did
want to
discover
talk
fraud,
about.
though? You think he
I don't
did
give a
discover
shit.
fraud?
I think he went in there and did some research. I don't think he was 100% right. I think he discovered some mechanisms that were fraudulent. I think he maybe picked on a couple that weren't.
Give me
I
one.
think the daycare systems is
Why?
a way of fraud.
Why?
But why?
Why-
Because
why
we
did
are
they go
seeing some
fraud?
of them shut down. Why is the learning center, the learning one, the main one that everybody keeps talking about? Why is it all of a sudden shut down and being pulled out by U-Hauls? Like, I mean, we're seeing all sorts of examples where they're trying to cover
That's not
stuff up.
evidence. The fact that someone else shut it down doesn't
Hold
mean
on,
it's
hold on.
doesn't
Let me
mean
just
it's
finish my point here real quick. And the point that y'all asked, this was the question. It wasn't specific to Nick Shirley's video. The question we were asked is new examples of Trump's DOJ fraud, and I think the Ilyan Omar investigation is a new example, right off the top of my head, of Somali-based fraud. Like that is right off the top of my head. That's without a Google
you
search.
literally gave the example. Your one defense of the Nick Shirley video, which is the only reason this discourse.
I didn't
is
even
actually
defend the
out
Nick.
there right
You
now.
brought up Nick Shirley. I didn't even bring up Nick Shirley.
You said he was wrong. You said that he had uncovered some fraud. But your
Yeah,
example,
I think the daycare centers are.
what you gave. You said that because the government shut down their funds after the
Because the
Nick Shirley,
government
because they
was
believed
paying
the video,
facilities
not
that
because they
didn't have
found,
schools.
not because
That's
not because
why
there were
I said
indictments,
that.
not because
No.
there were criminal charges, not because there were
There's investigations open. But
Are there
Trump's current
indictments? Are there
DOJ.
any- are there? Oh yeah, investigate. Were there
The
any
investi-
indictments?
I mean,
We've already
I'm sure.
settled
Yeah,
some
there's
of these.
some
Like
of
this
these
is
have
one
been
of the
settled,
shit
some of
the
them-
argument.
I'm so sorry. I mean,
Yeah.
besides the ones that were found under the Biden administration. Yes, sorry. Besides those ones.
No, but this is a shit lib thing. You
Ye-
say, "Oh,
yes.
there's no fraud," and it's like, "Oh, well, actually,
Yes.
it's not only is it ongoing, But in the past, there've been convictions. You're like, oh, so it's convictions.
No
so it's
one is
already
saying there's
settled.
no
Oh, it's
fraud.
not
They're
new.
just saying that there's no fucking new massive revelations that are just being made, which justifies Trump sending 2,000 fucking droogs without the cooperation from the state into the state. Then Nick Shirley basically asked if he could fucking leer at some kids in the leering center and was surprised that they said no at this guy turning up at their fucking doorstep, and now he thinks there's fraud. That's it. There's no fucking fraud. There's no new fraud exists in every state at all times. Of course, there's going to be some fraud happening. I'm sure some of them will be Somali, but no one has found some new massive fucking fraud scandal. The only people who are dealing with fraud, it seems to be with the Biden administration, who brought down the indictments and the convictions, which is what the story is built on, and also Walz, who spent the whole of 2025 creating a fraud investigation unit, passing the Business Filing Fraud Prevention Act, and ordering audits.
Hold on, quickly. No, just real quick. I'll let you respond in a second, Gibbs. But we also got to contend with, there was a Wall Street Journal report released on the 31st that showed that, I think it was the Saudis, it might have been the United UAE, they gave Trump $500 million, $500 million, and after he was made president, right? Just a week later, when he was inducted to office, turns out he gave that country access to our AI chips, which we've been, again, closely guarded secret. We're not letting just anyone have them. $500 million, right? To to Trump's crypto company or some shit, right? That's bribery, corruption, fraud that dwarfs anything that you can find in Minnesota.
And the Somalians can
hold
do
on,
fraud?
hold on. I got this. Wick. Okay, y'all, you asked the question, and we're not even going to talk about the Ilhan Omar thing. Y'all said name one of the DOJ by Trump's admin. Okay, one of the few shows I watched in the last 2 weeks while I was, shenanigans for my birthday was one of Wick's shows, right? And Wick on here talked about how, this ICE shooting happened and it's real bad, and some of the prosecutors that are investigating fraud for the Trump DOJ quit over the ICE shooting because they didn't like how ICE was involved. Now, Wick, in that scenario, those were prosecutors for Trump's DOJ quitting active investigations into fraud over political issues on another thing. Would you agree that, by your own admission, that's Trump's DOJ currently investigating fraud?
Are they investigating fraud that they found before the video or after? I don't know either, so I can't answer your question.
But nobody mentioned that. Hold on. Nobody mentioned the video until the question was it Biden fraud or Trump fraud, right? Like what admin when they started.
I don't even know if they're not investigating things from the Biden administration. Neither do you.
Y'all know it. We know it's Trump's
DOJ investigating as well, because obviously the claim,
it is pretty gross.
The central claim, it's such a Mott and Bailey. The central claim is not that no fraud happens in America. The central claim is that Trump did not have a good reason to send 2,000 fucking federal agents without the approval of the state and without the cooperation of the state into Minnesota in the name of fraud.
Once again,
because they thought they had found some new scandal. But you guys are trying to say that they had found a new scandal in Minnesota, but they haven't.
You need to name one. I've named two right now. Right, I've already named two. I keep going down this list, and this is what's funny is y'all
two
trying to
people committing fraud.
Debate, bro, word game. No, I can keep going. No. I mean, those are two examples.
So really, every time there's fraud, every time there's a white collar criminal in a state, there should be the federal government going in.
What I'm saying is, y'all are sitting here. First of all, nobody mentioned the video until y'all mentioned the video. Nobody mentioned the video until y'all mentioned the video. Y'all mentioned it was under Biden. I now mentioned two specific examples of new Trump DOJ that are currently investigating. One of them definitely is only Trump DOJ. The other one, if it's from Biden and them, it's the Trump DOJ investigating it now. And they're the ones continuing with it. So when you're sitting here going through this is a very debate, bro, try to dunk tactic, and it's really dishonest because I've already shown just two examples, and I could keep going. I'm sure StreamRiff's probably already got a litany of these ready to go, and I haven't even Googled yet. And if I turn over to my Google, I know I'm going to find about 15 examples. So, why are we doing this? Why are y'all pretending that Trump DOJ isn't actively investigating fraud currently in this area? Y'all were just saying he's doing this for the elections. Wouldn't it behoove them, if Trump thinks there's other fraud, to send the troops in and actually open up new investigations?
The claim.
Is it within ICE's mandate to go and deal with fraud? That's not even what they're supposed to do. Fuck me. The Somalis who were convicted of fraud, by the way, were citizens. It's not ICE's fucking.
You understand?
area.
There's intergovernmental agency cooperation. You understand that, right?
You're the one talking about
yeah, it is
going
stupid.
to town over the fraud. though.
Yeah, you're like no, you just moving the goalposts. You can call me stupid, but because you're not addressing.
Okay,
my
I
point.
do want to give it. Hey, hold on. You got it. Hold on. Stop. You do gotta let Lonerbox respond, and then Stream Rift has to go. So go ahead.
Just to be clear, one of that case that involved mostly Somalis with that one charity during COVID, that was actually like one of the biggest fraud cases that they'd found, and they didn't need to send ICE in because it's not ICE's fucking job. But do you think, unless you're okay, maybe Biden should have got a bunch of fucking federal droogs without anyone in Florida approving, and just send them all to fucking Mar-a-Lago to beat down Trump's door because of the fake elector scheme? Because that was fraud, wasn't it? Trump is a fraudster. You understand?
They actually dropped some of these charges in Georgia, if you recall, recently, and now that guess what, they're in Fulton County investigating it. That's an interesting thing that's happened.
Do you agree that? Do you think the seven fake electors that's not fraudulent? That wasn't fraudulent.
It's not fraud.
Well,
it's a strategy.
It was
a reason why.
It's not,
now
a
they've
strategy is not mutually
against
exclusive with
Georgia.
fraud. You fucking idiot. What are you talking about? It's a fraudulent.
Why did they
strategy.
drop? Hold on, somebody.
Was
You
it a
brought this up.
legitimate
Why did Fulton County specifically just drop their case against Trump?
Yeah, why?
Fulton
why is
County
that?
wasn't over the fake elector scheme.
No, this
that
was
was
but it was
federal.
That's
What are you talking about?
Georgia. He got arrested in Fulton County. I guess this is what's great. Facts are only convenient when they're on their side.
Wait,
Like,
can I just see? Can I just see what you think you're proving here?
That you're an idiot.
Can you
because
send me?
you clearly
no,
don't
can
even
you
know the
send-
facts.
No,
Like that's
can you
what's
send me? Can
These
you
are
send me
clear
an article?
lines.
First of all, this was
Where do you
seven
think Trump got
states, by the
elected?
way.
Where do you think Trump got arrested in Georgia? Where do you think that was? Do you remember this? It was all over the
What,
news. Every damn used this talking point leading up to the election. They had photos of him getting arrested in Georgia. Like, where was that? Do y'all remember?
That was the
Pepper
mugshot.
Sword
remember, yeah.
That was the fucking
Pepper
mugshot.
Sword
Right?
I remember
members.
the mugshot, but I'm asking you. This was just to be clear. This was a federal
interesting.
case. This was a federal case, not a state case.
What does that even mean?
Because
What's the,
the
why does that
seven-
distinction matter?
They have to file in that location. Do
I
you
just
know how procedure works
wait.
in the
I just
US
need to
under
wait.
law?
Can either of you explain to me why you think that the seven fake electors was not fraudulent?
Why
Rather
does
than
it-
the
let me
technicalities,
just-
can you tell me why was it not fraudulent?
Because I think it was a trumped up case that they tried to get him on, which is exactly what happened. And now that's why the second case,
No.
now that they have
Why
more
was it-
evidence, is
So it was a
proving that
valid
it's proving
thing.
this. And no, it's not a valid thing because the second case now has been dropped. And now they're talking about returning around and suing them and appealing this first case. So it looks like the evidence has swung the other way.
Not to mention
So,
the fact that Georgia admits
interesting.
that they didn't have signatures on ballots. They called
300,000,
call
I
with
think is what the
Georgia.
number is.
315,000 even. Gibbs, you're
Oh,
being
that's
charitable.
right.
Hold
Never
on,
give a
just
shit
to be
about
clear.
always
Hold on,
think
no,
that you
this
found
this
any
is
fucking
this is
smoking
false,
guns that are-
right?
yeah.
They had signatures on the ballots. What they didn't have,
Yeah, they weren't certified.
was
That's what it was.
the like ticker tape, right? When you print
We'll
out.
be honest.
So
We'll
it,
be
it
honest.
it didn't like they
Sure, yeah, it
forgot
was a
to sign it,
certification.
right? To do a chain of custody
Or
thing.
it was fraud.
But
and
you
they
know what
didn't sign it
happened
because it was
is
fraud.
they recounted it, right? And then they did sign the ticker, the little ticker tape.
Well,
stuff,
yeah, I mean,
right?
obviously, if you'd snuck those in there,
There's no evidence they snuck anything in there. There's the same
Well,
amount
no,
of ballots,
full
well, there's
stop.
a reason why the second case was
We're
the
back
dropped.
to
same
Lonerbox.
results.
Lonerbox, let me ask you this.
I know they're investigating it now.
Out of
State
interest,
of
this
Georgia.
Georgia case,
State of Georgia.
this
Let me
Georgia case
fucking
doesn't say
finish.
it's about the, but this Georgia
Jesus
case isn't
fuck-
saying it's about the slates, is it?
No,
So,
they're talking
here's
about
the deal.
something else.
Georgia. So
Why are you
Trump
doing
filed-
that? The seven fake
Because they're
slates are nothing to do
related.
with the- Okay, they're
this
What are you talking
it's
about?
before
You would
the
disagree
election.
that they're related? Like,
that does not preclude you from having committed a crime. The seven slates were a crime. No, they were fraudulent. They were not legitimate slates of electors that Trump tried to put through the Congress. Do you deny
yeah,
that?
okay. The argument we're making in Georgia right now is that part of what has happened was the election he said is not right, right? And he's saying it was no good. I'm going to try to put this as dumb terms as I can.
Election was no good.
Yeah, no good. The fake electors, they has the word in the name in the word, right? Electors, that's tied to what? The election. And now we're seeing the same kind of thing in Georgia where he's raising questions and they're investigating and there's this chain of command with these like 315,000 votes, right? That this seems like where there's smoke, there's fire. And that's why this next case that involved Trump in Georgia, in Fulton County, where he was arrested, is falling apart. And when you go, oh, it's a federal case, listen, we have federal courthouses at the state level. You start at the county area and then you go up and you go up and you go up. There's like levels to this shit. That's why the area where it started in Fulton is important.
Even if we assume that because they found 315,000 unsigned early votes in Georgia,
That's not what it
and
was.
that necessarily proves electoral fraud, which it doesn't, by the way. The question is still going to be, what's the argument here? That you believe that there's some fraud. You can't prove it because all the Fulton County evidence that they gave at the time was dog shit. Giuliani literally got fucking disbarred for it and got
and then they just said he was right. And they just said he was right.
Yeah, they just said he was.
Yeah, because they just fucking admitted he was telling the truth.
If you have an inkling there's fraud in a state, and the solution to that is like, oh well, I might be correct in 4 years, so I'm going to make 7 slates of electors that are fake and say that they're actually the legitimate ones.
Lonerbox, no, full stop.
No, I'm not getting a confession from either of you that this is a fraudulent thing to do. What else is it if it's not fraudulent? Were those slates legitimate? Were the slates legitimate? Were the 7 slates legitimate?
Can you answer that question? Just we can move. Hold on, we can move on to your questions. But can you answer Lonerbox's question first?
So I'm uninformed on the election.
They'll never do it.
Why
would you be uninformed on that if you're just saying that Trump is fucking vindicated on the case? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Because you're not listening to the other fucking part of it. That's why. When you're ready, we can get there.
Trump did this in 7
states. Are you ready? No, you're not ready. Let me know when you're ready.
What was his argument for doing this?
Let me know when you're ready.
No,
let me know when you're ready.
What was his case for doing this? Is 7 states? You're not exonerated because of what? Let's even say Georgia was okay. There's loads of fraud in Georgia. He actually won Georgia.
Then the whole fucking thing falls apart.
No, he brought up
2020 election.
He brought up
really? Because
you brought up Giuliani. Steve, go into the Giuliani thing. Explain to the Giuliani thing.
Even if Trump wins in Georgia, which he didn't, that means that New Mexico was not fraudulent. Seriously? Why? Why was the New Mexico slate not fraudulent? Why?
Hold on.
Why?
Before we go to New Mexico, we're still in Georgia.
No, hold on. Can you answer the question that he had?
I will answer it. I will answer because they're all. The answer is because they're all related. I don't think it was fraudulent. I thought, like I said earlier.
So you don't think? Just to be clear, hold on. So we can stick on one thing at a time. So just to be clear, your position is that you do not think that the 7 slates of electors, alternate electors that Trump had go to the Capitol to present themselves, that forged documents. You don't think that was fraudulent?
I think that it was not fraudulent based off of new evidence that's come out, like this Fulton County thing, right? When I'm sitting here seeing other related cases fall apart and be dropped.
So just to be
clear,
I see them, no, your answer is no. You don't think it was fraudulent. Just to be clear, I want to get that answer just clear.
Yes, okay? I've said that multiple times now.
You don't think it's fraudulent? Okay.
And I think it was a trumped-up attack on Trump just to try to get rid of him through, lawfare, which is what I think happened. And so we're going to sit here, and when I look at this, and I go further down the line, this next case has been dropped. We're seeing Trump go in and investigate. We have new evidence saying, oh, actually, this Giuliani, who, do you remember him, had to pay millions for defamation, right? Millions. They just admitted that Giuliani was right. Officials admitted this. Like some of the same ones that were yes, they did.
They can say that.
Give me the quote and we'll look at it.
Over it, but again, Giuliani was not right. Giuliani lied.
And so I will. He'll find the point. He'll get the quote. We'll get the quote for you. He'll find it for you in a spec. I'll finish this point. So when I see this, and it seems like a reversal to the point now, Giuliani and them are talking about going back after him to get their money. Right? It's crazy to me that there's like I said earlier, there's no level of evidence you will accept where, hey, maybe there was something a little fishy going on.
Hold on, Gibbs. I'm looking for any evidence, but you haven't presented.
Well, they think that 315,000 votes were actually fraudulent, even though.
No, you're fucking. Can you just describe what happened, dude? No,
that's not what we said either.
What is not what we said?
Oh, really? They weren't fraudulent.
I have never.
The 7 slates were invalid then, right?
Yeah, I've never tried to put something on you that you didn't say. You have repeatedly stated an argument the wrong way and act like it's not what
it's after you just complained about these left.
Hold on. One at a time. Stop. We're gonna have to stop. Gibbs. Stream Rift. What are you saying then? Give us a clear position, and then Lonerbox will deal with it.
Right. So Lonerbox, the claim is that, and this is from a Newsweek article. Newsweek isn't pure propaganda. According to Georgia, they say 130 tabulator tapes from the 2020 election. These are the tabulators saying these are valid votes. So this is the sleight of hand the Trump haters will use, is they'll say, well, the ballots were counted. It's like, well, but that's not the point. And they'll say, well, the ballots were signed. I'm like, well, that might even be true. The state of Georgia has laws for their elections. And they say, in order for us to know that these are valid votes and that there was all of the proper protocol followed, we require signatures certifying that these votes were collected properly. Because otherwise, someone could just dump a bunch of legitimate looking ballots in and stuff them in the box, and we don't know that they came in valid. That's the argument. So if you're going anywhere but that, that's not the argument. And they state officials in Georgia have admitted to this. Go ahead.
Do you understand also? So you also acknowledge that Raffensperger, who's the Georgia Secretary of State, said that there's a minor clerical error, as in not like evidence of.
Yeah, this is the sleight of hand.
He's a Republican, by the way.
It's election fraud, but we're going to call it a clerical error or a procedural
Well, it is a
irregularity.
clerical error.
Something polite on it.
That seems to be what it was.
When a
He's
fucking
Republican
130 tapes don't get the 2 signatures they need, they required 130 fucking separate sets
Pretty
of votes.
substantial clerical error.
It almost looks like systemic. And here's the other thing. This is in the state where the state of Georgia gave shit to Trump. They said he was pressuring them. There was 3 categories of votes that were disputed. And when he said, I just need 12,000 votes or whatever the hell, however he said it, there were like hundreds of thousands of fraudulent votes. And you guys will fight tooth and nail to act like this never happened. And you'll gaslight and say, oh, well, it was.
Wait, did you say 2 signatures?
Yeah, my understanding is on each one of these. So I'm looking at the article. I put it up on the old X so you can look at it. It's a Newsweek article. It's not some freaking, Drudge Report or anything fun like that. 100. Now, this is the Georgia State Election Board. So I know I'll walk you through American politics here a little bit, the way our government works. We have election boards at the state level that set the rules, and the federal government's not supposed to interfere with them. This is their own fucking rules. And in their own rules, they say this step is required. So why should they not be? Why should their citizens?
If I may, Stream Rift. So fair enough. That is required. They make their own rules. So they have a remedy if those rules are broken and not followed. And guess what? Under their rules, under their system, they followed that remedy. What was that remedy? It was to recount it so that they could make sure it was run them through again just to make sure it was accurate, and then sign them. So now the chain of custody is in place. So if we are going to admit that they're going to follow their own rules, what process was broken? Because something went wrong. They remedied it, and now it's good. What's wrong here?
So if I'm
you have a problem with extra oversight, double checking?
That's literally what happened. They double checked it.
Okay, well, so you have a problem with the third check?
Also, not to mention that they audited when Trump asked Raffensperger to do it.
They've had a third check.
Why would they? But hold on.
They've had a few checks.
Find any
Wait, it's just crazy how they admit. It's just amazing how they admit something's wrong, and they go, "Oh, okay," and then something goes, and we go, "Oh, hey, this is pretty suspicious," based off a series of suspicious events. And then we go and investigate. Now suddenly there's admissions when before there had been none. Like it's just like,
Well, hold on. If we check this, hold on. But this is a problem. This is a problem. Hold on. Stop, both of you, please. The problem I have with both of you is we could have 10 checks. We could have 20 checks. This could be the 1,690th check that we've ever performed, and you'd be like, why don't we just do one more? Maybe it was wrong this time. There's always going to be a goalpost move. There's always going to be more that you want to show it's solidified. We had a process, right? It was double checked. It was triple checked, right? They had an audit, for God's sakes. Like, there has been no evidence found that this was fraudulent in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, who was investigating? The Biden administration?
Let me real quick. Here's the thing. One, if the remedy is to recount it for the lack of tabulator, I'm just going to take at face value, grant what you're saying.
To rerun it through, right? To take the ballots that they had, rerun it through the thing. There's a new tape printout, then you sign it.
So let's just assume that that's true. And I'm not even doing that like, oh, well, let's just say it's true. At a minimum, stop fucking bitching at conservatives for saying there was fuckery. Stop saying these are the most sanitized, clean, there's no problems, everything's all gorgeous, because this was a problem. And this is the amount of hell that has to be raised to even get the acknowledgement.
But the problem is so minor.
Nobody here said they found a minor. They found an inconsequential error is the problem. Again, I'm just reading about this right now, but it seems like what you're saying is that you're turning this issue into something like fucking enormous. Because what it's saying here is that when they have these no, I'm not moving the fucking goalpost. What are you talking about? Remember, excuse me, goalposts. I'm sorry. This conversation started because I said the 7 fake electors slates were fraudulent, and you said, "Oh no, they found an irregularity in Georgia." Ugh. Like that's not proving that their 7 slates were not fraudulent. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's not what
that's why we're on this conversation.
No, it's really hold on. It's just funny that earlier. It's funny that earlier you bitched about having to defend a wide breadth.
Hold on, let Lonerbox finish.
And I'm just trying to say, like, now we're finding out that what seems to happen here is that there has to be a poll manager and 2 witnesses who print, check, and sign the tapes from the machines. And it seems that in these 315,000 cases, that some of the tapes were not signed, and that violates a rule. But it doesn't invalidate anything else that happened. The whole point is just to it's a clerical issue. That's all that is.
Hold on.
What else do you think it is? What do you think? Do you think that 350,000 fake votes were cast for Biden?
Let's just.
Do we even know who he's voting
nobody
for?
said that. Hold on. Nobody knows because that's what the problem is. We need
that probably means that if you're going to anticipate that maybe something irregular will be found in 2025, then I'm going to make a fake slate of electors for Georgia in 2020. It's so stupid. It's fraud.
All right, I'm going to respond now. I'm going to respond now. Listen, first, I was sat here and told for years there was nothing, no question, right? And now we have an
admission. They just said that there wasn't outcome determinative.
Okay,
fraud.
I'm going to wait again. All right, you tell me when you're done. All right.
They just said there wasn't outcome determinative.
I'm going to interrupt
you if you're no, I'm going to interrupt
listen,
you. Sorry.
Fine. If we're going to do that game, I'm just going to interrupt you every time, and then everybody's going to get mad at me. But we'll do that too. But listen,
did I not correct what you said? What did I just say?
Okay. I would like to just be able to
Did I not correct what you just said?
Well, you're wrong, and you're misquoting me.
First, what you think people were? The official line was no fraud has ever happened in this election. That's the cleanest.
Yes, that is what I've been. Hold on, that is a direct quote.
1% fraud. Who said there's not 1% fraud?
I have heard from numerous people on many panels, and it's rich and ironic.
Okay, hold on. I just got to interrupt real quick. What he's asking isn't that you ever heard it from some Twitter guy.
I would like to answer.
We got to be.
I already know what you're going to say.
Hold on, no, because we're just going to loop unless we answer each other correctly, and we got the correct response to the correct question. He's not asking, did you ever hear from some Twitter rando or Twitch chatter or YouTube chatter this? He's asking, did you ever hear this from a party official?
Can I speak now?
Yes.
My question is, did you actually hear that there is zero fraud at all? Not like outcome determinative fraud, but just someone saying there's zero fraud. No one's ever committed fraud in this election.
I'm sure that Steve while I'm about to stop for uninterrupted. I can't even talk now. I'm so frustrated. For a second, he can go look up the party official that said this. But I've heard for many years that there was no fraud. Many years from many sources. Now, before anybody interrupts, this is the interesting thing. Earlier on this show today, you said, and I quote, I hate having to defend all these takes from all these other lefties as for one monolith, right? That's terrible. I don't want to have to defend some of these terrible things. Now, what you're doing right now, and it's so bad faith, is after you just bitched about it, you were sitting here trying to take everything that me and Streamwith are saying, which is very hyper-specific, and you're going and trying to apply all, Wick did this too, and y'all are trying to apply all this standard of all these other righties to what we're saying right now. So if we're going to do that, then we're going to just attribute all the bad shit. So I'm going to try to stay good faith and try to keep doing the hyper-specific and not doing this ticky-tack debate bro dunk game that you're trying to do. But we're going to keep going. We'll see how that goes. So what we're talking about is we were told there was no fraud by numerous sources. Now, I'm not saying you said that. I'm not saying Wick said that. But I've been told on this panel, on other places, there was no fraud. And then I've been told the other thing, which was, it wasn't determinative fraud. All these things, what we told. Now I'm hearing, after convictions, that, hey, guess what? There was some kind of question that may have happened here. And then I'm hearing, Dominion said there was no access to the shit for the whole time. Y'all remember the Dominion lawsuit with Fox News where they said all this shit and they got to pay millions? It's a big deal. In fact, it's a dunk.
Question on that. Hold on, just real quick, Gibbs.
Please.
The Dominion lawsuit. What was the lawsuit? What were they convicted for?
Don't ask this guy a question. You're just getting a fucking license to go on.
I just want to finish what I'm saying. Like, there was a there was a Dominion lawsuit with defamation, slander, all that shit. They were
yes, but what was the defamation and slander? That's important.
over the voter claims, the voter fraud.
What was Fox claiming that Dominion
Why don't you
claimed
just say
was
it
a
so I can
lie?
finish my point? Why don't you say the answer you want so I can finish my point? Like, go ahead. I don't want to
say it. What it would be.
I just want because I don't know what answer.
doesn't know.
You don't know what
it's
it
clearly
is?
not good enough. I do know. I know there's several answers. Why don't you just say? Just say I'm done. I want to finish my point.
I don't
That's
know
what I
if
want
you
to do.
know.
Why can't you just say it? Why are you throwing a fit? You also
Well,
lied
no,
about what
because
happened in Fulton
hold on.
County.
I
You
have
want
not
to
been
talk
able
about
to
why the
finish my
case
point
was
yet.
dismissed
Hold
in
on.
Fulton County?
All right, you know what? I'll just wait.
Well, are you going to acknowledge why the case was dismissed in Fulton County?
No,
Why
I'm
was it
going to acknowledge.
dismissed? Because you
Fucking
lied about
Buckus,
that.
bro.
I came
I'm not
on
lying
here because you
about shit.
lied about
I'm not
it.
lying.
Why
I'm
was
not
it
lying about
dismissed?
nothing. One,
Why was the
if
case
I
in
could just
Fulton County
finish-
dismissed?
Can I finish?
Why was the
Okay,
case in Fulton County dismissed?
You think
Why
this
was
is
the
a dunk?
case in?
You just look
You
like an
just
asshole
can't do
because
it. You
I've been trying to
lied.
make a
You
Okay,
lied.
okay,
Why was it
okay,
dismissed?
okay. Enough.
minutes.
Gibbs.
I've been trying to make a point for 20 minutes. You can answer, Wick. You give me the point you want to make real quick because you've interrupted me now. After I just wanted a second to finish my point. After letting him rant and interrupt me for 20 minutes.
Finish your point.
So go ahead, Wick.
Please.
What is the the Dominion lawsuits? I was told, all this shit with Fox. We all saw it. We all saw it play out. We saw this thing. It's a dunk y'all use on you all the time. This is why it's so bad faith to sit here and try Gibbs. Because I've heard this argument for fucking months. Right? Cool. Now what we're being told in front of congressional hearings is that there was access to Dominion from outside sources. Now, I'm still not sitting here and saying there was fraud. But when y'all are going to go, hey, papa, there was none of this shit. And then we're going to have people giving congressional testimony saying, oh, this did happen. Oh, these guys did show up. Oh, there's this discrepancy in Georgia. Oh, there's the minutes by Georgia officials. And oh, hey, maybe Giuliani was right the whole time. Guess what? Yeah, I'm going to call bad faith games on what y'all are doing now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So just to let everyone know, the lawsuit against Fox was because Dominion claimed, right, that Fox was lying and promoting that Dominion had rigged the 2020 election. They claimed that they were hacked, manipulated, switched votes, that they were purposely manipulated in order to switch votes from Trump to Biden. That was found to be false and found to be knowingly false because, again, as they went through the text messages and internal emails, the people who were pushing that lie were found to know it was bullshit and push it anyway. That's why they won their lawsuit. So when you try to apply it was because they said something entirely different than that. I just have issues with it.
As you're saying, there's no claim of, and we need to get back to Lonerbox here. This isn't the world versus Gibbs.
Yeah.
There's a Time magazine article that came out that was a big fucking deal, and this is the most bullshit contemporaneous admission.
Oh my god, dude!
Time.com.
Did you read that article?
Fucking mouth.
Did you read that fucking
article?
article?
I'm gonna quote it right here.
Go ahead.
They were
go
not
ahead.
rigging the election. They were not rigging the election. They were fortifying it. And they believe the public needs to understand the system's fragility to ensure democracy in America endures. So the lead in on that was the claim is in this article, oh, well, everybody's saying there's some secret cabal doing this. No, we're not manipulating it. We're fortifying it. So when in 2020, Time magazine says the election was fortified, and some people think, I don't know, I feel like that's sort of lipstick on a pig. That's Time saying there wasn't election fraud. It was election fortification.
Even with, it's funny because even I didn't know this claim, but even with your spin on it, this just sounds like the most nothing article. Even with your trying to editorialize it, you just sound like you're saying that they introduced.
Are you a fortification denier?
How fortification in what way? What's wrong? Like what? Increasing standards or increasing checks and balances, or what do you mean fortified?
Have you read this article, by the way? It's a famous article on the right wing. Have you read it before?
Oh, famous? No, I haven't read it. No.
Okay,
but, the way that he just
hold on, let Dev go because I'm curious what Dev has to say.
Yeah. So the article is on Time, and it's called "The Secret History of the Shadow Campaign That Saved the 2020 Election," and it's basically just
campaign that saved the election.
Yes.
Sorry,
yes. And you guys have been triggered over it for
Shadow
6 fucking years. You've been triggered about Shadow Campaign. You've been triggered about Fortified. What the article actually says, if you read it and don't just go off like fucking viral Twitter headlines, what it actually says in the article is that Trump was trying to pull apart democracy at every fucking turn. And you had all.
Spin.
No. That's the truth. It's in the fucking article. It's in the fucking. If you actually read the fucking thing, it's in the article. Listen, man. There's like all these different groups in the article. There's like private groups, there's public groups, there's Democrats, there's some Republicans, and they're like, listen, Trump's trying to rape fucking democracy, and we need to stop him. And they did successfully.
Right. This is literally organized election interference, and they admit to it. You don't fortify
no.
an election.
Hold on, no. Let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance. How is that? Hold on, just give me a chance. Yeah. How is them saying, "Hey, we see like"? Let me ask you: if you saw a bunch of illegal immigrants coming in and try to vote, and you stop them by checking their ID, would that be considered election interference?
Yeah, what are the ice fucking brown shirts and the voter booths dribbling over people's shoulders, making sure they're doing everything properly in their eyes?
So why the fuck, if you guys...
Hold on, no. Answer the question. Answer the question directly, please. Would you consider something like that election interference?
No.
No, because they're trying to make sure that the rules are being followed. So when they have this shadow campaign, quote unquote, scary words, I know, what these people were doing was ensuring that the officials, that Trump, that all these people, what they were doing is they were ensuring that the rules were being followed. To call that election interference...
That's the argument.
Hold on, just stop. To call that election interference is deceptive and, in my view, dishonest.
That's not what fucking happened, though. When the fucking Biden DOJ is pressuring states to say you can't clean up your own fucking voter rolls, Virginia says, hey, we've got like people on here that shouldn't be voting. We're going to clear this up. And then the fucking Biden DOJ literally goes to court over this to tell Virginia they can't fucking clean up their voter records. I think they did the same thing with Nevada. When we have this fortification team, they're not saying we just need, with your example, Wick, you're saying there's someone who I believe shouldn't vote, and they're making sure that someone that's voting is someone who should be voting. Here we're talking about manipulating process and procedure so that the will of the American people is subsumed by the agendas of this group of folks that go through and selectively nudge things to get the outcome that they want against the interest of the American voter.
But the problem, with what you just said, hold on, let me go.
I have the article on screen. I'm going to read this to you, okay, real quick. Trump has made it clear that this will not be a fair election and that he will reject anything but his own re-election as fake and rigged. On November 3rd, should the media report otherwise, he will use the right-wing information system to establish his narrative and incite his supporters to protest. This is exactly what happened in real life.
But just be clear. Hold on. Dev,
you
please.
know what happened.
Dev, please, and StreamRift, please. You understand, StreamRift, that when they were doing this, when the DOJ was doing this, guess who was president? Was it Biden?
So there's a...
Who was it? Biden. Was Biden president when the courts, the DOJ, challenged these voter roll purges?
Oh, no.
Can we also talk about why they were
challenged?
challenged?
Hold on, stop, please. I just want him to answer this question. Was Biden president when the DOJ challenged these voter roll purges? And there's a reason they did, and it's a good reason. We could talk about that. But I just want to get to that.
I'll answer it by just saying yes. That's a factual claim. It was Biden. Fine. Or is Trump.
Okay,
right. But
great.
Here's the thing.
Now let's move on.
Let me fucking clarify.
Hold on. I'll let you clarify in a minute. I got a couple more. I'm still asking you questions, right?
Oh, God.
Still asking you questions. So, if you knew that there was a group out there that wanted to get rid of the voter registration of people who are legally and lawfully registered to vote, do you think that the DOJ should come in and stop that group from doing that?
Yes.
Yes. That's what they were doing. The DOJ
You're out
at
of
the
your
time.
fucking mind on that one.
I am not out of my mind. There are groups.
Presupposition is that was Trump's DOJ, but that's like the part of the problem that we have with this fourth pillar of government is we do have an administrative state that pushes the agenda of the left. It doesn't matter if Trump's in office or not. Trump has more problems with the fucking FBI, DOJ than a ton of presidents. That's why he had the
Who appointed the head of the DOJ? Who appointed the head of the DOJ?
Trump appointed him. Doesn't mean he was a Trump loyalist. That was a mistake.
I think.
Thank you. Oh my God, I love you so much. You just fucking admitted you want a loyalist. That is not.
No, I said he wasn't a loyalist.
Let me try to.
You're acting as if he is a loyalist, though. You say, "Oh, he was appointed Trump. He's a Trump loyalist."
Being a loyalist is bad. Being a loyalist is bad.
Hold on. I think what StreamRift is kind of like trying to get at here is like, okay, so Trump comes in. He's a populist, right? He's not a true Republican, right? So the people that are there that are Republican that have still been left over office from before, the administration, those are not really Trump people, right? Even though they're tokenly probably voted for him, right? So he comes in 2016. He wants to clean out the rot. That's what he wants to do, clean the swamp. And so he appoints people in positions, and he tries to work with people that are there, some Dems, some Republicans, because he's a populist, right? And so he got some people in office, but he didn't get enough, right? He didn't clean out the swamp enough, right? And so now when he's coming in the second time, in 4 years, he's had some people that survived the Biden, try to revenge purges. And now he's able to implement the system since he's been here before in a better way. And now they're actually trying to push their agenda. That's kind of what Stream was alluding to. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily that it was just Trump's DOJ. It was like Trump's DOJ with all the Biden, all these people holdouts that were from back in the day. It's just like that.
Gibbs.
It's
They
just
were
real
under
simple.
Bill Barr was the head of the DOJ.
But are you disagreeing that you think Trump went all the way down to the local level and went person by person was like, oh yeah, get rid of them, put my person in? No, you keep people in there.
No, because you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to have civil servants who are usually bipartisan.
They did that for
loyal to both administrations.
You just don't know American history. Literally, the American history is full of them doing this repeatedly. When new people come in, they would just clean out the whole gut the whole government and put the new people in. That's American history. It's been that way since our found. It is true. If you disagree, you're just wrong. It is true.
But even Trump.
Oh, you're saying that didn't happen many times throughout history.
You're saying that the problem is it was even Trump's picks who didn't do what he wanted them to do.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying at all. Now you're attributing something else I didn't say.
Give him this one. Give him this one. No, Lonerbox. Trump appointed a bunch of people that fucked him. Why is that so complicated to you? You guys act like Trump appointed this guy and then he did something. So it's his own guy.
You must admit, is Trump a bad businessman? Is Trump a bad? Is he a retard? Does he just
what the fuck does that have to do with my point?
Who ended up betraying him?
He was using people that were there, people like the neocons, really, whatever. It's not like they were like mad.
Hold on, Lonerbox, go ahead. Lonerbox.
Isn't it a coincidence that their betrayal of him just happened to coincide with them not telling him exactly what he wanted to hear?
I think you're just fucking insane.
That's when he betrayed.
You
that's
have
when
a
he
position
got
that you
betrayed.
have, and you don't really care what the facts are. The fact of the matter is, objectively, consistently,
you have not
DOJ
given
has been
any
hostile
facts.
to the Trump.
So
they did the fucking fight.
No, hold on.
There's a huge point.
Stream actually agree with
You're
you.
interrupting me every fucking 10 seconds. I don't know why you feel like you're so entitled, like Joe Vovey, after 10 seconds. I let you guys ramble so much, and you say fucking nothing. So far, your position is, well, we're not saying there was fraud, but also there were all these irregularities that mean that the 7 slates of electors were not fraudulent. You are still not fucking answering me, by the way, which is quite disrespectful.
I answered you. I said I don't know about the electors.
You don't.
That's literally. I gave you an answer. I'm sorry. I'm not ready to give you a detailed argument on all of these issues.
You were so sure that it's not fraudulent, right? How do you? How have you?
If the burden's on you to say if this.
How are you so sure?
Because
you didn't say the burden was on me. You just acted like I was being fucking stupid to say that the 7 slates were fraudulent.
I explicitly said it was a strategy. I already answered that. That's on the recording. When you said, "Well, what about the 7 electors?" I said it was a strategy.
It was a fraudulent. It was a fraudulent strategy.
It was an illegal strategy. Illegal strategy. That's
as in, like, if I'm a lawyer and I say, well, I've got this legal theory that I can murder this fucking toddler in the
Jack
street.
Smith with the
that's
fucking
an illegal.
Trump?
That's an illegal strategy.
Smith,
That's illegal.
Theories,
well, no, not like Jack Smith. Like fucking Eastman, who admitted that his theory would lose 9-0 in the Supreme Court. Like people who said behind the scenes that they knew what they were doing was illegal. Like Mike Pence's team, who said, yeah, this is definitely illegal. This is not a theory. This is not validated by anything in American history. This is them literally saying we are going to break the Electoral Count Act. We are going to violate the law. Your legal theory is that
you said this earlier. You yourself said this earlier.
Your legal theory?
Lonerbox, you said this earlier. You said MAGA has taken over the Republican Party, right? The first term, Trump had to get in bed with the neocons, right? Mike Pence, old school neocon, he got him in there, yada yada. Bro, well, I mean, this is just the facts. You just sit, arguing with facts. He literally made alliances with the neocons after they got rid of Bush, Jeb, and all them. And it was all these things to get them on board, right? Cool. We all know this. That's why you sometimes pick who you pick as the VP. Right now, when the last election, he didn't have to do that because he had enough momentum that he literally didn't even go to the Republican debates. He's just like, nah, I'm the guy. And he was the guy. It was just that kind of big boss move, right? Whether I like him or hate him. You yourself said this. So it goes to follow. Now when he's got this kind of cult of personality, whether it's good or bad, and all these people in office that have been there now for a while, some of them at the local, some of the mid-level, yada, yada, that he's going to be able to do more with his administration now that he has the levers of power than he was before when he had to make alliances with people he didn't really want to. Would you agree with that statement?
I'm just going to, again, neither of you are answering my question. I'm just going to go back to
I've
it.
already answered your
If I
question.
say that my...
Hold on. Lonerbox, ask your question. I'll make them answer. Ask your question
If I
specifically.
say that my legal strategy involves breaking the law, that's not like a legal strategy, right? That's breaking the law.
That's a circular argument. You're presupposing
And Wick
that
literally
it's
made
illegal
me
to use
answer
the
your question
elector's
before I could even
approach.
talk a few minutes ago.
That it was Eastman's argument.
What did you just say? What did you just say? What did you just say?
So you're saying it's illegal to do something illegal. Structurally fine, that's coherent. You're presupposing that the elector... Let me fucking finish. I will listen to you and I will answer your questions. I will always promise you that. If the elector strategy is a strategy that is unlawful, like they went through the process and they tried something. Our legal system is not based off, like, we frequently determine whether or not something's legal after the fact, but you have to put the theory forward. There's nothing unlawful about putting this theory forward. Like that's the issue. It's cleaner than fortifying an election the way everybody likes the time one.
No, it's not.
And if you don't like the answer, fine. I think this is a stupid issue.
Fortifying
But there's
election.
the
What are you
answer.
talking about? Eastman doesn't even think that. Eastman said
Loner,
we
did I
should
answer your
break.
question?
No, you didn't. Eastman said we should break the ECA because he thinks it's unconstitutional. He admitted that he would lose 9-0 in the Supreme Court.
If you think so, was the elector scheme unconstitutional, or was the act that they were disregarding
he thinks the ECA, which has existed since 1887, was unconstitutional, and therefore they should just break it.
And it's not
we should
fucking
break
illegal,
the law.
you dumb Brit.
It's not illegal. So if I believe, if someone just says
Marbury versus Madison, no, full stop. Marbury versus Madison.
It's not
all laws
unconstitutional,
which are
though.
repugnant to the Constitution are null and void.
It's not unconstitutional, though. Eastman admitted that he would lose 9-0 in the Supreme Court.
Well, you're shifting.
Okay, hold on, but here's a problem. Here's a problem I'm having.
I have two questions
anyone who
for
commits a crime.
Let's
hang on. So
yeah, let her finish.
Clear, if anyone commits a crime, they can just say, "I think that law violated the Constitution."
No, you're being dishonest here, and I'll explain.
Oh, okay. So
if there's
Eastman
a
knew
law
that the ECA was not unconstitutional, he just posed the theory to give Trump what he wanted because that's what he was fucking hired to do.
This is how we fucking challenge U.S. law. We start at the bedrock of the Constitution.
Well, you break
we
it.
have
No,
some
you don't.
fucking
You don't
thing like
break
the
the laws to
ECA.
challenge it.
Jesus fuck. So if we have this thing called the Constitution. When we got sick of the UK, we made this document. We said,
you don't respect
you know what?
it. You don't
Here's
care
our
about
rights.
it. Don't talk about the Constitution.
We care about it
You're
so
not talking
much.
about the Constitution.
We
You don't care about it
so much that if there's
Eastman
some
knew it
hold on,
legislation-
let Streamrift finish. Then I know that Dev wants to say a couple things too, so that's what order we're gonna go in.
So if anything violates the Constitution, it can't be unlawful to violate it. I'll clean that up. If the ECA is unconstitutional, it's not unlawful to acknowledge the unconstitutionality of it. That's why we have the courts. It's the whole fucking reason why we have judicial review. So you're saying, oh, it's illegal. And it's like, no, this is how our fucking legal system works. And yeah, it's complicated. Yeah, it's a little messy. But because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's illegal.
And just answer me in good faith then, Streamrift. If I thought that murdering you right now, that taking a knife and stabbing it and jabbing it into your eyeballs over and over again, if I thought that the laws against me doing that were unconstitutional, so I did it in order to challenge things, would you ever describe me as doing something that's just pushing forward a legal theory?
I do not see how those two connect with each other.
What the connection is? Let me explain. Let me explain the answer. Let me explain.
Can I? Okay.
Hold on. Let me explain, and then maybe you will see how it is connected. Okay, and maybe we'll understand each other a little bit better.
I'd love that.
Okay. I think that Eastman knew goddamn well that what he was doing was blatantly unconstitutional because just a reasonable person. Let me finish.
Yeah,
a reasonable person.
He said it. He disagrees with these people. Fuck.
Yeah, a reasonable person would never think that it was unconstitutional. A law against murder was unconstitutional, just like a reasonable person would never think that particular law, the ECA, was unconstitutional. It's not a reasonable thing, right?
Well, Wick, what about Jim Crow? They broke laws in order to challenge Jim Crow, did they not?
Yeah, and they admitted that they were breaking laws. MLK literally said, if you're going to break an unjust
law, hold on. And then what happened?
Hold on.
Then what happened? They went to court, and it was challenged on novel legal theory, right? They're different of varying sorts.
It wasn't novel.
And then
It
the
was based on
laws,
already
the laws were
legal theory.
changed because some of the Supreme Courts, they struck things down and they forced people to do stuff. This literally is what civil rights was. They challenged legal theory in the courts and legislatively, and it is exactly what happened. Like,
Literally
that's
by the
history.
Supreme
You
Court
just don't
did.
know U.S. history. Like,
Okay,
that's
hold on.
No, I do know
Here,
U.S. history.
here,
You literally just
let me
admitted
ask
you
Okay,
don't know
Dev,
US
Dev,
history.
go ahead,
The legal
Dev.
question-
I just
the
gave an
legal
example
question
of
is-
exactly what we're
just to
talking
correct
about.
what you're saying. No, just to correct exactly what you're saying. The legal questions around the civil rights issue had been more or less solved at the federal level long before the civil rights movement. They admitted this. They knew this with the NCAA and everyone else. They knew that even in the early 1900s, a lot of these questions had been solved,
Right.
but the states just weren't practicing them and that they needed to be strengthened. Not that, but again, even MLK said, and these people, they still acknowledged they were breaking the law. You guys can't even admit that Eastman was
broke the law,
breaking the
yeah.
law. Even
And then
Eastman
what happened?
was aware that he was breaking the law.
Hold on,
Even
but that's not
Eastman
what
said he was
happened.
breaking the law.
Nobody said that. Even if he did say he was breaking the law, just like they admit.
The
you-
whole,
okay,
the whole reason we're having this
you
argument
just
is
admitted
because
both of them said they were breaking
Stop!
the law.
The
You
whole
just said-
reason we're hold
you
on.
just said MLK admitted they were
Stop.
breaking
The
the law.
only
and you said
reason,
Eastman
the
admitted they were
only
breaking the law.
reason,
They're
the
both
only
breaking
reason.
the law
Oh
and it's not
God!
legal theory.
I'll just mute you.
The
Okay,
difference
the only
is that,
reason.
first of all,
the
the
whole
difference
just real
is that
quick.
civil
The only
rights
reason
law
we're
and
having this
segregation laws are
conversation.
unjust laws.
The only reason we're having this argument is because Streamrift refused to admit that what Eastman did in those fraudulent elector schemes was illegal. He says it's not illegal, it's a novel legal theory that he was putting forth. And
MLK
so,
also did a novel legal theory.
but he also
didn't.
admitted
He said,
what he
"Let's
was
break
doing
the
was
law so we
technically
can change the
illegal.
law."
No,
That's
but
what he
y'all
said.
just said Eastman.
He said, "We are
admitted.
breaking the
Y'all-
law."
Okay,
Did
hold
you?
on.
Did you not?
Let me
just say
clean night.
Eastman?
Here,
Clean
so
the
Did you
land.
just say Eastman
I'm gonna
admitted
ask.
that it was legal?
No, it's time for me to ask my questions. Okay, so I got a couple questions for you here, Streamrift. Okay, so from what I understand of you've been saying is you've been saying that the proper process in America is to violate the law and then fight that the law was unconstitutional in the courts, right? That's the novel legal theory route.
No, that's
that
like
happens.
a little schizophrenic of a phrasing, but so
That's exactly what you've been supporting the entire fucking time, by the way.
Oh yeah,
the premise of this.
Here,
Dev, let
I'll
me
just lay it out for
clarify.
you. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so
Okay.
to make it real simple, we're not talking about something as black and white as murder. We're talking about election procedure. So if the ECA says you can't do this, but someone has a strained theory as to why it's not constitutional, our courts are full of these cases. And some of
Right,
them make
okay,
it
I
all the way to
understand, yes.
Supreme Court and get overturned. Go ahead.
Yep. And by the way, just to give the devil his due, I did in fact hear, the most secure election in history, but I heard that from mainstream newscasters. You certainly wouldn't hear it from anybody on this panel. That was obviously just bullshit, and I'm not going to stand by that statement. But okay, so.
Well, thank you, Dev. That's what I was saying
Yes,
earlier.
yeah,
That was
no,
my point. I appreciate it.
But by the
No,
way,
you
you
said
didn't
there's
hear
zero
it
fraud,
from
but okay.
you didn't hear it from Democrat politicians, though. You heard it from newscasters, and it was stupid, but still, it wasn't from Democrat politicians. So if that's how you view the novel legal theory situation, what should the punishment be for violating the Electoral Count Act like Eastman wanted? Should there be no punishment because he just thought it was unconstitutional?
Well, so let's just go just a touch deeper on this. There's always a risk that if you do something and it's illegal and it's determined later that it's illegal, that you're McFucked, right? You don't break the law. Like if so, for example, I think the real issue here is, and it goes at the heart of a part of like the way that our litigation works entirely is if you have at least some fig leaf of an argument is what they were looking at here. They said, well, we can say this is unconstitutional. We can try to get it in front of a judge. Maybe we'll win. That's sort of how the lawyers and the courts work on these types of issues. So what that means is to give you this for free, and Lonerbox, I'm giving you something for free here too. It's
You're not giving me anything.
common.
The truth is
if
against
not,
you.
it's common for folks to push it to the limit and then take it to a court. So the question of what happens if, so let's say that it wasn't unconstitutional. So let's say they thought it was, the court agrees differently, goes all the way to Supreme Court. We all say this is bad. We're looking at what's the harm, right? So if nothing changed and they just pushed it and they didn't do the electors, unless there's something, and by the way, the fraudulent electors, the fake electors, they got a pass on it. In fact, the ones in Nevada ended up getting, so anyway, so to answer your question, like, there's a risk that you're doing something that's illegal, and there's consequences for doing things that are illegal. However, if we don't challenge law, then we don't get progress. Go ahead.
Well, if that's the case, do you believe that Trump should then be McFucked because it turns out that what he was doing it was actually illegal?
Mm-hmm. Supreme Court found it.
Why not?
Why would it? So
well, you
let's
just
start
well,
with-
you,
if we're doing
I'll tell you exactly why, because you just
Yeah.
said that sometimes you have a novel legal theory, you bring it to the courts, you realize that you were actually wrong about the unconstitutionality of the law, and then you get punished for it. And Trump was
Right, so
wrong
the-
about the unconstitutionality of the law, so he should be punished for it, right?
And and I'm only asking just for context. You're not a U.S. citizen, is that correct?
No.
Okay, so we'll use Wick's
But I know how
example
your
of
system
stabbing
works
me
a
in the
lot.
eyes.
Don't worry. Don't worry about that. I
I'm
know how
not.
your system
That,
works a
that
lot.
wasn't. Look, if I want to offend you, I'll be very direct with it. I promise. That wasn't a dick. So Wick's example of stabbing me in the eyes. Then he goes, "Oh, well, it's
repeatedly, just to
unconstitutional."
be clear. I want to
Repeatedly,
be
yeah.
clear.
Just to be
Taking a knife and stabbing you in the eyes repeatedly over and over again. Yeah.
Not just one, both
Yeah,
eyes,
a
and
lot of them,
repeatedly.
yes. Mhm.
And so there, if they're like, actually, that's not constitutional, homie's probably committed murder. So in this case, so they say, okay, we have this alternative elector approach, and it gets deemed unconstitutional. Well, in our legal system, if there's an injury, usually there's a cause of action and a remedy. And so in this, usually, if there's no victim in it, there's no harm, then there's no legal action. Now, New York made an exception for Trump, who paid a loan back and still got criminal charges on it. But in this case, I would say, what is what bad
What's
act?
the crime?
So, like, for example, well, no, let me just. I'm almost.
What
done.
was the harm? Are
Look,
you asking?
Let me just.
Well, they tried
it's
to
like
defraud
one
the
sec- Loner,
Okay,
American
let him
voters
finish.
for
Let him
one.
finish. I just want to.
So Loner was saying fraudulent. Now, fraud is a
Yeah.
defined term in U.S. law. And if there was fraud, so for example, they literally are like, there's a forged instrument in this, then
Yep, there
that's
was.
fraud.
Yep. That was a
So
what do you think
then
the
there's
fake slates of
a
electors are? They're
remedy for
forged.
fraud.
They're forgeries.
Oh my fucking God, dude. So the point is, if they committed a fraudulent act, fine, there's laws for fraud, and we should follow those. But if they said, hey, we have actually, you know what, this isn't the right system, we have this other system, this is what should happen, and then they go, no, we're not going to take that, then where's the injury? And that's how we chase that one. But like, yeah.
Well, sure. So,
Yeah, I'm
so
just gonna-
I don't know if you
Okay.
actually looked at the case. So the case is U.S. versus Trump. He wasn't charged with fraud. Trump was not charged with fraud. He was charged with obstruction, and that's where the injury is. Is that because he
Obstruction of
tried to
what?
do obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. So because
referring to the certification of the election?
yes,
Okay, yeah, that's fucking insane.
why is that insane? He did obstruct it.
I'll explain. No,
Yeah, you did, yeah.
no bullshit. Because there was a peaceful transfer of power on the 20th, and nothing fucking changed that.
He still obstructed it. It was
Okay,
delayed. What are you
so-
talking
so
about?
hold on,
Why was it delayed?
No, wait. Because the charge is attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. The attempt itself is also a crime, even if you fail at the attempt.
But
You don't get let
it
off the
wasn't
hook for
an
doing it
attempt to
badly, right?
obstruct anything.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
They challenged the.
What do you think
recount.
they were doing?
They wanted
Okay, no. Okay,
a
hold on.
fair election.
Just wait,
Fucking
so-
ridiculous.
No,
I
they
know.
didn't want a fair election. He wanted to win. He wanted to win in states where he hadn't won, even in New Mexico.
No, the
Did
Dems stole it
Trump
fair and
actually-
square. I know. They're
Did-
better
they
at
didn't
stealing
steal it.
elections
Okay,
than
hold
Republicans
on.
are.
Stream
Wait,
riff,
wait,
stream
so
riff,
good at it.
Oh my God.
I wish we were half as
Did
good at
Trump?
it.
Okay, did Trump ever claim to have won in New Mexico before he filed a challenge?
Who the fuck cares? What does that have to do with obstructing a federal proceeding?
Because Trump tried to put an alternative fake slate of electors towards New
How is
Mexico.
that-
when he
I
lost
gotta
by
use the
10%.
restroom, Dad. You're in
Frankly,
charge.
he
Even
won
assert fraud in the
everywhere.
state. Trump
Okay,
didn't even
so-
assert fraud in
How
the
is that
state.
obstructing this proceeding?
So here, hold on.
Because he
That's
tried to
great.
pressure. Because he tried to pressure Mike Pence there to say you've got a slate of electors from the state that's certified that says Democrats won. I'm giving you this other one that's not certified by the state, that is not legal to certify. I'm telling you, Mike Pence, you need to certify this one and make me president. That's what
What
they
he
said.
should have done was certify neither of them. Go ahead.
No, he should have certified the one that was certified by the state. By the way, Trump didn't even assert fraud
The
in New
whole
Mexico,
fucking point
did
of
he?
the certification is to see if they're legitimate, so that people can show up and protest. And in this time,
exactly.
the fucking
Trump didn't
conservatives
even-
are stupid. And I'm going to tell you why the conservatives are stupid. It was a fucking trap. If no conservative went to J6, lefts would have fucking nothing. Nothing.
How many lawsuits?
Okay,
How
hold
many
on.
lawsuits did?
Stream Riff. We've
All right, Deb.
gone way off topic here. So Stream Riff. Earlier, you said that the whole novel legal theory idea is that you challenge it in the courts, and if you lose, you might get McFucked, right?
Yes.
You said that. Okay. So, because Trump was charged with attempting to obstruct an official proceeding, if he were to lose that case, he should be McFucked, right?
Well, it's not that he should be McFucked. It's that there's no legal protection for it. So if he didn't do anything for which there is legal accountability, there's no whatever, then no, he's not McFucked simply because he was wrong. There still needs to be an injury. There's just no get out of jail free card.
Okay, so with all that being said, You mentioned earlier there was the 300,000 unsigned votes in Georgia, right?
No, I didn't say unsigned votes.
Okay, what did you say? Sorry, tell me what you said.
And I'm going to correct the number, but I'm not beating you up on the number. It's 315,000. And
Right, yeah.
the tabulator signatures weren't. So basically, the bucket of votes those were signed and counted, but the certification that they were valid votes was not, around 220 or 120.
Do you personally believe those votes were legitimate? If you had to guess,
I don't. They might be. I don't believe that those were legitimate.
So you think all those votes are just faked?
So I think that there's a lot of manipulation with the ballots, like physically, like the ballots, like folks stuffing in ballots and folks like filling out ballots for more than one person, like stuff like that. So
Okay,
it raises a flag.
How many approximately do you think? Like 50%, 75%?
So I'll just say
what do you
this.
think?
It raises a flag for me. I don't have an exact number. And it's even entirely possible. I'll give you guys this for free. It might be they were legitimate and it was just an innocent clerical error. It just stinks to high heaven.
I love how this fucking reality denier is just saying,
Well,
"Well,
hold
I'm
on,
giving
but
you this for free."
I'm not done here. I'm almost done here. Just let me finish this. Okay, so what do you think the punishment should be for violating the procedure, even if the votes are legitimate? So, like, let's assume that all the votes are legitimate, but they failed to sign those rolls, right? What should the punishment be?
Well, so I believe the consequence, and we can do the punishment part later, but just for me, punishment's not necessarily where we're going to end up, but start with consequence. Consequence might be punishment. Consequence here is because those weren't signed, they look like, so under Georgia law, going with what Wick said, I'm just going to assume that what he was saying was true. I believe he's not full of shit. Was the remedy under Georgia law was to recount everything and verify and validate it. So as long as that got done under Georgia's procedures, then at that point, I think there's no more blood to be had. I don't know who we punish for that, because it doesn't sound like there's an actual injury. It sounds like, as framed here, it was legitimately a clerical error.
Okay, so what if they believe that the law requiring them to sign the rolls was actually unconstitutional, and they were just doing a novel legal theory by not signing it?
What do you think novel legal theory means?
No, come on, answer my question first.
I
know what it means, and
I'll answer it. You seem to keep using it in a way that doesn't seem to make sense, but it's fine. I'll roll with it. What do I? So repeat the question again. It's what should the consequence be for?
What if the people who should have signed the rolls believe that the law requiring them to sign it was unconstitutional, and they were just doing a novel legal theory by not signing it? They were simply challenging it, and they were hoping to fight it in court. It's the same logic as Trump and the alternate electors.
Yeah, that's exactly what Eastman did.
I'm as bored by arguing that point. I'll clarify. I think it's a nothing burger. I think if they were supposed to sign it and they said, I don't want to sign that because of my fucking constitutional right to not sign it. And then the state of Georgia goes, hey, that's fine. Let's just double check. Everybody says these are real. All right, cool. Then there's no blood to be had.
But they did double check. They did double check is the fucking point. They did exactly that.
Let me just real quick. I guess the issue is, and it's like really that Georgia was determined by such a small number of votes. It's like 11,000, right? And when we go and look, we're seeing other kind of irregularities where like all these percentages like match up very closely, kind of thing, like all across the board. So then we have this issue, right? There's a few different irregularities, and there's questions with patterns. And I know we can all either say there's good liars, bad liars, and statistics, right? You know, we can always make some bullshit up, right? I get it. When I'm sitting here saying I was told there was no chance of anything, now I'm hearing like, oh, maybe there's some questions, right? And I go and you'll go, oh, 315,000, that's not determinative. Well, the election in Georgia was 11,900 or something like that, right? If I recall correctly.
Yeah, like
and so,
like that.
yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, it's close. So I mean, even if 275,000 of those votes were legitimate, oh, well, then, even 30,000, like, it wouldn't take a large portion. What if it was only 2 of those boxes of 100? I don't know how many of these boxes, the votes they had. But, like, if it was just, like, 3, 4 of these boxes actually were, like, illegitimate, then, they fucked it if they snuck them in. Like, it didn't take much to tip the scales, specifically in Georgia. And that's why I think people want to see an investigation. Now, I'm not saying there was fraud. I just want to say I still have some questions I would like to look into a little
just
more.
To add to you a little bit here, this is one category of fraud in Georgia, and there's at least 3. There might have been 4. I forget all of it. But the whole framing on it is we're being told by the leftists, especially shitlibs, and not all leftists are shitlibs, but especially shitlibs deeply affected with TDS, is there was no election fraud. What are you even talking about? But there's multiple categories in just that one state.
No outcome determinative to electoral fraud.
Glad that nobody here.
I don't know why you have to go to fucking straw man. It's outcome determinative fraud. I don't know why you don't just go with the main claim.
Give it to Lonerbox. Hold on. You guys both just went for a while. I want to give it to. It's like, hey, we're doing Lonerbox for the
They should
world.
show that it was fraudulent, though.
Yeah,
they should show that those were fraudulent ballots that were actually like fake. Yeah.
Yes, so.
They should show that again. None of you will ever in your entire fucking lives get around the fact that Trump tried to put a fake elector to New Mexico where he had no pending litigation. He wasn't even challenging the result. Anything. I think he filed his last challenge suit because he tried to, and then he tried to get Pence to certify. So Trump, just to be clear, these are the building blocks. I don't think you know what fucking evil you are owning up to right now. Trump lost in New Mexico by more than 10% of the vote. He didn't make any complaints and didn't say that they'd stolen the election from him. He had no pending litigation. He wasn't trying to challenge in the courts until 6 minutes before the deadline, after he had already created the fake elector. And then he goes to Mike Pence and says, you need to accept that. You need to accept that as the actual slate of electors and let me win in New Mexico.
Right. And what do you think?
And you think that's no big deal?
Let him go through. Let him go through. And just to be clear, a little housekeeping for you guys. If we don't get another, let's say, $100 in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to start shutting this shit down because I don't work for free. But Lonerbox,
200.
Keep going.
200.
No, 100 for now.
So yeah, it's not my fault. Yeah, you can say I'm angry and everything. Yeah, sorry, I like democracy and I like America doing the things that you literally love it that I'm angry because you held up a fucking sign behind you saying like someone's mad or whatever.
Who's mad,
I said
bro?
TDS.
My memes, man. You guys lose your fucking mind. I throw one fucking meme on the camera.
Yes, it's good to lose your mind when people are being this fucking evil. Like you literally just said, "What's the big
I'm not
deal?"
even saying
What's
Pence
the
should
big
have
deal
certified it.
with?
Listen,
You said, "What's the big deal with Trump trying to get him to certify it?" No.
So what? My explicit claim. What I've explicitly.
What's the big deal? What's the big deal with Trump trying to tell
certified
Pence?
none of them.
No.
Pence
Don't backpedal.
We've got
don't fucking back. Don't.
I'm
don't
standing
backpedal.
on my argument.
What's the
Go
big
ahead.
deal?
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go, Lauren?
Don't backpedal.
Where do you want to go?
What is the big deal with Trump asking Pence, telling Pence that he needs to certify it, not to say neither, which would also be ridiculous because Trump had no fucking pending litigation against New Mexico. Trump
you don't have
said,
to have pending
"Make me
litigation
president."
for the fucking VP to say, "I think that these election results need to be reviewed." That's the whole point of J6.
No, Trump
wasn't
didn't say
about
that.
Trump.
Trump said,
have
"Make
the
me
legal
president."
power to do
Trump said,
that.
Trump didn't say that. Trump said, "Make me president."
I'm not a
also,
Trump
Pence doesn't have that authority.
cocksucker.
Why did you say, "What's the big deal?" Then why are you trying to gaslight me?
I don't think it's a big deal. I get
You're an
your
abusive
point.
husband. Fuck you. What are you doing?
Okay, hold on. Why
Don't just
when
defend
are you
a
going to
thing for
stop beating your
2
wife?
fucking hours
Yes or no?
and then
Yes
say,
or no?
Stop defending a thing for 2 hours and say, "I don't defend that." Yes, you did. You said, "What's the big deal?" What's the big deal with Trump trying to say, "Give me this state," even though I don't even have a claim against it for fraud,
Your
and I lost by
butthurt claim
10%
on
of
it
the
is that
vote.
he didn't file a lawsuit, so he couldn't challenge it. That's fucking insane.
No, what's butthurt is a bunch of fucking fat magatards fucking falling from the walls of January 6th and getting fucking Ashley Babbitt killed because fucking fat Trump told them that they actually won the
Thank
election.
you for the
when it was
$100,
stolen.
Audacity.
Trump also, by the way, denied
God.
Obama's election victory. He also denied the popular vote with Hillary Clinton.
Hillary's-
So, sorry.
The leftists deny elections all
He's
the
an election
time.
denier. No, that not who has ever denied an election as much as Trump has. He denied Obama. He denied the popular vote with Clinton, and then he obviously got his fucking supporters jailed for 4
Stacey
years on
Abrams?
January 6th.
No, that was the FBI.
Stacey Abrams got him. You're never going to match someone like
Okay.
Trump on it. Trump is still not over the 2020 election.
Well,
He still
Trump's
thinks he won
awesome.
it.
We agree.
Streamers. Why do you think that the VP has the power to send back the electors? Why did you want him
It's
to
a
do
legal
that?
theory. It's a legal theory. The same one he
because
uses
the
to abuse his wife.
Because the whole point of the certification is to certify that it's valid. This is the reason why we have this set up so that the people can show up, and if they believe that there's something unkosher about the election, they can make that known. The whole ask of the protesters was more time to reevaluate it. So just don't certify it then.
No, it
They had
wasn't. Trump said, "Make
14
me
days.
president."
They had 2 fucking full
Why are you
weeks
lying?
before the transition. And they
Dev,
the stop the
Dev, you're the
steal
J- Dev,
was saying
Dev,
we
you're the
wanted
J6 researcher.
10 more days
Dev,
to look at it.
Dev, you're the J6 researcher. Did Trump not also say to Pence, like, "Yeah, you could just make me president. Just accept the 7
Yes, he
slates"?
also said that. Yeah.
Yeah, he did say that.
He did
Okay,
also
that's
say
crazy. So you just fucking lied on behalf of Trump. Why do you keep saying, "Oh, he just asked for more time"? He was actually willing to
I'm
make
talking
himself
about the
president
protesters, you
without
dumb
having
fuck.
more time.
I'm talking about the protesters, you dumb
the
fuck.
protesters.
Protesters.
Definitely would have favored the more time
Listen,
thing. The protesters definitely were thinking, let's just be a bit reasonable here. Let's just do a bit more investigating. If we lose, we will accept the result after 10 days. You think the protesters would have accepted the results after 10 days of investigating? Oh my God, you are so fucking cucked to a dictator. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so
Can I just say before
So-
we go on? Can I just say
Stream
just
riff,
real quick?
stream riff.
We are continuing the panel for at least till 8 at this point. So thank you,
I
Audacity.
want to ask this.
I'm gonna let you in a second, but I just want to observe, make an observation. Lonerbox, when he first came in here, he's pretty easygoing, pretty chill guy. But I think we've got him triggered now. I think you have unleashed Angry Box. Okay.
Hold on,
Loner
that's
is
not
now.
true. I got
Angry
called.
Box.
I got called stupid in the first 10
Well,
minutes.
you are stupid, so that's okay. But I want to give it back to
I love
Dev
you too.
to ask his question. Dev, go ahead.
Okay, so stream rift. I don't know if you fully answered me. Like, why do you think the VP has the power to send back the electors? Because you did say that earlier.
Yeah, the premise is this simple. So if the VP is supposed to certify the election, that's not a rubber stamp. That's a everything looks good, I'm certifying this. And so when fucking however many people show up and say, actually, we think that there's something fucking wrong with this, the stuff with Georgia is still ongoing, we've got all this other stuff, can we not certify it yet? The ask at that time was not to overthrow the government, it was to appeal to the government.
I understand.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
So do you know what happens when you, like, legally, the procedure when you have two sets of dueling electors? Do you know what the VP is supposed to do?
I do not.
Okay, so if there's actually a legitimate question, the VP has the two electors, and he says, okay, we're going to retire to, the House goes back to the House, the Senate goes back to the Senate, they have a 2-hour debate, and then, after that 2-hour debate, they choose which one of the two is the legit one. All right? That's what happens in the ECA. Now, so what happened on January 6th is...
Which is not constitutional, allegedly.
Okay,
a
but
strained
it
legal
is.
theory. Yeah, go ahead.
It is.
By the guy who said that he would lose
Says a
9-0
Canadian
in the
and a
Supreme Court.
Brit. Go ahead.
Are you craving
No,
warm,
but says
creamy,
Eastman, says
cheesy
the guy who
cookies
came
this
up with the
week?
theory.
Grocery
Says
outlet
the
Do you
Eastman
deny that? Do you
Eastman
deny
himself said
do you
he
deny
would
that?
lose. Yeah.
But
Yeah, do you
but hold
deny
on,
that Eastman said that? Eastman said that he would lose 9-0 in the Supreme Court.
So yeah, but hold
I don't
on.
know why
Okay,
you've
hold on.
skirted around that
So
10 times.
this is
Do
the
you deny that?
problem.
True or false? True or false?
Just wait, because
Stop
because
beating
there
your
is-
wife. Yes, I know.
there's a second part of this question. So
Sure, Dev.
on January 6th, Pence has two sets of electors. He says, okay, there's a conflict. We're going to go back to our two chambers and debate this for 2 hours. That happened on January 6th. And then that debate was interrupted by the rioters.
Okay, can I?
You know this. No, just wait. You know this, right, Streamrift?
So let's just take all of that 100% at face value.
Yeah.
None of that. So the reason why it escalated so much was in no small part to the FBI that wanted all of this to go down. This was a trap for conservatives, so you guys could never talk
my
about
God, it's the
anything.
folks
that-
that-
Hold on. Let him finish, and then you can respond. Go ahead, stream, finish. I know Gibbs, Streamriff's the content right now. Let's let Streamriff go. Streamriff finish, and then we'll get.
Gibbs is too fly for this. Here's the thing: the whole premise of why this certification was supposed to happen was to give confidence in this. Okay, so you say here's the remedy: a 2-hour debate. So that gives the whole argument for, guess what? They obstructed a proceeding. So I guess to go back to an earlier point, Trump was charged with, I'm assuming you're saying that Trump was charged with obstructing the debate about
the four charges he was hit with in U.S. v. Trump was conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, attempting to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights.
And
those are the 4 charges.
The first 3 are directed at the debate that they were stopping, and then the last one was saying.
The second and third one are obstructing the debate that was happening. Yes.
Defrauding
Okay, so
us about the fake elector
this
scheme.
is the problem I have with the last
theory.
Is this sounds to me like just a civil procedure challenge, right? Which happens literally every day,
all the time.
It's criminal
all the time.
All
criminal
of it,
charges.
Right?
All the time when they
happens
say
all
to
the time.
break the.
He said it sounds like
get
civil,
broken all
though.
the time.
It sounds like civil.
No. I'm just no. I'm not mean civil. I'm talking about it's a procedure, right? It's procedural, and they challenge this, and it's struck down, and it's called, oh, this is criminal, this is not. They challenge like locations, or this is all in that range, right? This is a very common type of legal argument that happens nationally at every level all the time, right? So when you're describing this and it's struck down, I'll bite the bullet, and this is why I don't care, because it sounds like it's a very simple thing that happened. He lost it. Oh well, so be it. Cool. Y'all right. You win that one.
That's not what he did. He made a fucking
but
cult
then
song and
they've
dance
done these
about it
other
for
investigations
over a month.
Then they've done these other investigations, and some of them have been overturned or like now have been dropped, like the Giuliani, like the one we just talked about in Georgia. You know, now we have admissions that Giuliani was basically right, and I see this. It seems a larger trend. Well, okay, he was right to ask questions.
He wasn't
You
right.
know,
No, he wasn't right. He said that he won the election. He wasn't right. That's not been determined. Sorry. He was
That's
also
not been
wrong in
determined.
the idea
Oh,
that the
now it's
ECA was
changing.
unconstitutional. He was also wrong in saying the ECA was
admitting that it's not been
unconstitutional.
determined. We're moving. All right. Well, that's good. We're moving.
This is one of the greatest threats to democracy, by the way. This woman being in the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Holy fuck,
well,
thank God we
so,
made it
so
through
Stream
that.
Riff, Stream Riff.
Do you think old people
was she
can't commit
psyoped by the
crime?
fucking feds then? Like,
Yeah,
No,
she must
the
have
people
been.
were pissed. The feds were in the crowd
Was
and they
she
wanted
pissed?
this
Was
to go
Grandma
this way.
pissed, dude? Like,
Yeah, they were pissed because Trump lied to them.
Like you have this
You
double
guys are
narrative
so
where
fucking
like
obsessed with Trump where you think they
Let Dev go. Let Dev go. Dev,
Stream Riff,
please.
you have this double narrative where simultaneously
the
it's like a
FBI
Fed surrection where all these people were like whipped into a fucking frenzy to go attack the Capitol, but also they were led in, they wandered around, it was all peaceful. It's like no, these two things are mutually exclusive.
That's
It's
not
one or
my
the other.
story, you dumb fuck. That's not what I said.
Yeah, your story isn't- to be fair, Dev, that is true. This guy's story isn't coherent. He'll just fucking
Some
bounce
of
around
the
all over
protest
place
was peaceful,
desperately.
some of it
Yeah.
was violent, and the FBI
It's not intelligible to a human
absolutely
being.
didn't try to prevent it from happening. They tried to stoke it and encourage it. And that was the
No
trap
evidence of
why
that.
a bunch of fucking J6ers got screwed by the government. It's what went down.
They should still be in jail, by the way. They should be rotting in there.
And it should have actually been an insurrection.
Well, okay. Can I
That's the real fucking
ask? And
tragedy
maybe
that it wasn't.
maybe this is a mistake to ask, but I'll ask.
mean, you
it
know what?
anyway.
Even in a
fair
state where
enough.
Trump was even in a state where Trump
That would have
wasn't
been fine
even
with it
claiming
being
that
an
there was
insurrection,
fraud.
by the way.
Yeah,
What's
I
that
know
all
you would
about?
have. Because you're a
What-
degenerate fuck. You should be in jail for the rest of your
What?
life.
Hold on. What
Yeah,
evidence?
I'm glad it wasn't.
Hold on. No, I gotta ask this question. I gotta ask this
question.
question.
Just to be clear.
What do you
Disavows.
say again, Gibbs?
I am disavowing. I'm glad.
Okay,
it was
fair
not an
enough.
insurrection.
Let me
Thank God,
ask you
yeah.
this question directly. So you say that the feds purposefully stoked this. They riled the flames and they did it to trap and entrap people at January 6th. Do you have evidence of this? And what is your evidence?
I don't know if Gibbs trying to get on camera or not. I like where he's going with this.
I don't care. No,
Okay,
my
well, can you
camera hates
answer?
me.
I don't care
know.
what Gibbs is doing right now. Just answer my question.
So,
Sorry
so,
about that.
so it's not that the feds whipped them into a frenzy. It's that
But you just said they did.
Oh my!
No, he didn't. He's incoherent, Wick. You understand. He's not incoherent. He's not consistent.
So at J6,
He can't remember what he said 10 seconds
so
ago.
there was a Vice documentary research they did where they were like, why are these people at J6? And their estimation, and this is, we can take it how it is. This wasn't like National Geographic or anything, investigative reports, but there were like 5 or 6 different types of groups that were there. Not just MAGA folks, 5 or 6 different types of groups. So what I believe is the environment itself was a tinderbox. Why I say it was a setup is because conservatives shouldn't have fucking shown up. They should have fucking realized something was up, something wasn't quite right. And conservatives aren't used
They
to
should
getting
realize
fucked
Trump
over
is
with.
lying to us. Trump is just lying to us, and we're falling for
You're
it. And we're
such
going to
a
sacrifice our
fucking
fucking
inbred Brit
well-being.
that you think
We're,
that
we're
everything's
throwing
about
ourselves
Trump.
into jail. We're
It's
throwing
not about
ourselves.
Trump.
Oh my god.
The protesters were literally there at a Trump rally.
Election. It's about their
The
voice being
protesters
heard.
were at a
Folks get their
Trump
fucking
rally. They
butt
were
up
saying
on
to stop this
fucking
deal. They were
COVID
saying to hang Mike
regulations.
Pence. They
Fuck
were
this. They said, oh yeah, the fucking. Are you going to talk
they
about
were
the,
there to trying to keep Trump in power. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to keep Trump in office. That's what they were
or
trying to
maybe
do.
they just wanted their votes to count, and they thought that was what being
No,
happened.
they wanted their votes to count more than other people's votes. Yeah, they wanted their votes to count more
we
so
should-
that Trump
look,
stays
so-
president,
so-
even though he lost by
Look,
7 million votes in the popular.
Democrats
by the way.
are so good at thieving. Republicans need to get better at fortifying elections.
Okay,
They
just
did a
real
great
quick
job
here.
fortifying.
Streamer.
Yeah, Deb. Yeah, Deb.
Okay, a little bit earlier. You said that it didn't really matter that Trump had no pending legislation in New Mexico. Can you explain to me why you believe that?
Yeah, because the injury is independent as to of whether or not there's a lawsuit filed. I mean, especially if you're talking about in a situation like this, we're talking about litigation in multiple states. You're going to triage where you're spending your resources on it. It doesn't mean that you don't have a claim because you're not putting forward. It doesn't help, but that's not dispositive.
Wait, are you saying that Trump didn't have the resources to put forward a claim in New Mexico?
All organizations are resource constrained, especially on a timeline, and litigation is incredibly resource intensive. And so I could see why he'd go after Georgia and maybe not put up the litigation in some other areas.
But Trump's a billionaire. He could surely file a claim, right?
Sounds like you don't understand the legal system in the U.S. That's fine.
Yeah, you don't understand the legal system.
He
If you got
filed
legal
several.
theory, you can
He doesn't
totally
have to file
you
for
can totally
every
just
fucking action
you
he
can
could
totally just
possibly
try
imagine.
to unilaterally you can totally just try to unilaterally claim a state. You're not even saying that you won.
No,
How the fuck? Trump didn't even say he won New Mexico, and he put a slate forward for it anyway, and told Mike to just accept it.
Well, if
told
you're
Pence to
doing
accept
6,
it.
why not do
It's so
7?
cocked. Why don't you live in? He did do 7. Why don't you just go and live in Russia where they can do this? Like, what the fuck?
Fight for to keep illegal immigrants on the rolls. They'll keep to people on
God,
the
the
rolls.
illegal immigrants. Okay, yeah.
So Streamer, the reason
nothing came from that either.
I mean, the
fucking dead
DOJ
voters.
literally files lawsuits against states to stop them from purging their own rolls over issues like that. Go ahead, Dev.
So the reason I'm asking
happened
this
under
is
Trump,
because the precedent set in Hawaii 1960 was that you could actually do a dueling elector situation if there was pending legislation or a recount, or there was some actual real question happening, right? Like that's why, even though Trump was ultimately completely fucking wrong about everything, that's why you could actually have a reasonable debate about these two sets of electors for a place like Georgia, because there was actually still questions being asked. They weren't being asked in good faith, but they were being asked. The problem with New Mexico is that the question wasn't even being fucking asked.
So let me ask you this: how much do you think that
Yeah, but it's still a
particular
legal
piece of
theory.
this issue matters? at
Sorry, I
scale?
didn't hear you. Sorry, what did you say?
Okay, so let's just say for free, I'm going to say, Dev, you know what? I think for all of the research we had, especially because we're just talking about filing, not even aggressively pursuing, not all of the motions practice, it seems sloppy to not at least file something in that state. I'll give you that for free. I don't know why it matters, but I'll give you that point for free. It seems reasonable.
Okay.
So I give you that, then what?
I love how this guy gives you like basic reality for free. It's like H2O, that's water. I'll give you that one for free, guys.
Excuse me, it's aqua. Okay.
Well, then it makes the whole dueling electors thing for New Mexico even more flimsy, because now Trump can't even say that.
But even if he
Trump can't even say that there's a claim happening here.
But even if he didn't do the New Mexico thing, right? So let's say that one was garbage. The other ones, like, it's checking the box that you're talking about. So if we're talking about a material difference, right? You guys want to talk about like a material voter manipulation, something that actually matters. Does it matter whether there was 6 or 7 electors? I don't think so. So if you just want to say, oh, he should have fucking filed something, fine. He should have said something, filed something in that state. Or not put it forward.
So
okay.
just real quick, is this you admitting that when Trump pushed forward the false electors in New Mexico specifically, that was fraudulent then? Do you admit that?
So it's
That's a
going to
legal
sound
theory.
like I'm being evasive. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
it's definitely going to sound like you're being
Why
evasive.
does it sound
It's
like
going
that?
to sound like you're going to be evasive.
I would say no. It wasn't fraudulent.
You have been evasive. Now you're going to be evasive. What's he like when he's I want to know what this guy's like when he's evasive. Oh my God. What have I been watching for the last 3 hours?
Just say no. Just say yeah. Just do what I just did. It's okay. What are they going to do? Yell at you? Like I.
So Dev, okay. So let's say he didn't file it with the New Mexico electors. Okay, so we'll stick with your thing, right? Fraud. How is it fraud? Fraud has a specific definition. I'm not saying we have to pick a very particular pedantic one. Fraud is a defined term. So I can say, so let's say he put it forward and he didn't file that action and he should have. So let's just assume right now.
Yeah,
premise
I can
one,
answer
he
this.
should have filed.
I can answer this. Why is it fraud? It's because the people who signed that document signed it knowing that it wasn't legit.
So
that's called fraud.
There's a signature of that has a material misrepresentation. You're saying?
Yes, they said they were representing them like we're the real slate of electors.
They made an alternative document, like there's a piece of paper that's separate from the real one.
They signed it, right?
And they tried to send it to.
And they came to the Capitol and presented themselves like we are the electors, because remember, electors actually go right to the Capitol and they say, oh, we cast our vote for X or Y or Z, right? They presented it.
To run with this, Ev, I have a question for you. So let's say there's 2 sets of electors.
That's why it's fraud. I'm just answering your question. That's why it's fraud. It's false signature on a document that they shouldn't have done.
Okay, so they've got this false signature on the document. I'm building off of what you said, Wick.
Okay.
So they've got they've got this signature on it. You said earlier we have a 2-hour debate in the chambers about which electors to take. in that ECA, does it say that we then charge the electors that were found to not be the true ones to be fraudulent ones, and then we lock them up and there's a penalty because that's a fraud? Like, is there a mechanic? Because
I think that the people who signed the name on their papers should be charged with fraud. Yes.
Well, no, the ECA is what they're saying is the justification for this. So the ECA says if there's two sets of electors, then they go and debate and pick one. So in that mechanic, in that system, do we then execute the team that was not found to be the accurate one, or what is the penalty?
Execute them? You don't
Well,
execute
first of all, the EC also it's not every time where a law says what you should do if that particular law is violated.
No fucking shit, but it's an obvious conflict because if we have two sets of
so why
electors,
did you? If it's no fucking shit, then why did you ask if it was in the ECA?
No, if there's fraud on it, then there should be a penalty. And so if the ECA doesn't list this, they know about the issue.
Because sometimes, and we can imagine, I'll answer your question.
Really
we can imagine a scenario where it is not fraudulent, where there is, we're not sure. So Hawaii, I believe, did this back in the day, right? Where they sent they sent two sets of electors because they weren't sure which one was going to be correct after they did their recount or whatever. And again, they wanted to
remind me, Wick, were those alternative slates? They were also certified by the state.
Yes,
right?
they were certified by the state.
Unlike
right?
these.
Unlike
ones that
these
were just
false
like
ones, yes.
A couple of
so they
fucking retards who just wandered in with a bit of paper and said, "Yeah, this is the same thing."
So they certified them both, right? So it's not fraud. They weren't doing anything fraudulent, right? And so under those circumstances, the ECA would the Congress, I should say, would wait until decide which one was right based on the results of the recount in Hawaii, right? That's fair. So that's why it's not always fraudulent. What makes this one fraudulent is they said that they were certified. They signed their name saying they were certified, but the state didn't actually certify them. It was a fraudulent document. Does that make sense? Do you understand now?
So I understand the distinction you're drawing. So the claim is sometimes it can happen and it's not fraud, and sometimes it can be fraud. Is that a good distillation of what you just presented?
Yeah, based on intent, yes. Based on intent and the objective reality, yeah. And by the way, you asked for what crime it was. The crime is filing a false instrument.
Right. So if there's so I and going back full circle, if you are bringing this forward and you find out that you're wrong and it's fraud, like there's a fraudulent instrument, right? It means something when you sign your name to something and put it in front of a court,
right?
Or Congress, for that matter. Yeah.
So if that's the case, then how come you don't think that Trump should be McFucked for it, as you say?
So you're saying that Trump should be accountable for what the electors signed, but not the electors? That doesn't make any fucking sense. If anybody did fraud, it was the electors that signed that said that.
Oh, sure. So for example, a lot of the actual like low-level electors, they did in fact get charged with filing a false instrument. That did happen.
And since they did a crime, Trump did a crime?
Well, no. Trump's crime is trying to bring forward those false electors as if they were true.
And he said this in his speech as well. That was the whole point in his talks with Pence.
Yeah, when Trump was asking Pence to do the right thing, what was the right thing that he was referring to?
He was referring to he was referring to accepting the alternate electors.
Yes.
Yeah, the fake ones, the fraudulent ones.
Because that was the plan.
Not by the ECA. Well, they're fake. They're not certified. The ECA says they have to be certified. They're fake. Yeah. If some random person who's got no authorization makes a document and says it's the thing that's authorized, it's fraudulent. It's fake. No?
I would agree on that. But
okay,
what I won't agree with is that the protesters showed up to say this election was McFucked and we want this to be certified cleanly. And so the whole electors argument gets away from the actual protesters argument that gets away from the exercise in democracy and representative government, which is we showed up, the conservatives showed up to protest what they thought was a stolen election. Let's separate the electors. Let's set that aside for a second because that's a whole separate racket. The J6 was about protesting a belief that there was a stolen election. So why are we on talking about it's 7 states of electors, right? Total of less than 100 people. And I'm even giving you guys for free in this.
Stop. I love it when you give me basic reality for free. Trump was there saying, and he literally said this in his speech, that the point in going to the Capitol was to get them to certify. Yeah, he spoke for 55 minutes, okay? I'm talking about the substance of the speech, the body of work, not just the little fucking piece of plausible deniability that you guys only remember about that speech. What did he say for the rest of it? He said we should recognize the slates of electors that are properly certified, meaning his ones, which are the fraudulent ones.
But
you want to find the exact quote for you? What he asked them to do?
Let me ask you this. Will you give me the basic reality that not everybody there was protesting just because they thought Trump should be in office and that they had other grievances?
That was the bulk of the crowd was there for that. Yeah, they thought
What
Trump won the
percentage?
election
When
and
you
that he
say
got
bulk,
stiffed.
are you saying
What do you
60%
think?
or 90%?
What was the out of interest? If you were to summarize what that whole speech was about, like the majority of it,
I'm not talking about his
the
speech, I'm
vast
talking about the
majority
protest.
about it, the protests that were following his speech, where he said we're going to go to the Capitol, that he put out on social media beforehand. What was the overwhelming body of that speech? What was it about? It wasn't about being peaceful. He said that once. What else did he say? Do you know?
So
of
what
course
is,
you don't
what is the
know.
claim you're
You
chasing?
don't even.
What is the claim you're
You don't
chasing?
even. I just want
I
to
point out
relish in
that-
the fact that you don't even know. You don't even fucking know what Trump said at that speech. That's amazing
haven't
to me.
been-
By the
no,
way,
it was a
that is
bunch of years ago.
incredible. He
I
spent
think it's
the entire time
incredible that you
rambling
can't
about
fucking
fucking.
acknowledge or wrap
He
your head around
spent
the
the
fact that people
entire
went there to
time
protest.
rambling about fraud and saying that he actually won these 7 states and that those people in Congress should be certifying the states as for Trump, not for Democrats, as in they should be accepting the false slates, not the real ones.
Lonerbox, what do you think the argument is right now? Trump bad?
Right now, I think the argument
How much
is that
brain
I'm
cancer
talking
there
to a
is.
fucking the argument right now. There's not really an argument right now. I'm just talking to a fucking retard. Yeah,
I went
it's just
from
for the
being the
purpose of
smart guy to the
audience.
fucking retard. That's great.
When did I ever call you the smart guy?
You
Oh,
did
smarter
earlier.
than
To be clear,
did
to be
earlier.
clear,
I'm gonna
he
put this
said
back
he
on.
did say
sorry,
between
right.
Gibbs and Streamrift that
Oh
he
my
was
God.
the
Smarter
smart
than the
one.
fucking
High bar,
magician
yeah,
at the
high
top.
bar.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
now I have a
yeah.
question.
Smarter than the
Listen, this
smarter
is
than the
called
fucking
style.
Gibbs
magician.
the
Yeah.
smart one now? Is
I
Gibbs
mean,
the
listen,
smart
I
one?
don't
I
know.
do
if
want.
you're
I do
mad
want to
that I
know
have
if
a
you.
nice
If you.
suit
I
on.
do want to know
Oh,
if
you're
you.
wearing a
If you
cheap
hold to
t-shirt.
that.
Come on, bro.
If you hold to
I
that,
don't know why we're so-
do you still stand by Streamrift is smarter than Gibbs?
Tough choice, I know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Nice.
Damn, even
That's a
after
tough
all
choice.
this. Okay,
You're
carry
worse than
on.
fucking retard in his eyes.
Gibbs is more kind of simple, whereas Rift is like kind of evil. I don't know,
Okay.
I am a
Ooh,
simple
kinda
man.
evil.
like a degenerate cunt. Yeah.
I mean, Lonerbox, I want to try to just have one point kicked around in your head a bit, right? You want fine, ignore everything else that I said. One of the things that I really detest about folks that have the worldview that you do is you look at J6 and you say this was a monolith that was there for Trump. It's all about Trump, and as if it's not about the bunch of other things that all of these other groups were pissed about. They've been lost their businesses. They've been fucked on with COVID. They've been fucked on. There were a lot of grievances against the government, and their voice was being heard. And they didn't even get to let their voice be heard in an election. And you guys are so fucking obsessed with Trump. It's Orange Man
They did get
bad,
their voices
and you
heard.
don't give a fuck about what the rest of the people are actually there for. It's just all
Yeah.
collapsed.
Spare me the fucking
Orange Man
crocodile
bad.
tears. Yeah, spare me the fucking crocodile tears. They were there for Trump. They were chanting "Stop the
There it
steal," as in
is!
they thought the election was stolen.
There it
Trump said, Because Trump said you'll never take back your country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong. We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. Referring after Eastman's speech, referring to his fake electors. We demand Congress does the right thing and counts my 7 fake bits of paper that are not authorized that say I won, including in one state where I'm not even claiming that I won. Yes, he wanted to steal a state that he didn't even claim to have won in.
Let's pretend
And you're like,
that
oh, what's the big fucking deal, you know?
let's
Some
assume
people are just upset about
100%
grocery
there's a lot of heavy
prices.
lifting there.
That's why they wanted to hang Mike Pence because they were upset about eggs. What are you talking about? What does this have to do with the
Yes.
price of eggs?
Okay.
What?
Let me read some.
We don't have free healthcare, Brit.
Make a
Yeah,
little
super
money.
chat.
Okay.
It's your fucking fault because you think it's communism.
We'll get.
It is communism.
We'll
It is
keep
communism.
an order.
Don't complain about not having it. It's not my fault.
Wick's
But when
gotta
you get
make
your
money.
fucking
I'm not
brain,
complaining.
when you
No,
get
no,
your
Jeff.
fucking 18th brain hemorrhage, you'll have to pay for it. Sorry.
Okay,
I
we're
mean, I'm
gonna
gonna pay for it either way.
refresh. We're gonna refresh. Okay, we got 30 minutes left, right? I wanna make a little money, read these super chats, and we'll get right for the last whatever. We'll get into it. Thank you for the tier 2 membership from Karen D Hippie. Tier 2, what a gal! Thank you for that. Trib 1 for $5. MAGA's only answer for their side's wrongdoing is to exaggerate, lie, and or hope Dems did the same thing. So they whataboutism, which admits wrongdoing. $5 from Hell's Advocate. Ask the conservatives here to answer why the judge dismissed the Fulton County case. Tell them you want the quote from the judge.
Don't care.
Okay.
Don't care.
$10.
Let's go.
$10 from
I don't
Alexander
care if
Wren.
Trump's not even claiming to have won this state. You can have it anyway. Who cares?
Can you ask?
Vladimir Putin, let's go.
Can you ask if no election fraud had been found by their standards, would Trump have been committing fraud then? If not, then why bother talking about fraud in the first place?
So if they were fraudulent, if
there was no fraud, there's no fraud.
Okay.
To our standards,
right? Would Trump be guilty of fraud with the false slate of
Well, if
electors?
there's no fraud, then no, because then the fraudulent elector scheme wouldn't be fraud. So there's no fraud.
No. You would have to. You would have to prove,
no fraud in the election.
No, I got it.
Right.
You would have to prove to me, I guess, like if it was to my standards that there was no fraud, what would happen then is if they wanted to charge Trump or attempt to charge Trump, they would have to prove the intent that he knew without beyond reasonable doubt that this was an actual claim. Like I don't think though. There's actually going to be evidence. I think I don't think there would be enough proof to get
a 9-0 loss at the Supreme Court
but
is
maybe,
still not criminal.
But I could
maybe.
Okay.
So Gibbs, by the way, in that video that I linked you, there is evidence that Trump knew he lost and that he was just saying, "Oh, I'm just saying this for TV purposes."
Well, listen, and you know, and that would be taken into account. And if they can deem it enough, then you know, fuck him. Like I mean, like they got him. Whatever, you know. Like let's like. I mean, I'm not gonna die on the Trump hill. I just mainly like a lot of his policies. You know, there's a difference. Yeah.
Okay, $5 from a fat kid with a beard. Okay. Didn't Trump pardon a bunch of fraudsters? Yes, he did.
Yes,
$5
he did.
from Alishness. Quote, the votes needed to be counted again, end quote. Meanwhile, Musk knew the outcome of the election before the votes were even counted. That's not suspicious, is it? $5 more from the Trib. The two magatards are essentially arguing for the idea that there's never been a legit election. I need them to focus on every election outside of 2020. $10 from Captain Dan the Fireman. The claim is, and always has been, including from William Barr, Trump's attorney general in the first term, that there was never outcome determinative fraud. $5 from General Grievous. Gibbs, stop being such a whiny diva and grow a pair. Your hysterical flailing isn't fooling anyone. And Hugh Hefner's ghost called. He wants his jacket back.
I'll take that. Hey, Hugh Hefner.
$2.
Hey, bro, you're fabulous for Vegas.
Nah, look, hey, who didn't like Vegas?
Look,
You know,
I like.
listen,
Look, the best. Gibbs's best quality is his outfits. That's all I gotta say.
I tell you this. Maybe if I look like a magician, I can like David Blaine this evidence into existence. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Maybe.
know. But like what I. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We got a little more. $2 from Thomas Olivars to say Wick. Ask him to show his source. You're gonna have to clarify. $2 from Trib1. New title: MAGA versus Reality, featuring Lonerbox. $10 from Dirty Deeds. Let me back in. There's already too many. $2 from Hedonic Samuel. Has anyone seen Gibbs and Paul's ego in the same room? I don't know who that is. $5 from CRW CR Weave Venture. What that funny feeling when the Scotsman is more knowledgeable on the false slates of electors than the Americans, Streamrift and Gibbs. Sit down, clowns. $5 from my listening library. Real damages are what we are still fighting for over it today, like the damages of the Obama nationality issue, or that too many people still debate it. $5 from Treveka. Please ask Streamrift if he is okay with Trump coordinating and calling Tulsi Gabbard directly to deploy FBI for voter rolls in Georgia raid. If so, why?
I'd be, at first blush, I'd lean against it because I think it's fucked that the DOJ pressure states about their voter rolls at all. So any federal intervention on that in general,
So you're against the raid in Fulton County that they did?
I said I lean against it. I'm hedging.
Unless Trump does it.
Well, Trump did do
Double,
it.
double,
Trump
double.
did do it. That's what happened. Trump told Tulsi Gabbard to go raid this place, and she did. Okay, anyway, $2 from my listening library. The ask of the protesters were also to end Pence. True. $10 from the Justice, 35. LOL. Streamrift and Gibbs are just ass pained that Biden beat Trump fair and square. Why can't MAGA-tards ever take accountability for their failed coup? Because they actually hate America. $2 from Robert Paulson. Dexter's meth lab on the bottom left. Meds, please. $5 from Jonathan Gendler. Will we get free and fair elections this year? Trump said he wants to, quote, nationalize and voting, end quote, after the Fulton County raid. Polling looks bad for the GOP. $5 from Hedonic Samuel. Trump sent them to do the crime, referring to the electors. No, it's the same mob tactics we have all seen him do for years. And finally, $5. Well, not finally. More money's coming in, which we love, but fair enough. $5 from My Listening Library. If this was done the other way around, with Trump as president and a Dem arguing that the election was fake, you would be on the side of the government. And then finally, $10 from Numinax. After 3 hours of this, Gibbs and Streamrift have done very well. If their goal was to blackpill me entirely on ever considering that MAGA could even Velcro their shoes on correctly. Thank you for the $10. Okay. Sorry about that little intermission, but we got through some cash.
So real quick here, I know that the point of the stream is supposed to be Lonerbox versus the world, and you do have more callers. You want me to step out, Wick?
All right, it's up to you. We can. I'm suspicious that all these names aren't here for Lonerbox. That's all I'm saying.
You got a sneaky.
Yeah, they want these hands. So.
Well, I guess. Is there anything that you have, Lonerbox, that you wish that people had asked you or brought up that they haven't? I'm just really curious.
I'm almost regretting not bringing History Speaks in.
Well, I can
Bring
DM him and get him here. You want me to do that? Yeah?
Have you ever? Nah, it's fine.
You sure?
So Wick, from what I understand,
what if we can get some money on it, right? What if we can get some money on it?
What if someone pays you $100?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to figure it out.
Boom. You guys want to see Lonerbox versus
for like
History
2
Speaks?
minutes? Okay, I just want to
give me $100. Wow. Okay.
But yeah, Wick, I looked into it a little bit. It seems like History Speaks is basically Lonerbox's ace. So if I were him, I'd be like, no fucking way.
Yeah, well, I mean, look.
Like, he's literally someone who just fucking lies about me all the time. Like, it's
yeah, $100.
That's what
and he
Ace
also
does
like
to me. That's what Ace does to me.
Like, he knows full well that I don't like to talk to him, and I blocked him, but he still just like goes around the block and he sneaks into my Discord and he sneaks into my Reddit. Like, he's just a fucking freak, which is weird.
Wick, does sound familiar?
Yeah, that's rough.
We all got people like that. Okay.
We all got stalkers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't get that money, we'll probably just start closing the stuff down. Gang, I guess while we're waiting to see if anyone will pony up, this is what I'll say. I've enjoyed this conversation. I've enjoyed the debate. It's been very fun. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be having Pisco. We're going to be having the Gen Z attorney, and we're going to be having Irrelevant, and we got one more coming, Lactoid, and we're going to be talking about Don Lemon's arrest. Don Lemon recently went in with a group of protesters and documented them protesting a church, which was against the FACE Act. Did Don Lemon violate the FACE Act? Should he have been arrested? We're going to talk about it tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, so tune in. It should be fun. That said, anyone else got anything else? Or are we good?
I just want to say, Lonerbox, thank you for coming. We had some fun. I'm glad you felt like you could say what you wanted to say.
America would be a better place if people who think like you just all roped. But otherwise, it was
solid, glowing endorsement.
The gulag,
okay.
Forget the gulag, bro. We ain't got time for that. Pace the wall. At least, hey, but hold on. At least we're admitting it now. We're at least admitting that we're just outright commies at the end here. I just love it.
Well, no, commies will abduct you and kill you. I'm just asking this guy to do the world a favor.
Damn.
That's what's wrong with that. It's fucking voluntary. He doesn't have to. It's just a request.
Yeah,
It's a simple request.
It's not a violation of civil liberties. To
I mean,
do
it's just
off
objectively
yourself, right?
true. It's objectively true that America would be a better country. I just don't know what to tell you. Like,
You know what I will say?
I was
say, Gibbs,
imagining a different kind of roping, I think, but okay.
Yeah. So Gibbs, what I will say is that at least during this conversation, you admitted that if everything we're saying is true, and it is true, that it's that Trump is guilty and that Trump is actually bad. Because most MAGA people that I meet, I've met people who are MAGA who are like, you know what? They say shit like, yeah, Trump should have actually tried to steal it because we want him to win. Who fucking cares? Fuck democracy. I've met so many people who are in MAGA who are like that.
I'm not about that book because it's mainly because I'm not even really a true MAGA, right? Like I got all the books behind me. It's mainly like he said earlier in Trigger, but I also it's because if you read what these people like Bright or Ghostwrite, you get a good idea of what they're gonna do. I think, and that's helped me make some predictions that I think have been beneficial to me and like going forward about like Trump policy stuff. And so like I have to look at the alternatives, right? And it's okay. It was this capitalist, basically New York dim. That's now like a conservative somehow or like a populist versus like way far left, right? And so I had to choose, right? So I'm willing to throw him under the bus. If it turns out he's a diddler, throw his ass in the wood chipper. If he's over here breaking too many laws, I don't give a fuck about him. I just want the policies that are best for me to go forward. And, you know, I'm going to die on the Trump hill. If he did something that's outright egregiously illegal, like, then yeah, fuck him. But I haven't seen to my standard that, sure. Like, you know, but I'm also not going to die on the Trump hill. And so when people are like, you're MAGA, I'm like, no, I'm fucking ultra Gibby or whatever that is. We'll call it Gibbsism. I don't give two fucks about what MAGA. I only care about what's going to, like, hey, benefit me and my family and all my friends here. That's kind of where I come from. I vote local. It's really that simple.
Okay. Well, at this point, I think we're done. Lonerbox, where can people find you? And give a last shout out for everything and closing statements. Go ahead.
I had Lonerbox, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever. Yeah, let's go. Oh, sorry. Someone was speaking? Who spoke?
Me. Sorry, I had one more contention with Lonerbox. But it's over.
Why not? I don't care. We got 5 minutes.
Lonerbox. Why don't you release any more fucking videos? YouTube Dev and you, Wick. I'm putting all three of you in the crosshairs. No more long-form videos? What is this shit? Yeah, I know. I'm fucking.
When have I ever fucking done a long-form video?
I don't think you ever have.
Yeah.
Well, but, to be fair, I was actually supposed to be working on one tonight, and I'm doing this instead. Yeah, man.
We're gonna go.
I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of doing a video on why right wingers think Obama was divisive when he actually wasn't. I'm doing a video on that.
Okay, I love you all.
So on Biden fucking Fox News and those guys talk about.
I love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.
Wait, you're calling already?
Yeah, we're
bye.
We're done. Well, we've been going since 4.